So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the first part of the story, what if Naruto went back in time with additional powers. This was the top voted story on the poll at the time of making this video, so if it is not in top anymore, I apologize to you all. If you guys enjoy this what if and want next part of this video, comment down below to let me know. The comments on videos really help me out a lot. They motivate me to upload more frequently, so please do comment down below. Before I start, please do support for more awesome contents and leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And share this video with your friends and also check out the descriptions and check out the playlists. With that out of the way, let's start. Chapter 1. Prologue. 35-year-old Naruto Uzumaki looked out over the barren wasteland that had once been Konoha. He was all that remained of the once great and powerful village hidden in the leaves. Scattered around his battered form was the bodies of all the Akatsuki members, including Pien, their sub-leader and Madara Uchiha, their true leader and puppet master. He had finally beaten them all, but at a heavy price all his friends everyone he had ever cared for were now dead. His long black trench coat with crimson and orange flames flapped in the winds along with his thickly braided ponytail. He wore black cargo pants with many pockets to hold his spare weapons and storage scrolls. His feet covered with black combat boots and torso covered with a black mesh netting muscle shirt that showed off his hard-toned muscles and the numerous scars he had obtained from both abuse as a child and wounds from battles. The truly sad part of it all was that they were dead because Naruto had been exiled from Konoha 15 years ago by the corrupt members of the council. Why? Because he defeated and killed Sasuke Uchiha in order to stop him and a sound army advance. The council forced Tsunade's hand by threat of civil war due to those few who sided with Naruto. Either she execute Naruto for killing the oh-so-precious Uchiha heir or he be forever banished from the village hidden in the leaves. None of them even cared that he was the biological son and heir of the fourth Hokage and last of the Uzumaki clans. Rather fear and ignorance won that day and Naruto willingly left the village. Only a select few of the shinobi clan sided openly with Naruto and even that was not enough. To further add insult to injury Tsunade was then ousted as the fifth Hokage and the council appointed a man from Anburu to take her place, his name was Danzo. She was then forbidden to leave the village along with Jiraiya in fear they would seek out and join Naruto, who was now classified as a SS-class missing ninja. Naruto was saddened that his dreams had been shattered by the corrupt council and that he was forced to become a missing nin, but he continued to live his life, using his skills to help others. He took on the job of a freelance bounty hunter or mercenary and traveled throughout the elemental nations, learning, training and growing more powerful. He studied and trained in everything from seals to forbidden jutsu and samurai styles in hopes of bettering himself. He even befriended the demon within him, apparently a side effect of the seal was that it cleansed Kyuubi of the evil within her and allowed her to gain emotions. Naruto had been utterly shocked to discover his tenant was a female. An unfortunate side effect of the seal however was by the time Naruto reached 25 Kyuubi would cease to exist and all her power would be Naruto's. This all eventually led up to Naruto becoming a half-demon due to absorbing all of Kyuubi's power. All that remained of the demon fox was its soul that was kept safe within Naruto until that too vanished. He had been unable to free her without killing himself and her in the process. She accepted her fate and faded out when her time finally came. He even gained possession of a powerful chakra-enhanced sword, as Anbato called the Requiem, a katana that had control of the elements called Griever, and another katana that could split into segments held by adamant wire, a sword whip called Beowulf. Both katana rested on his back or on his belt. Kyuubi had collected these three special blades during her many centuries of life and had them hidden away. Before she faded, she showed Naruto their hiding places. He also gained superhuman physical attributes and senses, along with a faster healing ability due to his unique constitution. The name Naruto Uzumaki eventually became a feared one as he was soon called the Crimson Death for the color chakra he sometimes used and the merciless way he destroyed his enemies. He actually had two different chakra sources. Red for demonic, blue for human. He kept his nindo and lived by a strict moral code of ethics in hopes of one day being allowed to either return home or find a new one. Sadly, the only place willing to accept him for even a small amount of time was Suna, and that lasted only until Gaara was killed by Akatsuki members who extracted Shukaku from him. They in turn perished at Naruto's hand and Shukaku was destroyed. In the last-ditch effort to force a conflict with Naruto, the Akatsuki attacked Konoha with their full force decimating the city and killing almost everyone there. They had figured it would lure Naruto out so they could subdue him and extract Kyuubi. They all paid for it with their lives as Naruto went into a berserker rage at the sight of his former home and the carnage they had caused. The half-demon in a berserker rage with the power of a nine-tailed demon spoke of only one thing: total chaos and utter destruction. The fools hadn't even realized that Kyuubi was no more. So this is how it all ends, huh? Naruto asked himself. I may not have liked most of the people here, but none of them deserve to be slaughtered like animals, damn it. Memories of his previous life and the people he cared for flooded his vision. All he had truly wanted from life was to protect his precious people and maybe have a family of his own, perhaps even revive the Kazama Uzumaki clan. But once again he was denied his heart's simple and selfless desires. All of his friends dead, no one left to be with or seek comfort from. Being Hokage had been a nice dream, but it was one of several Naruto had that were now lost. His former home now lay in utter ruins with those he cared for and even those he hated littering the ground with their corpses. Tears welled in his icy blue eyes as he looked down upon the corpses of Tsunade, Shizune, Jiraiya, Sakura, Haruka, Hinata, Kakashi and various others. They didn't deserve this, he didn't deserve this. Once again he had failed to protect them. At this moment he truly had nothing left to live for. No one wanted him, he was feared the world over and all alone. Grabbing Beowulf he put it to his neck, preparing to behead himself, the only real way to actually kill him anymore. His death would you truly desire? An ethereal voice asked. Naruto turned around to see the legendary and dreaded figure of Shinigami appear before him. His head looking like a fanged human skull surrounded by black fire, his skeletal body covered in black robes with silver trim and gold runes. Hovering next to him was a long battle scythe, its handle obsidian with veins of gold and silver running through it, the butt held a wicked-looking spike that could impale anything without fail. The blade was crimson with purple flame-like designs on it, and a glowing green crystal sat on top. It was a beautiful masterwork of a weapon. Why wouldn't I? What else do I have left to live for? Naruto asked, not fearing the death god in the slightest. Truly? What if I told you there was a way to stop this from ever happening? That you could have a second chance at life and correct all that once went wrong? Shinigami asked. Naruto arched an eyebrow. I'd ask what the catch is. He said dryly. Shinigami smirked, he liked this boy. He was sharp with the tongue, quick with the wit and showed no fear. The catch is that you become my avatar, or rather a living Shinigami yourself. You will be given some of my own power added to your own and the knowledge that goes with it. The price is simple, I want you to send me the souls of the Akatsuki and Orochimaru, as well as any other evil soul you should cross. It will be your job to protect innocents from the wicked and fix the corruption in this village. Also I ask that you save the life of the third Hokage, Sarutobi, as his death was partially what caused all your problems in the first place, as he kept you safe from the corrupt humans in your village. With his aid and some others you will be able to flush it out. With my power you will command life and death, light, darkness and shadow. Shinigami explained. So let me get this straight, you're going to give me my old life back in exchange for giving you the souls of my enemies. And just how do you plan on doing this? Make me into a baby again or something? And what of Kyuubi? Naruto asked. No, I will send you back to the day your team was picked early morning. Also, to simplify matters, I will personally see to it that Sarutobi is informed of this change, so no undue problems occur. It won't be the first time I have visited him in his dreams, I did the night your father passed as well. Also you will be sent back with all your current knowledge, power and skills though. Your body might take a day or two to properly adjust to it all. Sadly there is nothing I can do for the nine-tailed Kyuubi, her soul in now forever lost, and when you are sent back she will once again cease to exist. I am sorry. Shinigami answered. Do I have to act like a moron again? I really don't want to go back to my old ways and facade. Naruto stated. He was a bit upset about Kyuubi, but there was nothing he could do about it, so no sense in letting it get in his way. The death god chuckled, it was eerie and freakish but not evil. I think it would be best that you remain who you truly are, no reason to hide. Now, if you accept, I have a few gifts for you. Shinigami said. Naruto thought it over for a moment. Did he really want to go through all of this again? Well, Jiraiya always did say that he never knew when quit, so. I accept, this time things will turn out differently. Naruto said confidently. Excellent, your first gift will be a special seal on your right arm like the one on your left that contains your sword Requiem. This scythe next to me will be your Reaper weapon, it is called the Soul Edge, it will be sealed into your right arm. Like Requiem, it is slightly sentient and will only obey your commands. Soul Edge though can cause wounds to demons that cannot be healed easily. Adding to your current powers and near limitless chakra will be power over life and death, as well as the sacred light, dark and shadow elements, and a Reaper form. I will place the knowledge in your mind so that you may work on creating jutsus for them, though I will also grant the knowledge of several useful techniques, and you already seem to know a few special light and dark based jutsu. You will still retain your half-demon look though, the fangs, slit pupils and claws stay. You are lucky that you didn't gain tails and fox ears after absorbing Kyuubi's power, though I suspect she had something to do with that. Now claim this scythe and I will send you back. Shinigami said as he began doing complicated hand seals. Naruto grabbed the soul edge and watched it flare with black fire before fusing into him and creating seal tattoos similar to the one for his sword. For Requiem, a black Chinese dragon spiraled down his arm, its head resting on the back of his hand. Soul Edge created a runic band on his upper arm and forearm and a yin-yang on the top of his other hand. His arm felt like it was on fire as his body was surrounded with white, black and grey energies. He could feel the powers Shinigami promised him fusing into his own. The pain continued to climb as the massive powers in him fused into his soul and expanded his already massive chakra core. The remains of the no longer seal on his navel shattered. At that moment Shinigami finished the seals. Death God Arts Chronos Avatar Resurrection. Shinigami roared as a massive portal appeared around Naruto as his entire being became a swirling mass of raw power. Within the raw energies rest his soul, blood and genetics. The portal flared once and in a flash vanished with Naruto. Now that is done, I'll just make sure that old Hokage is prepared for what is going to happen. The death god mused before vanishing as well. Chapter 2, Beginning Anew. Naruto woke with a start as he sucked in a rasping breath, his eyes wide and flashing between red, blue and purple. He shook his head and groaned, damn, that had hurt like hell. Checking his calendar quickly, he discovered that today was the day he was assigned to Team 7. He groaned slightly, he'd have to do this crap again. His head was still throbbing from the influx of information on his new Reaper powers. Whoever said subliminal training was painless, needed to have a kunai shoved up their acid, was almost as bad as using too many shadow clones to train with. Just what I need, I have to go through all this shit all over again. He muttered and was surprised that while his voice did sound younger, it was still a bit deeper. Still better than the alternative. Getting up from his bed, he walked into the bathroom to look himself over. He looked just as he had in the future, but he was 13 years old again. He frowned slightly, his body was that of a 16-year-old's, but at least he wasn't a complete shrimp again like he was last time. His height was at least 5'11" and would eventually reach 6'4" when he reached his late teens. Lifting his black muscle shirt up, he found that his seal was indeed gone and he still couldn't feel the presence of Kyuubi, but he still held all of his feral features. His clothes were a bit too long for him now, so he performed a quick matter manipulation jutsu to resize his attire. He was very relieved to find that all his storage scrolls and swords were still with him and he wouldn't have to wear those horrible jumpsuits again. Damn things made him into a target. Not that it mattered since they had been the only thing the more interesting villagers had let him buy at a hefty increased price to boot. Wasn't he a lucky soul? He made quick work of the jumpsuits by simply dumping them out of his window and into the dumpster below. Hell would freeze over before he ever wore those ugly damn things again. Sometimes he couldn't believe he did it as a kid just to gain a sliver of attention. He then quickly tied on his forehead protector, the same one Iruka gave him a week ago. He let out a sigh and rubbed his clawed hands over his face. So I'm back in time to when I was 13 and just before I got placed on Team 7. I know that there are several things that I need to change, but some shit I'm not even going to bother with. That bastard Uchiha is one of them. To think the arrogant prick only saw me as a stepping stone tool to gain his mangyeko sharingan. I'm going to have to approach things differently this time around. Danzo needs to be eliminated soon as well, preferably before he can get his root anbu to grow in numbers. Orochimaru and the Akatsuki will be dealt with. I will send their souls to Shinigami-sama as requested. I am not going to hide behind a false facade this time around, and I wish to rebuild my clan as per my parents' wishes. Not sure how I'm going to do that, all things considered. Few women would want anything to do with a Hanyu, a half-demon, not to mention I'm supposed to take multiple mates. Oh well, I will just have to see what happens. Naruto's thoughts were interrupted by a faint tapping on his window. He opened it and accepted the message from the hawk. The small scroll was from sarutobi requesting his presence in his office. Well, might as well get this part over with so I can get to the academy. Naruto mused and vanished in a swirl of fire. Akira Sarutobi, the professor and the third Hokage of the village hidden in the leaves, sighed deeply as he sat in his office. He idly packed some tobacco into his favorite pipe, lit it, and took several calming drags from it. It was very early morning, so early that the sun had yet to rise. He had been sleeping peacefully when once again his dreams were interrupted by the god of death Shinigami. This had only happened once before, just 2 nights after the death of the 4th Hokage, Arashi Kazama Minato Namikaze, when the death god had told him that he allowed Arashi's soul to pass to another plane so that he could be with his wife and to make sure that Naruto was well protected. This time, however, Shinigami came to him and showed various points of Naruto's life to the man, some of which he didn't know had happened and other that had taken place after his death. To say that it was a shock to discover that Konoha had been so cruel to the boy and then to only have it be utterly destroyed by Naruto's enemies as a way to provoke him would be an understatement. He was both saddened and enraged by the whole thing, but as it was, there was little he could do, or so he thought. Shinigami further surprised him when he brought the souls of Arashi and Kushina with him and entered his soulscape. They then took time to explain what was going on. Everything from Naruto's exile to his becoming a half-demon and a reaper to Kyuubi's death. The death of the demon fox had turned out to actually be a tragedy, as it was discovered that had a group of ignorant Konoha ninja not attacked her, then she wouldn't have countered in defense. It worsened when Madara Uchiha took advantage of the situation and forced his taint upon her. It tore at the old man's heart as they showed him the interaction with the fox demon, which in truth had been a guardian of Fire Country. Kyuubi, as sad as it was, had been Naruto's first real love, and he had been powerless to stop her death or the loss of her soul. The boy had taken it hard but moved on with his life. He had been used to feeling such loss that it didn't seem to affect him as much as it would others. Arashi and Kushina requested that the truth behind Naruto's lineage be brought forth sooner so that Danzo couldn't ruin his chances at a happy life. After Sarutobi agreed with the request, the two souls returned to whatever realm they now existed in. Shinigami then informed him that Naruto had been brought back in time and fused with his younger self to ensure these events do not come to pass. Sarutobi was made well aware of Naruto's powers and abilities and the fact that the boy would no longer hide who he was, nor would he put up with any more bullshit. Simply put, there would be no mistakes this time around, and Naruto was more than powerful enough to ensure that. A sudden flash of fire shook the elderly man out of his musings as Naruto appeared before him. Sarutobi was a bit shocked to see that the young man looked much like his future self, only younger. Naruto grinned foxily. "Hey old man, long time no see," he greeted. Sarutobi couldn't help but chuckle. "For you it has, my boy, but I just saw you the other day." Naruto's face grew solemn. "I know, I take it Shinigami-sama has contacted you and informed you of the situation." "Yes, he has," the elderly Hokage stated. "I am most displeased with what happened to you. You have my promise that it will not happen this time around." Naruto nodded. "No, it won't, and thank you for the promise, but I can take care of myself." Naruto paused for a moment. "I do hope you plan on retiring after the Chunin exams, because that is when I plan on bringing Tsunade here. As for Orochimaru, he will never leave the Forest of Death alive if I can help it," Naruto said, his chakra spiked a bit due to his angry thoughts of the bastard. "Very well then, what is your plan?" Sarutobi asked. "Though we will not let it be known to anyone else unless they can be trusted, I would like to consider you as my equal, and it is my hope that you will one day take this job if that is still your dream." "Yes, it is part of my dream, but I also want to rebuild my clan. I'm not sure just how yet, but whatever happens, happens," Naruto stated. "As for my plan, I will take my place as a genin and start working my way up the ranks again. This time, however, I want my lineage to be known. My clan will be Kazama Uzumaki, but I want it made clear that I am the son of Arashi Kazama, though I might use his true name in the future. If any assassins show up, they will be dealt with. I also want those in the need to know to be made aware that Kyuubi no longer exists and that I now hold all of her power. Think of me being a half-demon as a sort of Kekkei Genkai, since any children I will have will inherit most of my abilities." "Most of them?" the Hokage asked. Naruto sighed. "Yes, I have some traits I cannot pass on to the next generation should I ever have children. I am in a sense immortal. I will stop physically aging at 25. I can be killed if I am beheaded. If I were a full demon, then that wouldn't even work. I am aware that I will be required to have multiple wives to rebuild my clan, and that comes to the only other trait I cannot pass. Any woman, if by some miracle they do not mind me being part demon, that marries me, she by demon law becomes my mate. This will cause our souls to bond and we will gain a telepathic link. Finally, she will gain my lifespan and stop aging at 25. I am not sure, but it is likely that any female that I mate with will also gain a portion of my power and my healing and regenerative capabilities, but I am not sure. Though I do have a Dijutsu now, a gift from Kyuubi. It is called the Omnigan. With it activated, I can see mana, souls and chakra, as well as shifted into different modes of sight, X-ray, telescopic, heat, night and aura. It also adjusts to speed so that anything I see will be moving at normal speed or slower. It makes me immune to Genjutsu and can nullify the sharingan in its mangyeko form. I can't copy jutsu with it though, nor can I see tenketsu points or a 360 range. And yes, my Dijutsu will be passed on to any children I might have in the future. Also, my status as a Reaper or the Avatar of Shinigami cannot be passed on. You might say that is my burden and mine alone. I will bear it though, as it gives me added strength to protect those I care for and punish those who would harm others for evil reasons," Naruto explained. "Admirable goals, my boy. I am quite proud of you. In spite of all the hardships you have endured, you still wish to protect those you care for and innocent people," Sarutobi said with a smile. "I am sure you will reach your goals one day, and I hope that this second chance at life gives you what you've been searching for." Naruto smiled at the old man, looking him straight in the eye. It was then that the elderly Hokage saw just how old Naruto truly was. They do say that eyes are the windows to the soul. His eyes showed a man who knew deep loneliness, grief and despair, a man who in spite of these has risen up with undying determination, an unbreakable will and a set of diamond-hard standards and beliefs. I hope so to Jai-chan and thanks. I've been alone for so long, sometimes I can't remember what it's like to have friends having lost them all once. I will not let that happen again. I haven't loved anyone since Kayu-chan died or rather faded from existence. Naruto said softly. He didn't usually open up to people, but he knew he could trust the man he saw as a grandfather and he really needed to get this off his chest. Pent-up emotions could be dangerous if left too long. I still wish I could have saved her. She didn't deserve what happened. It sucks that not even Shinigami-sama can help her since her soul ceased to exist. My only comfort is that when she passed she was happy. I will admit that I am afraid to try to feel such emotions again. Scars on one's heart like that never fully heal, but it's against my nature to just roll over and die now that I have another chance. I will move on in this time period just like I did in the future, but it might take some time and I doubt that anyone within my generation would be interested or even want to be in a relationship with me due to my unique situation, but I am patient. I can wait a few generations. Naruto said solemnly. I am sorry you had to go through such things, but I do not think you put enough faith in those your age. Sarutobi said sagely. I know for a fact that there is at least one young woman who would give anything to have just your friendship. Love would be a gift beyond measure to her. Naruto looked rather surprised. Who the hell would like me like that? Sure, I made a few female friends in the future, but nothing I would have considered a deep friendship. Then again, I was rarely in Konoha before I was banished, so I really wouldn't know. Naruto frowned in thought. Sarutobi smirked. He didn't usually pry in people's private lives, but this time he would make an exception. You always were kind of oblivious, weren't you? Sarutobi chuckled. Well, what do you expect? It's not like I had any real experience. Hell, I didn't really get to know Kayu-chan well until after I was exiled and marked a missing ninja. Naruto stated flatly. Sarutobi sighed. For many it is obvious. Have you not noticed a certain shy girl who frequently watches you and has always been nice to you? Naruto's eyes widened slightly. You don't mean Hinata Hyuga, do you? Yes, I do indeed. Iruka-sen has often mentioned it to me during progress reports. He and even a few jounin had a betting pool going on to see if she would either crack first and admit her feelings to you or if you would actually start to take notice and do something about it. Sarutobi chuckled at Naruto's annoyed look. Great, so now my personal life is for everyone's entertainment pleasure. Just wonderful. He grumbled. He sighed. So Hinata has a thing for me, huh? I did wonder at times, but I never really had a chance to think about it for long with how busy I used to be. Perhaps this time I should get to know her better, but I don't think she'd think so highly of me if she knew my secrets. I think she might surprise you. Unlike most Hyuga, Hinata has a very kind heart, perhaps too kind to be a ninja all things considered, but she does not seem to be one to judge someone based on something they had no control over. If anything, I would think it would draw her more toward you. Naruto glanced outside and noticed that the sun was now up and he would have to be at the academy soon, so he schooled his features back into his usual impassive mask and took better control of his emotions. For some people he wouldn't have seemed emotional at all, but for him this had been a lot of emotion for him to show. Sad, isn't it? I will take what you have told me into consideration, but please do not expect much. Furthermore, I want a meeting set up with the council later today after my team announcements. And before you ask, yes, Danzo meets his end today. Without him route will fall apart. I know for a fact that he is working with Orochimaru. Naruto stated and turned to walk out before stopping for a second. Just so you know, paperwork doesn't have to be the bane of your existence. Try using a few shadow clones to do it for you, since you will retain what they know after they are dispelled. Oh. Send a message to Iruka-sensei to let him know of both my lineage and Hokage Genkai. I trust him fully as well as the people on this list. See you later, Jai-chan. Naruto tossed Sarutobi a small scroll and gave a two-fingered salute and vanished in a swirl of fire. Sarutobi sat there for a moment stunned. The professor had forgotten one of the most useful purposes of the shadow clone. A grin much like Naruto's trademark foxy grin crossed his aged features as he summoned several clones and then pulled out his favorite orange book to get in some quality reading time while his clones took care of the paperwork for him. Well, now things are sure looking up. Sarutobi mused with a slight blush. Oh, Akiko-chan, you naughty girl. He let out a small perverted giggle, causing his clones to sweat drop. Chapter 3, Taking Another Path. Iruka Yumino sat at his desk reading over the letter the Hokage had sent to him for the third time. He knew the letter wasn't a fake due to the fact that no one could counterfeit the Hokage's personal seal. According to the letter, not only was his adopted little brother the son of Arashi Kazama, the fourth Hokage and the legendary Yellow Flash, but Naruto had awakened a new form of Kakashi Genkai that made his body stronger and unlocked a Taijutsu called the Omnigan. The real kicker was that when this happened, according to Sarutobi, Naruto absorbed all of Kyuubi's power and the demon was no more. What's wrong, Iruka-sensei? One of his students asked, a young girl named Mia. You look pale. Well, I just got a letter from the Hokage concerning a classmate of yours. In fact, he should be here any moment. Iruka answered. This confused many of them because all the graduates were here, in fact the only one that they knew of that had failed the genin exam was Naruto Uzumaki. Then, sure enough someone entered the room. He was tall for his age and had a muscular build that looked to promote both optimum speed and strength. His golden blonde hair was tied back in a thick braid with several loose locks lying messily on top and over his forehead protector. He had icy sapphire blue eyes with feral slit pupils. He had dark whisker marks on his cheeks and what looked like fangs slightly poking out from his upper lip. His features were what someone could claim to be a cross between rugged and feral good looks. He was clad in a black trench coat with red and orange flames coming up from the bottom. His lower half was covered with black cargo pants, a set of dual utility belts and black leather combat boots. Under his trench coat was a muscle shirt made of fishnet. Had his coat been removed the others would have been able to see his seal tattoos. "Who the hell are you?" Kiba asked stunned. Naruto shot him a rather deadpan look. "Geez Fido, you don't see me for a week and forget me, I'm hurt." "Holy fucking shit." Kiba exclaimed loudly. "Naruto." A stunned silence went through the room. Sakura and Ino had stopped arguing and were openly staring at him, he idly noticed they blushed slightly. Hinata looked ready to faint. Shino was stoic as usual. Shikamaru was snoozing, Chaoji just waved at him before going back to his snacks. Kiba looked like someone had hit him in the gut and Sasuke glanced impassively at Naruto before scoffing. "If you think a change of clothes means anything dope you're a bigger loser than I thought," Sasuke said in monotone. "Sorry to get your panties in a twist, Uchiha, but this is the real me," Naruto said in matching monotone. "What you see is the result of my Kekkei Genkai activating and me tossing out that idiot facade I used to use. I'm sick of being looked down on. The facade had its uses, but this is much better. Now Iruka-sensei, I believe you have an announcement to make," Naruto said and then took a seat next to Hinata. She blushed and he gave her a kind smile while Iruka began telling the rest of the class some of the contents of the letter the Hokage had sent. All of them were stunned that Naruto was the last heir of the Kazama and Uzumaki clans and as such the son of the hero Rashi Kazama. Sasuke looked pissed off when Iruka informed them of some of Naruto's power and abilities as well as his Omnigan. When asked to activate his eyes, Naruto complied. The result was a bit freaky looking. Like the byakugan, veins bulged at the sides of Naruto's face near his eyes. However his eyes did the oddest thing of all. They turned entirely jet black, making it look like he had empty eye sockets before cycling through various other colors. There was no pupil, no retina and no whites, just eyes of solid flashing colors that would stop on a certain color if he was using a certain type of vision. Sasuke Uchiha silently seethed and brooded. How in the hell did a dope like Naruto gain a Kekkei Genkai? How did he unlock his powers so easily? It wasn't fair. He, Sasuke Uchiha, last heir of the Uchiha clan and elite and an avenger, needed that power, he thirsted for it. And while the Uchiha was sure the dope's skills and powers weren't a match for his own, it still bothered him that the loser was gaining power so quickly, he couldn't let a dead last pass him up. When his sharingan activated it would put the dope's Omnigan to shame, then he would prove his superiority to all. Sakura and Ino were gobsmacked. The dope they had treated so badly over the years was actually the son of the legendary Yellow Flash and had a Kekkei Genkai that could possibly make him even stronger than any other ninja in their generation, maybe even older generations as well. To find out that his annoying personality and stupidity was an act was like a slap to the face to both girls. They had horribly misjudged the boy, and while their loyalties were still with the Uchiha heir, both thought it would be a good idea to at least apologize for being so mean to him in the past and perhaps try to make friends. Hinata was in awe of Naruto. Not only was he sitting next to her, but he was smiling kindly and even making friendly conversation. It also seemed that everyone else was finally seeing him as she saw him. She could feel his power radiating off him even though he had muted it. His power was so potent that it still put off a Chunin level of power. Just as Iruka was about to start naming off team assignments, two rude Anbu appeared in the room, their attention pointed directly at Naruto, who returned their gaze impassively. "Shit, looks like things have already changed. The main events should remain the same, but from the information Shinigami-sama placed into my mind, I'm betting there will be various little changes that I'm going to have to get used to. Oh well, I do enjoy a challenge," Naruto thought. "Naruto Uzumaki, you are to come with us. Danzo-sama wishes to speak with you." Lefty, the one on the left, said tonelessly. "And so he managed to hear some of what the old man and I talked about earlier, huh?" Naruto mused. "I refuse," Naruto replied in a bored tone. "I'm afraid you have no choice, demon brat, we will take you by force." Righty snarled. Naruto let out a rather dark chuckle. "Is that so? Hate to break it to ya, but Kyuubi don't live here no more." Iruka nearly fainted on the spot. What the hell was going on? The rest of the students in class gawked at Naruto. Had he just admitted to knowing the nine-tailed demon lord? "What do you mean, brat?" Lefty asked with a sneer. Simple, the Kyuubi which my father sealed into me just before he died due to the fact he couldn't kill it, is no longer in me. The seals he placed on me bound Kyuubi's soul and powers to my own, and as I grew and continued to be put in life-threatening situations, assassination attempts, and the such, it forced the seal to work faster. My little bout with Mizuki team was the finishing blow. Kyuubi's soul faded from existence, and I gained all of its powers and abilities, hence giving me a new Kekkei Genkai. Naruto explained as if it were common knowledge. I know your pathetic little one-armed master wants to turn me into his own personal little weapon. Laughable, really. My loyalties are to the Hokage and anyone I deem fit. I will not be controlled, and anyone who tries. Naruto trailed off and let his demonic bloodlust out. I will crush them. He finished in a demonic tone. The pressure from Naruto's bloodlust was directed only at the two root, but everyone felt it, and it sent shivers down their spines to think an indirect dose was this potent. Many of the students quickly got away from Naruto, fear and terror evident on their faces. Oddly, it was only those of what would become known as the Rookie Nine that remained in their spots. The root looked ready to piss themselves and shakily drew their weapons as they killed their own emotions. This brat was too dangerous to let live. Raidi noticed the Hyuga girl next to him suddenly clutched to the brat's arm and hurled a kunai at her. Worst mistake they could have made. Even Iruka winced at the stupidity. Naruto's hand lashed out and snagged the weapon heading for Hinata's face, caught it and shattered it in his hand. Crimson chakra began swirling around him as he stood up, his eyes remained blue but glared balefully at the two root. His temper was nearing boiling point, but thankfully he was able to suppress the urge to enter into his berserker mode barely. You dare attack someone precious to me? I was going to let you fools off easy, but now I will make an example of you both. Naruto growled. He never noticed a bright blush on Hinata's face at his proclamation, or the looks of awe coming from the other students save the Uchiha who was glaring enviously at him. Kill the demon. Lefty roared. I don't think so. Naruto snarled. Naruto shot forward so fast he left an after image and delivered a bone-crushing blow to the root's gut, causing the man to be lifted off his feet and lose consciousness. Naruto flung the bastard off his arm and into the wall. Raidi threw a barrage of kunai and shuriken at Naruto. The young Hanyu cursed, if he moved they would hit Sakura and Ino who were several rows behind him. The girls in the room let out screams of terror as Naruto let the blades hit him, blocking only the one heading for his head. Nothing he couldn't easily heal, but damn was it annoying. The root smirked evilly behind his mask and threw another barrage, this time towards Shikamaru, Kiba, Choji and Shino. Naruto appeared in front of them and took another set of kunai to the chest, causing the other students to gawk. Why was Naruto protecting them? Pulling out a Fuma shuriken, the root hurled it at Sakura and Ino. Both Kunoichi screamed as Naruto appeared in front of them and took it right in the back just like Iruka had done for him a week ago. Both girls looked at him with tears in their eyes and frightened looks. He gave them a pained smile. I won't let either of you get hurt, I promise, Naruto grunted in pain. Naruto sneered. Is the little demon protecting his whores? How pathetic. Iruka blanched and ran for cover as Naruto's eyes flashed angry crimson. Naruto turned around and bared his fangs, killing intent now rolling off him in waves. The blades in his body fell out as his wounds sealed up in front of everyone. Kiba gulped. Oi Choji, you reckon there will be anything left of this root guy? Nope, he's screwed. Choji said dryly. Despite Naruto's former reputation, there were a few well-known facts about him. He hated perverts, womanizers, chauvinist pigs and anyone who picked on, beat on or insulted women or children. In the past it was they who were pranked the worst, but now this new Naruto, they shivered at the thought. Insult me, try to kill me or torture me, I do not care. But you dare insult two of my precious people in my presence, after trying to kill them I will tear you apart. Naruto growled. Both girls pulled a Hinata and blushed when he called them his precious people. In one movement Naruto flung an odd-shaped tri-pronged kunai at the root and formed a ball of swirling dark blue chakra in his hand. Iruka's eyes widened in shock, the two deadliest moves of Arashi Kazama and Naruto had mastered them. The Uzumaki-style Hiraishin Rasengan combo. Naruto snapped and vanished in a golden yellow flash of light, only to appear behind the root. 2 seconds later a massive hole appeared in the root's chest and the wall behind him as the energies Naruto used finally caught up with real time. The root let out a gurgling noise and fell over dead. The crimson chakra surrounding Naruto faded back into him as he powered down, his back still turned to the others. Sarutobi and Ibiki ran into the room, the Hokage had witnessed the whole thing in his viewing orb. Ibiki looked highly impressed, a genin taking out 2 root Anbu that was nothing to sneeze at. Sarutobi looked a little worried at what the possible outcome of this could be. Naruto's chances of making friends could have been blown because of Danzo's foolishness. I want this to be known right now. Naruto said, his voice back to normal and calm. I am not a demon, not completely. Because of Kyuubi being sealed into me, it made me into a half-demon, a Hanyu. I didn't have a choice in this, my father sealed Kyuubi to save this village, and I bared that burden as best as I could, just like I will bear the burden of being a Hanyu because of it. I mean no harm to anyone unless I am provoked, however I will leave your own judgments up to you. There will be no hard feelings. If you chose to hate me for what I am, I will understand, as I am used to it. Naruto plucked the Hiraishin kunai from the wall and placed it back in his pouch. I will continue to protect this village and the people in it as a way of honoring my father, Arashi Kazama. I am still Naruto Uzumaki and I always will be. All that I ask is a chance to prove that I am not like the stereotype evil half-breed that everyone believes that I am. That is all I have to say. Naruto then turned to the Hokage. Hokage-sama, could you please get my team assignment for me? I have a matter that needs to be dealt with. I will meet you in the council chambers in 1 hour's time. Naruto said and vanished in a flash of fire. Iruka sighed and walked back over to his desk as several normal Anbu came in to clean up the dead body and help Ibiki take the surviving route to interrogation. Sarutobi remained behind, perhaps he could help explain the situation better. The students nervously made their way back to their seats, fear and shock still evident on their faces. Sarutobi noted sadly that the young Uchiha heir looked rather angry, if not jealous, of the power he just saw being displayed. He sighed. He had hoped the last heir of the Uchiha clan would want to be different from the rest of his clan, but it seemed that their lust for power and prestige was genetic. Oh, Hokage-sama, is what Naruto said true? All of it? Sakura asked nervously. Yes, when he was born I had made a law so that no one of his generation would know the terrible secret he must bear. His father's dying wish was for Naruto to be seen as a hero, one that would use the power that once nearly destroyed Konoha to protect it. However, that was not how it happened. Sarutobi sighed, feeling all of his years more and more by the second. Since the sealing, Naruto has had an assassination attempt made on him at least twice a month, if not more so. The civilians of this village refuse to see him for who he is, rather they only see the demon that was sealed in him. As such, he was thrown out of the orphanage when he was 5 and forced to live alone since then. He has never had any friends until recently and has had to survive on his own. Every year on his birthday he has to go into hiding to keep angry mobs of villagers from hunting him down, trying to kill him. He refuses to fight back because he truly doesn't want to hurt them. Only recently did he discover the truth, and instead of hating everyone, he is striving even harder to find a place to. So that's why mom always told me to stay away from him. Sakura muttered. She said he was dangerous and a disgrace to this village. She had a frown on her face. Do you honestly believe that? Sarutobi asked. At first I did, but after today, after he took all those kunai and shuriken by using his own body as a shield, I don't. She answered. Sasuke scoffed. The dobe is still part demon, who's to say he isn't playing you all for fools? If he tries anything against me, I will kill him like the beast he is. Iruka scowled at the boy while the other students looked at him in a mix of disgust or awe. His fan club was obviously going to back their precious Uchiha. Sakura and Ino just looked at their crush with disbelief. Naruto had just saved their lives. How can you say that, Uchiha? Naruto just saved out skins because of those root guys. Kiba said angrily. Sasuke snorted. You idiots were only in danger because of the dobe's presence. The root wouldn't have attacked you had it not been here. As long as the demon stays out of my way, though, I don't care what it does. Sasuke sneered and returned to his brooding. Sakura and Ino were torn. Part of them wanted to side with their crush, but the other part of them, their logical sides, were angry that Sasuke could be so cruel towards Naruto. It wasn't his fault that he became a half-demon. Both girls were extremely confused as to what they should do. Hinata just settled for giving the boy an uncharacteristic glare. Sarutobi sighed. He was afraid something like this would happen. Before any more of you get worked up, it should also be known that Naruto, being a Hanyu, is going to be considered as Kekkei Genkai, since some of his powers and abilities and the Omnigan will be passed on if he ever has children. I am not going to order any of you to like him, but I do ask that you give the boy a chance now. Iruka, let's hear the team assignments. Iruka nodded and started naming them off. Eventually he got to Team 7. Team 7: Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha. Your Jounin sensei will be Kakashi Haddock. Iruka said with a slight frown. Not a good team for Naruto to be on, though he was relieved that Sakura didn't seem to mind. Sasuke just seemed to scowl. Team 8: Kiba Inuzuka, Hinata Hyuga and Shino Aburam. Your Jounin sensei will be Kurina Yuhi. Team 9 is still in rotation from last term. Iruka announced. Team 10: Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka and Choji Akimichi. Your Jounin sensei will be Asuma Sarutobi. Your Jounin sensei will be here to pick you up after the lunch hour is over with. Just wait here in this room until they have shown up to get you, and good luck to you all. Iruka said and followed the Hokage out of the room. Sarutobi and Iruka walked into a surprise as they entered the Hokage's office. Danzo was there, beaten to within an inch of his life, bound and gagged. Naruto stood next to him stone-faced and with his clothes in tatters and stained with his blood. The wounds had obviously healed, but it looked as if the boy had taken a good load of shit before managing to get Danzo. How did the others take what happened? Naruto asked in monotone. Sarutobi sighed once again. It seems as if some of them will not judge you harshly. Several students showed their support. The one you need to watch out for is Sasuke Uchiha. He now refuses to regard you as a human. Sadly you are on his team as well along with Haruno-san. Naruto nodded. I figured as much. Now is there anything you want to know from the one-armed freak before I send him to Shinigami-sama? Naruto asked. Did he have any files in his office? Sarutobi asked thoughtfully. Yes, I put them on your desk. I also discovered that the bastard was working for Orochimaru as an informant on the snake bastards, promised to let him have control of Konoha after he destroys it. I hadn't expected it to be so soon. Naruto answered, glaring at Danzo's trembling and beaten form. Sarutobi narrowed his eyes. I see very well then. That is all I need to know other than the amount of root left. None. They attacked me and I eliminated them. The only surviving member is with Ibiki right now. The so-called root Anbu of Konoha has fallen. Naruto stated. Iruka looked stunned. But how did you take on that many Anbu and live? The roots are supposed to be the toughest there is aside from Black Ops. Have Jai-san explain it to you. I trust you with my secrets. As for this traitor, Naruto hoisted him in the air. I've got to finish what I started with him, then get back to the academy later. Naruto and Danzo vanished in a flash of lightning and a crack of thunder. Iruka blinked. Interesting form of teleportation jutsu, he muttered. Indeed. Now then, Iruka-san, shall we discuss our young friend? Sarutobi started. This was getting old. So far he had to explain to Kakashi, Anko, Ibiki and several of the clan heads. So much for the meeting later. After relieving Danzo of his soul and burning the man's body to ash, Naruto teleported to his apartment and changed his clothes into an identical set he had been wearing. He then sealed his wrecked ones away, in hopes he could fix them. If not, he'd have to find a tailor to make him some new clothes. He let out a sigh as he began walking back towards the academy. He didn't want his secrets to be out so soon, but that arrogant prick Danzo just had to send 2 of his lapdogs to try and get him. It's not like he really wanted to hide what he was, he just would have preferred that he could have told everyone in his own time on his own terms. Now he was going to be stuck on a team with Sasuke, who hated him in the future due to Kyuubi and now here in the past as well. Sakura he wasn't too sure about. She had accepted him in the future. It had been one of those rare run times when he had run into his old friends when they were on a mission. It had only happened a couple of times, and he offered to help them each time. It was funny in a way. He had been classified, forcefully, as a missing nin, but Tsunade had told her most trusted to ignore it. Naruto always did have a few allies in Konoha, mainly some of the main shinobi clans, his friends, a few shinobi, the Ichirakus, Tsunade and Jiraiya. But this time he didn't know if it was going to happen that way. His secret had been let out far too soon, and the timeline as he knew it was altered. By how much he wasn't sure. As it was, things could either get worse for him than in the previous timeline, or they could become better. If things got worse though, he would only remain in Konoha long enough to ensure the deaths of Orochimaru, Kabuto, Sasuke if he tried anything and the Akatsuki. After that he would retire his status and leave. Perhaps in time, a few centuries down the line, he would be able to find a place to belong. Maybe he could even start his own hidden village. The thoughts left a sour taste in his mouth. He had always loved Konoha, despite what the ignorant ones had done to him. It was his home. Letting out another sigh, he decided not to dwell on it. What would happen would happen. Naruto entered the classroom to see that the other students were just coming back in from lunch. He quietly took a seat in the back, closed his eyes, and began to meditate. The last thing he needed at the moment was hateful glares. It wasn't to be so easy though, as he felt the presence of several people gather around him. He sighed once more. Did you want something or have you come to kill the demon? He asked in monotone. No, we just wanted to thank you for protecting us, you know. Kiba said. Naruto opened his eyes to see the rookie 9 surrounding him, all except Sasuke, but that was expected. Naruto looked at Kiba for a moment and saw he was sincere. He then glanced at the others. Shino gave him a nod of acceptance. Chaoji had his usual kind smile, Shikamaru gave him a half smile, Hinata blushed and twiddled her fingers in a cute manner. Ino and Sakura were surprised even. More so was the slightly sad looks they had on their faces and a pleading look in their eyes, almost as if they were asking for some sort of acceptance. You don't have to thank me, to be honest. I should probably be apologizing to you all, since you were only put in danger because of my presence. I only did what I had to do to protect you. No one should suffer because of what I am. Naruto stated, his voice more normal now but still holding a bit of monotone. Why the hell should such a thing matter, damn it? Kiba said with a growl. Look at my clan, we are feral, so what should it matter if you are a Hanyu? I agree. Shino added in his usual monotone. My clan allows bugs to live in our bodies, do you think any less of us for such a thing? No, not at all. Naruto answered honestly. Then why should you be judged for something you had no control over? Choji added. Naruto arched an eyebrow. This was unexpected. That may be true, but what is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word demon? He countered. Troublesome. Shikamaru sighed. We've all known you long enough that even after what happened earlier that you aren't some bloodthirsty monster, you're just Naruto, simple as that. We believe in why you Naruto-kun. Hinata added shyly. You all do realize that most if not all of your parents will think that I have somehow corrupted you. Naruto commented. He appreciated the support, but he wanted them aware of the price. If you continue to show such support, there is a chance that your parents might disown you, not to mention your reputations being tarnished due to association with me. Not mine. Ino said proudly. They have supported you for ages, I just didn't know why till now. I don't care what my mother thinks. Sakura said softly, causing Naruto to start slightly. I'll just have to make her see you for who you really are, my friend, that is if you want to be. She added hopefully. Naruto let a small smile grace his features. I would be honored, the same goes for the rest of you. With my friendship comes my loyalty and protection. If any of you need me, just flare your chakra in 2 consecutive short bursts, I will come to your aid. So which team am I on? He asked. He already knew the answer, but had to act like he didn't. I team with Sasuke. Sakura trailed off. Naruto and the others arched their eyebrows. She had left out the affectionate suffix. This is very strange. I didn't expect such a show of support so soon, especially from Kiba, Sakura and Ino. Perhaps things won't be so bad after all. Naruto silently mused. Sasuke walked in and glared at Naruto. Watch yourself, demon, if you do something I don't like I will kill you. He said coldly, causing the group with Naruto, even his supposed fangirls, to glare or scowl at him. Naruto just glanced at Sasuke lazily. I've been threatened by bigger, badder and more powerful beings than you, Uchiha, and you don't have the power to kill me. I could care less if you hate me and want me dead, pick a friggin' number, but we are on the same team and I expect you to act as such. Naruto said in monotone. Truth was Sasuke could kill him if he got a lucky shot. Naruto's immortality wouldn't kick back in until he reached 25. He wouldn't be easy to kill by any means, but until then it would be possible, not that the prick needed to know such things. Sasuke sneered at Naruto once more and flashed a hateful glare at the others before taking his seat. Naruto noticed the hurt looks on Sakura's and Ino's faces and sighed. About 2 hours later, all that remained in the room were Team 7. Naruto had drawn Griever and was polishing the blade. He let out a slight frown. He'd have to go get more clover oil later since he had just used the last of it, perhaps some other tools and a sword upkeep and repair kit as well. Sakura was over with Sasuke and trying to play peacemaker and hopefully get a date with him. So far the emo bastard just ignored her and outright refused her offers for a date. Naruto looked at her with pity. Even without today's revelations, he knew that Sasuke would never consider her for a date since she was in his mind weak, pathetic and worthless, just like he did in the future. It was times like this that Naruto seriously had to question the last Uchiha's sexuality. Sakura did have her annoying points, but she was very attractive for her age and would grow into a stunningly beautiful woman with skills on par with Tsunade. Naruto just shrugged his loss, though it was probably due to all the inbreeding the Uchiha did to keep their bloodline pure. Sadly, the Hyuga weren't much different. It was a surprise Hinata turned out as well as she did. Sakura sighed and finally gave up. Part of her wondered why she even bothered. Sure, he was handsome, dark and mysterious, but he sadly had the personality of a rock, angst, emo-ridden rock, but a rock nonetheless. Her more stubborn part wanted to keep trying in hopes she would crack his outer shell and she would be allowed in. She let out a mixed huff sigh and looked at Naruto. He was calmly polishing the blade of his sword with a rather serene look on his features. Sakura had to admit, now that she actually took the time to look at him, he was very handsome in that rugged, feral sort of way. She had seen that he could be fierce and deadly, but she could see that he had a gentle side, a side that just wanted acceptance. Her mother had always told her that he was dangerous, a bad kid who would sooner hurt her than look at her. She scoffed slightly. Yeah, he was dangerous, but if he had meant her any sort of harm, he wouldn't have taken that Fuma shuriken in the back for her and Ino and then vowed to protect them. Sakura may be shallow at times, but she was far from stupid. She knew the price that would come with being Naruto's friend. At one time she would have laughed at the thought of being his friend, but now she looked forward to it. He was nice to her and treated her like a lady with respect. Naruto could feel Sakura looking at him, so he looked up from what he was doing and flashed his trademark foxy grin, not the fake one but the true one, in hopes of raising her spirits. Sakura flushed slightly as she suddenly felt an odd twinge in her stomach. That grin of his kami makes him so hot. Inner Sakura cheered. Sakura just agreed mutely. Normally she would say something like no one could be as handsome as Sasuke, but she just couldn't bring herself to. You need something, Sakura-chan. Naruto asked kindly as he resheathed his blade. And no, just admiring your swords. She lied. Really never figured you for a Kinjutsu fan. Naruto said. You always struck me as a menin or Jinjutsu mistress though, I bet you could probably learn some good Taijutsu too. Naruto praised. Well, I would like to learn medical jutsu and some Jinjutsu, but I don't really know much Taijutsu. As for Kinjutsu, I just like to watch. She said a bit shyly. Naruto looked at her for a moment as he mulled over some of his own thoughts. Finally he came to a decision. How serious are you about becoming a menin? He asked. Very. Tsunade Senju of the Sannin is one of my idols. She answered. I agree, a woman truly worthy of her title. Naruto commented. If you would like, I can help you with medical jutsu, I know a few, and I can help you train into jutsu. Can't help you with Jinjutsu though, I have no talent in it and can only dispel them. I'll also help you increase your stamina, chakra reserves, control, strength and speed if you like. Why you do that for me? Sakura asked, shocked at the boy's kindness. Naruto gave her a warm smile. Sure, you're my friend and my teammate, you want to learn so you can achieve your dreams. Besides, I'm sure with enough training you could be just as good if not better than Tsunade, all you have to do is believe in yourself. Sasuke let out a snort of disgust but otherwise remained quiet. Thankfully Sakura hadn't heard him as she was happily thinking of the things she could learn from Naruto. She was very happy that he would call her his friend even after the way she used to treat him. She silently vowed to be a good friend to him and never to let him down. At that moment a man in standard jounin wear, silver hair that defied gravity and a face mask on walked into the room. Team 7? He asked lazily and the three nodded. My first impression, this should be interesting. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. With that he vanished in a swirl of leaves. Kakashi nearly jumped out of his skin when Naruto and Sakura suddenly appeared next to him in a swirl of burning leaves. Sakura had an odd expression on her face and sit down, Naruto chuckled. I made a few new types of teleport jutsu, depending on your element I will teach you the normal one and a special one. He said and the pink-haired girl smiled. I see, so Hokage-sama wasn't just pulling my leg. To think that this Naruto is really from the future and trying to stop a horrible event from happening. I will do my best to help him, it's the least I can do for the son of my former sensei. Kakashi thought. Nice trick with the Shunshin jutsu, Naruto. Kakashi said with his usual eye smile. Naruto gave him a half smile, he knew full well that the old man would have explained things to Kakashi since the man was on his trusted list. It's really easy, all you have to do is perform your usual teleport and then add your element chakra to it instead of the usual, which for this village is either leaves or smoke. If you have more than one element type you can combine them too though. It takes more control to do it. Sasuke stormed onto the roof and pushed Naruto aside, grumbling about demon show-offs. Kakashi glared at the boy, Naruto yawned, and Sakura just shook her head. Alrighty then, why don't we start things off by introducing ourselves to get to know each other better. I'll go first. Kakashi stated. My name is Kakashi Haddock. My likes are reading. Dislikes and hobbies, I will keep those to myself. My dreams for the future don't really have any at the time. Naruto snickered while Sakura sweat-dropped. The Lord of Brood just remained silent. Okay then, you're up next, Pinky. Kakashi said. Sakura shot him a slight glare. My name is Sakura Haruno. My likes are reading, cooking and sushi. My dislikes are mean people, perverts and bullies. My hobbies are reading, learning new things and testing out new recipes. My dream is to become a great menin. She stated. She glanced slightly at Naruto who smiled and nodded his approval. She blushed slightly and smiled back. Much better than last time, it seems Sakura-chan is seeing emo boy for who he really is. Naruto thought, glad to see his friend having a more level head this time around. I'm impressed, I had heard that she was one of the Uchiha's most loyal fangirls. But now it seems that her interests are switching to Naruto. Funny thing is he seems oblivious and she doesn't realize it yet. She also seems quite level-headed and from what I've learned from her files, medical jutsu and jinjutsu would be perfect for her. Kakashi thought. You're next, duck ass. Kakashi pointed to Sasuke who scowled. Naruto had to hide his snicker behind a sudden cough. Even Sakura looked to be holding back a giggle. Until now she hadn't noticed, but his hairstyle did resemble the rear end of a duck. I am Sasuke Uchiha. I have no likes and many dislikes. My hobbies are training and learning new jutsu. I have no dream, rather an ambition. To restore my clan and to kill a certain man. And Sasuke trailed off with a sneer as he glanced at Naruto for a moment. Well, aren't I special, not surprised though, oh well. Naruto mused dryly. Sakura frowned. The more she was around Sasuke this day, the more she realized he wasn't who she thought he was. Just wonderful, an avenger with questionable mental stability who obviously wants to kill one of his own teammates. I will do my best to change that. I owe it to Obito's memory, but if he tries anything suspicious I'll stop him myself. Kakashi shook his head in disappointment. You're next, Blondie. Kakashi pointed to Naruto, who chuckled good-naturedly. My name is Naruto Kazama Uzumaki. I like reading, studying and inventing seals and trying new foods. I dislike ignorance, arrogance, cruelty, perverts and evil demons. My hobbies are gardening, training, learning jutsu and hunting evil demons when they appear. My dreams are to one day restore my clan, to make my father proud and surpass him, and to become the strongest Hokage in Leaf history. Impressive, but then again he has the mind of a mature adult in the body of a 13-year-old boy. Still, his goals are admirable despite the horrible way he has been treated. Arashi-sensei, you would be proud of your son. Kakashi thought with a small smile. Evil demons. Aren't all demons evil? Sakura asked curiously as she tilted her head to the side cutely. Well, I am a Hanyu, and I would like to think that I am not evil. But to answer your question, no, not all demons are evil. There are as many types of demons out there as there are humans. I know for a fact that the two-tailed demoness, Nibi no Nekomanta, is not evil. Summoned creatures are actually a branch of demons called dire beasts, and they aren't evil, well, most of them. Most demons prefer to remain neutral though and not get involved with humans. I am the exception since I am a Hanyu, the first in millennia. Though my demonic blood is more dominant than my human blood, I still retain my humanity, but consider this: there are humans that are just as evil, if not more so, than some of the most vile demons breeds out there, one being former Snake San and Orochimaru. Naruto explained. Kakashi nodded. As a ninja you must always look underneath the underneath. Just because someone or something is supposed to be evil by stereotype doesn't mean that they are. That makes sense. Sakura said, still in thought. You said demons have ranks, what's yours? To be totally honest, I am the new nine-tailed lord, but there are demons out there that are still equal to, if not more so, to Kyuubi's power. Naruto answered. You sure seem to be taking this rather well, Sakura-chan. Sakura flushed. Well, I was just curious. I don't really care if you are a demon lord, you're still Naruto-kun to me. She said, not even realizing she used the affectionate suffix. Hun, she called me Naruto-kun. Holy shit. I never expected anything like this. Bah, I need to calm down and not read so much into it. It was probably just an accident. Naruto thought, his face remained in his usual kind expression and betrayed none of his thoughts. Kakashi had a slightly smug look in his visible eyes. Sasuke brooding to himself as usual. Thanks, Sakura-chan. Naruto said with a smile. If you two are finished, can we get this over with? I have more important things to do. Sasuke sneered at them. They're right anyways. Kakashi started. Tomorrow you three will be taking your final test to see if you are truly worthy of becoming genin. It will be a survival exam at 7 am, meet at the bridge to training ground 7, so remember to bring your gear. Oh, don't eat breakfast either or you'll puke. I'll give you a fair warning though, your chances of passing this exam are slim, as there are only 9 genin out of the entire graduating class that are ever chosen to pass this final test. Good luck. Kakashi said with a wave and vanished in a swirl of leaves. Sasuke shot one more glare at Naruto before leaving to train as usual. Naruto shook his head and sighed. But that kind of attitude, we will fail the test. He said in an almost pitying tone. What do you mean? Sakura asked. Naruto was a bit surprised that she didn't try to go after the boy. Well, part of my former facade was to keep people thinking I was far more stupid than anyone else and had no common sense. I assure you that is false. I don't like to think of myself as a genius, but I have a lot of street smarts, and common sense tactics were one of my favorite things to study by myself. Naruto started. Anyway, there are a few things I know about this final test that most wouldn't get until later. The main part of the test is to see if we can work as a team and to gauge our skill levels. No matter the skill levels though, we will fail if we do not show teamwork. That is after all the purpose of the 3-man genin cells, to teach us how to work as a team. And logically speaking, no genin or even 3 together stand a chance against a seasoned jounin like Kakashi. But you took down 2 Anbu earlier and they are jounin level or higher. Sakura pointed out. Yeah, I'm kinda an exception to that rule since I've been training to be a ninja since I was 5 years old. I have some secrets, someday I will tell you them when you're ready, but it is because of those secrets that I am so powerful. But don't underestimate Kakashi, he is powerful and would give me one hell of a fight. Naruto stated. He didn't want to reveal his secrets to her just yet, not until she proved to be trustworthy. Sakura frowned. But how are we going to get Sasuke to work with us? He hates you, and I don't think he's too fond of me at the moment either. She said, looking a bit hurt. Naruto sighed and placed his hand on her shoulder in a comforting manner. I know, I will think of something. Besides, the council will not allow him to fail and will force Kakashi to pass him if need be. And I am sorry you have to see him for who he truly is. Like me, he has had a hard life. Unlike me, he is choosing the darker paths to take. He is obsessed with power and thirsts for it. The desire for revenge clouds and taints his soul. I don't hate him, if anything, I pity him. His path will only lead to his own destruction, but his own arrogance and ignorance will not allow him to see it. Naruto said softly. Sakura looked sad. Is there any way we could fix this, change him? I wish there was, but you can't force someone to change, they have to want to change. All I will ever be to Sasuke is a stepping stone, he sees me as an obstacle to killing his brother. Naruto sighed again. I know you have feelings for him and I'm sorry if what I said upsets you. But I only speak the truth. My Omnigan can't see into the souls of others, his is already far too tainted for even me to help, he has chosen his path, the path of vengeance. Just like I have chosen my path, the path of a protector. You are my friend and I will always be there for you, but I will not make your choices for you. I hope with Sasuke you can make the right choice so you don't get hurt. Just remember, if you ever need to talk to me you know how to get me. Naruto said. Sakura looked deeply into Naruto's eyes and saw a maturity there that far surpassed his years. His eyes, when he let them be, were very expressive. She could see pain and loneliness swirling in them, but also towards herself, she could see a deep affection that he seemed to try to hide. Normally she would think he was crazy and that no one could be better than Sasuke, but something deep within her was telling her to trust him. It was a strange feeling that rooted itself deep in her heart, almost like it was an instinct rather than an emotion. She didn't want to give up on Sasuke just yet, she still believed that there might be a chance to get him to come around, but she would heed Naruto's words and be careful. For once her inner persona was silent, as if it agreed with Naruto wholeheartedly. She herself was sorely tempted to as well, but that now dwindling part of her that was a fangirl refused to give up just yet. Thank you, Naruto-kun, I still want to try and help Sasuke, but I will remember what you said. Sakura stated, still not realizing she had placed the suffix on Naruto's name. Naruto nodded to her with a smile. That is all that I ask. He looked thoughtful for a moment. Oh, before I leave I want you to promise me to eat some breakfast in the morning. The reason he told us not to was to purposely make us weaker, it is part of the test. Besides, Kakashi is well known for many things, but one of the biggest things is that he never arrives on time for anything and is usually 2 to 3 hours late unless otherwise ordered by the Hokage. Sakura gave a nod, it made sense if today was anything to go by. Naruto waved goodbye and vanished in a swirl of flames, leaving the young woman to her thoughts. Chapter 4, Changing Council. Akira Sarutobi along with his son Asuma, Kurenai Yuhi, Kakashi Haddock, Gai Mito and Anko Mitarashi stood in the Hokage's office. The three new Jounin sensei were there to give their report on their new teams. Gai and Anko were waiting for Ibiki to come so they and the rest could start an important council meeting that would change Konoha forever. It had been 4 hours since the team meetings finished with Kakashi's. Well, how did your team fare, Asuma? Sarutobi asked. Pretty well, Pops. The Yamanaka girl is a bit loud and bossy, but she's good with her clan jutsu. Choji is as well. The surprise was Shikamaru Nara. He acts lazy like most of the Nara clan, but this kid seems to be much smarter, a lazy genius if you will. I think I will have his IQ tested later if they pass the final test. Asuma reported. Very well, Kurenai-san. Sarutobi asked. I think my team has a good shot at passing the test. Though Kiba is loud and brash, he has a good head on his shoulders. Shino is much like the other Abiram, meaning he is stoic and hard to read. Then there is Hinata. She is unlike the others of the Hyuga clan due to her immense shyness, but she shows the will to change herself and become better. She also seems quite taken with Naruto Uzumaki. Kurenai stated with a slight smile. She was also a Naruto supporter. Asuma chuckled. Ino Yamanaka also seemed to like the kid, instead of talking about the Uchiha kid she talked about him and his amazing skills that he showed earlier today. I don't think she realizes it yet, but she has a crush on him. My. Naruto-kun seems to be full of the springtime of youth. Guy shouted happily, causing the others to sweat drop. I'm not so sure about my team. Kakashi said with a slight frown. Sarutobi sighed. I figured as much, so what did you see? Well, Sakura Haruno seems to be getting out of her Uchiha fangirl phase and is also taking an interest in Naruto. That could be a good thing. Naruto is, as you said, very mature for his age, has admirable goals and is very powerful and intelligent. Sasuke Uchiha however now sees Naruto as a threat or possible stepping stone to get closer to killing his brother. Sasuke didn't voice it but definitely showed intent to kill Naruto if the chance is provided. As such, the only teamwork I expect to see will come from Naruto and Sakura. Kakashi said, crossing his arms. This will be a problem even with Danzo now out of our hair, the council will not let you fail the Uchiha. They do not want to risk losing the Sharingan. I know for a fact that the elders have already set up a few arranged marriages to ensure the line is carried on, though why they chose civilians is beyond me. Sarutobi stated. Simple Jai-san, they chose civilians because they are less likely to be killed in the line of duty and are easily controlled. Naruto's voice said from above. Startled, everyone looked up to see Naruto standing upside down on the ceiling using his chakra. He flashed them a foxy grin and a wave before releasing himself to land next to Kakashi. Sorry about the surprise entrance, but I figured it would be best if I was here when we had the council meeting, rather than show up a little later. Naruto fished through his scroll pouch and pulled out a sealing scroll and handed it to Kakashi. This scroll contains 10 Hiraishin kunai and a copy of the instructions my dad left to me. I figured as his student he would have wanted you to have it and I would like you well prepared for the future. All that I ask is you not share that jutsu with anyone unless I give you permission, since it is a family jutsu. Naruto said. Kakashi looked stunned as he gazed at the scroll Naruto gave him. He had always dreamed of learning the Hiraishin, Arashi had promised to teach him, but when the Kyuubi attacked, he had to break that promise. What was more was that Naruto to give him this must have meant that he considered Kakashi family. Kakashi didn't know what to say. Naruto smiled at him. In my father's will he had said he wanted to teach you the Hiraishin, but because of the Kyuubi attack he wasn't able to. You were like a son to him and in a sense that would make you kinda like my older brother, and I trust you, so I decided to let you have the Hiraishin to add to your arsenal, to both honor my father's wishes and as an act of goodwill. Kakashi just nodded dumbly and carefully put away the scroll. Sarutobi looked bemused at the two. Why an act of goodwill my boy? He asked. Because even though I am a Hanyu I want to prove that despite the stereotype of how all things even slightly demonic were evil that was just a load of crap. I know some will never view me as a person, but as a demon, I don't really care anymore so long as the important people in my life know that I am just Naruto that is fine with me. The others if I can't earn their respect then. That is the way it will have to be, it will not change my goals or my dreams. Naruto answered. At that moment each of the other ninja in the room felt a deep sense of respect for Naruto. Though only a few of them didn't know the whole story, they wouldn't have cared. Their acute senses as ninja allowed them to detect any and all falsehoods in a person's voice, no matter their power level or ability, and Naruto had spoken nothing but the honest truth. Sarutobi smiled. Well then, we will help you as best we can but now back to business, what is your opinion on the matter with Sasuke Uchiha? Naruto frowned and thought. Well he is arrogant, ignorant, cruel to those he deems weak and obsessed with revenge. My Omnigan has seen into his soul it is tainted with darkness right to its core. He is extremely jealous of me because of the power I had shown earlier, yet he doesn't seem to realize or care about the price I had to pay. Naruto explained. He will continue to train, his thirst for power cannot be quenched it never will be due to his mental instability. If he does not get the power he seeks here in Konoha he will abandon the village without a second thought to gain the power he desires to kill both me and his brother. Sadly he has a better chance of killing Itachi than he does me, and when I reach 25 his goal to kill me will become moot as I will become immortal at that age. However I can and will protect myself, simply put, if he tries to kill me, I will stop him but I will not kill him unless he commits an act that deserves such a punishment. Your best option is to have Kakashi-sensei take him on as an apprentice stroke the Uchiha's ego if you will. That will keep him under some form of control. It's all a matter of playing a simple mind game with him to make him think he is being seen as a superior. Just teach him some decent jutsu and give him some good training, and who knows in time he may get it through his thick skull that revenge isn't the answer just don't teach him something like the Chidori or Rikiri that would be a fatal error since I am sure he would use it to try to kill me or someone close to me to get at me. Damn. That is quite perceptive for a 13-year-old. Asuma stated. As a shinobi it is my job to be perceptive, just like it is my duty and honor to serve our Hokage and protect this village from any threat. Naruto answered. Still foresight like that usually comes much later in life and after much training, hardships and lessons. Guy said in an uncharacteristic serious tone. Sarutobi winced he hadn't told Kurenai, Asuma or Guy about Naruto's other secret yet. That is to be expected when you have the mind of a 35-year-old man and the body of a 13-year-old boy. Naruto said calmly. Gigi please pull out your viewing orb it is time for them to see the hellish future I come from. Sarutobi nodded as the other Jounin gawked wide-eyed. Ibiki had just walked in as he made that statement and frowned this wasn't going to be a good show to watch. Naruto then began going through various hand seals at high speed as his chakra began to collect in a soft glowing wide orb in front of him. Sage Arts Memory Copy Jutsu. Naruto intoned as the orb of light flared once and then settled into the viewing orb. What you are about to see is all the important memories of events that happened in my life right up until Shinigami-sama sent me back in time to correct it. This is a SSS class secret I am trusting each of you with this since you proved trustworthy in my previous time, line now watch the hell that was my life. Naruto said in monotone. It took nearly 2 hours for the show to end. It had touched on the horrible abuses Naruto had seen as a child to the crap he took when he joined Team 7, which Naruto noticed a look of shame cross Kakashi's eye. They saw all of his achievements and how he never got a shred of thanks for his work or sacrifices in fact, some of his hard-earned victories were given to the Uchiha. They saw the Sound Sand War, Sarutobi's death, Orochimaru's treachery the list went on and on. It got even worse when they saw Naruto get exiled by Danzo and a corrupt council and be marked as a missing nin. They saw his life as a mercenary, how he would still help other Leaf Nin when he could, his battles with Sasuke, Orochimaru and the Akatsuki and finally the downfall of Konoha and his deal with Shinigami. The reactions varied. Sarutobi had seen this already but still showed great anger. Kakashi looked both shamed and enraged, Guy and Asuma seemed to share his reaction. Ibiki had a grim look of understanding on his face having seen horrible things himself. Kurenai looked ready to burst into tears and Anko looked ready to kill the council. Naruto sighed. And there you have it, I came back to stop what you saw from happening. Danzo is already gone and I destroyed his root organization. When Orochimaru attacks I will reap his soul and send it to Shinigami-sama and then I will start with the Akatsuki. Kurenai looked at the boy sadly. But why would you help a bunch of ungrateful fools? Why protect those who caused your suffering? She asked. Because that is who I am. I was chosen, be it by my father, fate, destiny or a mix of the three, to be a sacrifice. I fight that to show that I am more than a sacrifice or a scapegoat. I protect the ignorant villagers because I can in a way understand their pain, since I am in a manner of speaking a living reminder of their loss and the horrors of that night 13 years ago. If I were to give in to the darkness and pain, then it would just cause this whole thing to repeat itself in a vicious cycle of hate and pain, and that goes against my nature. I accept what and who I am, I have friends and people here worth protecting, and for that I can bear these burdens. Though Kyuubi no longer exists I do, and by assimilating all of her power I have become the new nine-tailed lord. But I made the decision to return to the past, protect those I once could not, fix what once went wrong, and watch over this village. It is not only the wish of my father, but mine as well. This is my home, that is all there is to it. Naruto stated. Anko shook her head, amazed by the boy's ability to forgive and his will to fight and protect others. You are too damn noble for your own good, you know that, right? She asked. Naruto grinned. Yaparuka-sensei always did say that I never knew when to quit. I got a second chance and in effect so did all of you, and I'll be damned if I wasted. A few chuckles filled the room as the others agreed. Anyway, we went off subject. We will handle Sasuke like so. When he is with us, Kakashi, I want you to show some favoritism towards him, stroke his ego and all that. Meaning I want you to take him to another training ground for a while during our training, since he will be labeled your apprentice. I will see to it that Sakura is trained, and I don't want Sasuke to see some of the techniques I have. I created them and there are few I will share with outside of this room. Naruto stated. I will be helping Sakura train mainly in stamina, speed, strength, control and increasing her reserves at first. Then I will check for her elemental affinity and train her in that, some medical jutsu, and a few of my special jutsu, which is basically advanced chakra manipulation. Asuma looked interested. Advanced chakra manipulation. Yeah. I have learned how to manipulate my chakra to the point I can get it to solidify into weapons like kunai and shuriken, including my elemental affinities. I can also make a blade out of chakra like Kakashi-sensei's Rikiri, but my most useful one is the chakra barrier and shield. The shield is for self-protection by making your chakra solidify and create a large shield in front of you that you can manipulate to either guard your front or back. The barrier works best with shadow clones and can protect a group of people so long as your chakra holds out. Both work on the basic principle of using your chakra to create a solid object like the shadow clone and Rasengan, but they don't require nearly as much chakra to use. The catch is, in order to keep them up you have to feed them chakra after a few hits or they will shatter. They are high chunin to low jounin level techniques, cannot be copied by the sharingan because they lack hand seals, and using them promotes the growth of your own chakra reserves and control. Naruto said in lecture mode. The jounin in the room looked extremely eager to learn this new form of jutsu. Had Kakashi's mask been off, Sarutobi was sure he would have been drooling. Even Guy, who preferred the use of taijutsu, saw the merits of having such a powerful jutsu. Your father would be proud, my boy. He too was always looking to create new and useful jutsu. How soon do you think you could have scrolls ready for this interesting new technique of yours? The Hokage asked. By tomorrow. I have 20 shadow clones at home writing them down on scrolls for those who prove trustworthy. In time when I will most likely publish a handbook on some of them like the chakra weapon jutsu. I do ask that certain ones like the shield and barrier jutsu be kept to yourselves unless I say otherwise, since they are well beyond genin level, unless said genin are highly trained. Naruto stated. I'll have a clone bring them here to Jai-sen's office. He added as an afterthought. So then Kakashi, do you agree to Naruto's plan? Sarutobi asked. Yes. I'm not really thrilled with it or with the way I acted in his previous timeline, but I agree that the best way to do this is to keep Sasuke under control as best we can. The elderly Hokage nodded and then turned to Naruto. I know you wish to climb the ranks like anyone else has to, but by rights you should be elite jounin or elite jounin. As such, your official title will remain Genin, but once you reach Jounin, I will give you the rank of Special Jounin or Elite Jounin, that is if you have a summoner specialties. In the previous timeline I had two. I learned how to summon toads thanks to Erosenin, this got a few chuckles. And later I signed the contract for foxes. This time I will stick with fox summons, I just need to go get the contract and sign it again. Caillou-chan has it in a cave not far from this village. Naruto's face goes slight pained at the mention of Kyuubi. The other ninja in the room would have thought him crazy had they not seen in his memories what the demon vixen had done for him, how she had been there and comforted him. It was clear that he had really loved her, and she had loved him once the evil forced into her was cleansed through the seal. You really did love her, didn't you? Kurenai asked, referring to Kyuubi. Naruto nodded, his impassive mask once again in place. Do you know why she attacked 13 years ago? Kakashi asked. Yes, I do. She was summoned by a man with the mangyeko sharingan Madara Uchiha. We know it wasn't Itachi since he was too young and didn't have it. All we know is that he was a Uchiha, but he reeked of death and brimstone, and Madara had once before manipulated Kyuubi using his sharingan. Our best guess was that he made some sort of deal or pact with an archdemon. The reason she went berserk was because she was forced into her human form and tortured with Tsukuyomi while a demon implanted tainted chakra into her body. We think that it was a humanoid demon lord named Zenobus. When I do find out which demon it was, I will crush it. And Madara. The last part came out as a snarl. Why, you mean to tell me that Uchiha nearly destroyed Konoha? Kakashi asked, alarmed. That prick might have been Uchiha by blood, but I assure you he was no longer human. His soul had been sold for power. He had wanted to destroy all life in Konoha except the Uchiha clan, so he could make a village of nothing but his clan. Naruto answered. Sarutobi shuddered as he recalled something from the scrolls telling of Konoha's history. Madara Uchiha. He was the founder of the Uchiha clan and like yourself a Hanyu. Naruto and several others stiffened. The young Hanyu looked at the elderly man with a piercing gaze. Tell me everything you know. Sarutobi sighed as he refilled his pipe and lit it. He was once known as Madara Hyuga, a member of the Hyuga branch family. He, like all other branch members, had the cursed seal placed upon him known as the cage bird seal, and he was a clan prodigy. He was an orphan as well, but remained bitterly loyal to the Hyuga until he learned the secret behind his parents' deaths when eavesdropping on a council meeting. His father was a Hyuga like him, but his mother, she was what was known as a mimic, a demon that copies other creatures. Apparently this mimic, her name I do not know, fell in love with Madara's father Miyazaki and mimics human form to be with him. Miyazaki knew her secret but loved her all the same, and a year after they married she gave birth to Madara. Sadly, one of the Hyuga Elder Council discovered the truth and had both killed as they saw it as a sin against their clan. The cage bird seal and a demonic suppression seal was placed on Madara. When he was old enough to handle it, he was known as the Red-Eyed Hyuga. Madara was enraged when he discovered the truth, and in an act of defiance, he summoned a demon that killed many of the elders. He then made a pact with the demon using the slain Hyuga as a sacrifice. The seals were removed and his demonic blood was released, giving birth to the Sharingan, a dijutsu that can mimic movement and copy jutsu. He then swore his allegiance to the first so that he could start his own clan, the Uchiha clan. Sarutobi paused for a moment and took a long pull off his pipe before continuing. Madara in time grew arrogant and lusted for power as his clan grew. He stayed in Konoha for several generations and plotted to make Konoha into an all-Uchiha village until the first Hokage caught on and exiled him for treason. Madara left and vowed revenge. The rest of his clan was left alone because they seemed loyal to the Hokage and remained so clear up until Itachi went on a rampage. The many years of inbreeding within their clan had warped their minds. It is truly a sad thing the Hyuga would have met the same fate had Hiashi and a few other main house members married outside the clan to help fix their bloodlines. Sarutobi explained. Naruto frowned. Well, that explains a lot. I assume you kept Sasuke around because there was a chance that he would grow up opposite of what the rest of his clan was due to what his brother pulled, right? Sarutobi nodded. Yes, he was still a child and we believed that he would be the one who fixes the Uchiha clan. Sadly, his guardian was Danzo, who saw him as a pet project. Between that, his genetic mental instability and the trauma he suffered as a child, it seems he will follow the same path as Madara and Itachi did. Naruto sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose to ward off a rather sudden headache. I'd say I'm getting too old for this shit, but at this point it'd be a bit redundant. He said dryly. A few snickers were heard from the others and Naruto looked at the clock on the far wall. It was nearly time for the council meeting. The meeting is about to start, we should get ready. Naruto commented. Yes, we should, but you should get some rest and relax a bit. We can handle the vultures. Sarutobi said. Are you sure about that? It's no problem for me to attend, seeing as how I will be the main subject. Do not worry, my boy, you have an early morning ahead of you and I've been looking forward to putting some of those bastards in their place for a while now. Let an old man have some fun. Sarutobi said with a slight grin. Naruto chuckled. Okay, Jai-san, I need to go and get some supplies before heading back to my apartment and gathering the rest of my stuff to move to the compound anyways. Naruto waved goodbye and vanished in a swirl of water, surprisingly nothing was wet after his departure. I really want to learn how he does that, perhaps I should experiment later. Kakashi muttered. A short time later Sarutobi stood in front of the council on the center podium. Gathered were the elders, his two former teammates Himura Midokado and Kaharu Utatane. The shinobi council with the main clan heads of the Hyuga, Yamanaka, Aburame, Inyazuka, Akamichi and Nara clans, as well as a few other noteworthy ones. The civilian council mainly consisted of various merchants and business owners, they were the ones who hated Naruto the most as they were ignorant to the ways of a ninja. The remainder of people in the room were various jounin and a few Anbu members watching from the shadows. Sarutobi cleared his throat to get things started. I have gathered all of you here today to discuss some important new information regarding Naruto Uzumaki. So you've finally come to your senses and are going to kill the demon. Just look at what he did to Danzo-sama's root members that were sent to collect him earlier today and in front of the other children no less. A civilian member stated. Next to the man sat an attractive woman with pink hair and green eyes in her early 30s. Sarutobi arched an eyebrow when a vein bulged on the woman's brow and she glared at the man next to her. Her name was Yuki Haruno and she had been one of the ones who had voted to have Naruto executed during past meetings. However, this rather sudden change in attitude was interesting. I said years ago the demon brat should have been executed or at least given to Danzo-sama so it could have been some use to our village as a weapon. The man thundered. Wham. Oh, shut it, Nagashi, you damn old prude. Yuki growled after feeding the man next to her a Haruno-class brain duster. The boy wouldn't have had to fight back had Danzo team's little puppets not tried to kill him. My daughter told me the whole damn story. He used his own body to shield her, Ino-chan and several other clan heirs from attacks. Hell, their sensei Iruka-sen even confirmed the story. Nagashi glared at the woman. So you now take the demon's side. How dare you betray us? Because he saved my child's life, that's why, you little prick. She screamed at him. Enough. The Hokage roared out as he let his killing intent wash over them, causing many of the civilians to shudder in fear. It is as Mrs. Haruno has said, and Danzo was also found to be a traitor. Files were found, and it seems Danzo has been working for Orochimaru. He was executed for his crimes earlier today for treason. Now Nagashi-san, learn your place. The pompous man sputtered in both fear and anger before sitting back down to shoot scowling glances at the woman next to him who just cracked her knuckles as if saying, try me, asshole. Now, as I was saying, I recently came across some old birth records from the day of the Kyuubi attack 13 years ago, along with a birth certificate for Naruto. His mother was Kushina Uzumaki and his biological father was Arashi Kazama, otherwise known as Minato Namikaze. What? Came the shocked shout from more than half the council. Shikaku Nara smirked. Told ya. He said smugly to Inoichi Yamanaka. It doesn't end there. Sarutobi said with a grin, he was enjoying the rather stunned looks he was getting. Due to his rather harsh treatment and near-death experiences, no thanks to many of the villagers and some of this very council, the seal Arashi placed on him to keep Kyuubi sealed was forced to work differently. It was designed to purge the evil from the demon and purify its chakra using Shinigami's power while fusing it into Naruto's own chakra, making the boy's chakra levels grow exponentially. This should have taken nearly 20 years, but due to his treatment, it finished doing its job about a week ago when the traitor Mizuki tricked Naruto into stealing the sacred scroll. As a result, the Kyuubi soul has ceased to exist, in other words the demon is no more, but as a side effect, Naruto gained all of its powers and abilities, turning him into a Hanyu and unlocking a new Kekkei Genkai called the Omnigan, a Dijutsu on par with both byakugan and sharingan. Sarutobi stated with a smug look on his aged features. Then the boy is truly a half-demon? Sumin Yuzuka asked, she was one of his supporters. Technically yes, but since he is in complete control and the evil forces in the Kyuubi's chakra were purified, it has become more of a bloodline than anything else. I have personally made sure of this. The seal is gone, but so is Kyuubi, his power is untainted and his desire to protect this village is honest. He has all the power of Kyuubi, but none of the evil that had tainted it. The Hokage explained. The Ashi Hyuga had never been a supporter of the boy, but he had never actually hated him either, one might say he was more of a neutral. His analytical mind mulled over the pros and cons of this situation. The cons being that if the boy was ever brought to anger he could possibly destroy them all, and there would be no one that could stop him. On the other hand, if he remained loyal he could be a great asset. The fact that he was last of his clan, the son of the great fourth Hokage and the holder of a powerful new Dijutsu, wasn't lost on Hiashi either as he read through the reports in front of him on the various abilities of the Omnigan and the abilities that Naruto could pass on to the next generation, should he have children. Truth be told, the possibilities were endless and it could help him solve a problem he had been having. That problem concerned his two daughters. Though he didn't often act like it, he did love them both, but as head of the clan he had to be stern, strict, and as his old friend Arashi had once put it, a guy with a 9-foot pole up his ass. He knew that he would one day have to place the cage bird seal on one of his daughters, and he dreaded it. He still hated the fact that his twin brother had been robbed of his rightful place as head of the clan due to the damned elders and their laws. Hinata, his eldest, he knew wasn't cut out to be clan heir. She lacked the spirit and bite needed to deal with the elders, whereas her sister, Hanabi, did have it. If he could somehow arrange a marriage between Hinata and Naruto, he would solve his problems. Hinata would become an uzumaki and escape the fate of the caged bird seal, and her sister could take the place of clan heir, or some other possible arrangements could be made. Okage-sama, does Uzumaki-san fall under the Clan Restoration Act? Hiashi asked in his usual monotone, an indifferent look on his features. Hook, line and sinker, Sarutobi thought smugly. Yes, he does. It was one of Arashi's final wishes that Naruto rebuild his clan under the Uzumaki surname, though his full name is Naruto Kazama Uzumaki, though that could be prone to change should he desire to take his father's true surname. And now, given the fact that he has a dijutsu that rivals both sharingan and byakugan, he is by law required to take multiple wives to ensure the future of his clan line. He answered and could see a slight gleam in the Hyuga's eyes, meaning that he would tender arranged marriage proposal the first chance he got. Inoichi Yamanaka and Yuki Haruno also had thoughtful looks on their faces. It wasn't the fact that Naruto was now considered an elite or that he was rich, which he was thanks to his inheritance, but both their daughters seemed to be warming up to the boy and he had saved them. That was proof enough for both of them that he wasn't some evil demon incarnate. A marriage with Naruto would bring honor to both their clans. There were still some civilian council members who had looks on their faces like they had bitten into a sour piece of fruit. The remaining members that had been loyal to Danzo had blanched and now feared for their lives. They were quickly rethinking their outlook on the boy, not wanting to suffer his wrath or the wrath of those who supported him. The rest looked ashamed that they had treated the son of their hero so horribly and vowed silently to make it up to him some way or another. Sarutobi smiled. This had gone far better than he could have hoped. The other jounin in the room that knew Naruto's secret smiled as well. Naruto would bring great and neat change to Konoha, and so long as he was treated the way he deserved to be treated, then Konoha would remain safe. Naruto found himself on the outskirts of the business district looking at an old building. He was surprised that he hadn't noticed it in the past, but it was a weapons shop specifically for shinobis. It was called Kazuyama Weapons Smithy. He was surprised because there was only one Kazuyama in Konoha Tenten. Kazuyama, he knew for a fact that she was orphaned 6 months after the Kyuubi attack, since they had been friends in the other timeline. He didn't know that she owned a weapons shop. She must have inherited it from her parents. He walked in to see a large variety and supply of weapons in styles varying from traditional shinobi weapons to weapons from other countries. There were also supplies for field medics such as senbon needles, blood pills, food pills and soldier pills, along with various medicinal creams and bandages. To put it simply, this shop carried anything one would need as a shinobi. At the counter sat a man who Naruto knew as Kazuki Itsuga. He was Tenten's uncle and last living relative. He was a kindly man who was a retired jounin due to the loss of his right leg. He still got around alright and could work a mean forge, but his time as a ninja had been lost with his leg. Still, the man had remained cheerful and had a good outlook on things. He had always been one of the few people kind to Naruto when he was smaller and acted as his guard. "Well, if it isn't little Naruto," Kazuki said with a grin. "You sure have grown since I last saw you." Naruto smiled. "It's good to see you again, Kazuki-san. How are things with you?" he asked as he began getting some supplies. At first he had just planned on getting a few things for himself, but since he was going to be teaching Sakura how to be a med nin, he decided on getting her a set of all the needed supplies. Senbon, pill packs, storage scrolls, a utility belt with pouches to hold her medical supplies, medicinal creams, bandages. "I'm doing fine, lad. I see you finally became a genin. Good for you," Kazuki stated with a smile. "Yeah, I got Kakashi Haddock as my jounin sensei," Naruto said as he found an interesting pair of fighter's gloves. They were a deep red color like Sakura's dress that she always wore with black plates on the top and knuckles. Etched into the plate was a red Konoha leaf symbol with pink cherry blossom petals etched in a swirling pattern. The gloves practically screamed Sakura Haruno. Not really thinking about it, he grabbed them up and set them with the rest of his purchases. "Kakashi is a good one, a bit odd at times, but very strong and smart," Kazuki said as he eyed the gloves Naruto picked out curiously. "Who'd you get those for?" "My teammate wants to be a med nin, and I thought a pair of fighting gloves would give her an edge with her taijutsu," Naruto answered. Kazuki chuckled. "Got yourself a girlfriend, huh?" "No, she's just a good friend. Her name is Sakura Haruno. The gloves just seemed to fit," Naruto stated. Kazuki just nodded and eyed Naruto's swords. I see you've taken up Kenjutsu, you any good? I'm pretty decent. I've got down a few styles and I'm also proficient in the Zanbato and Scythe as well. To be honest, the only thing I can't really do is Genjutsu. Naruto stated modestly as he placed some clover oil on the counter. Really, maybe we should spar sometime. There aren't many Kenjutsu users in this village. A familiar voice said from behind them. Naruto turned around to see Tenten standing there also eyeing up his swords. She looked just like he remembered. Green Anbu-style pants, a pink Chinese-style sleeveless top and her hair done up into two cute buns that make her look a bit like a panda bear. The name's Tenten Kazuyama, what's yours? She asked with a smile. Damn. This guy is hot. Niji-kun, you just got beat in the looks department. She mused to herself. Naruto flashed his foxy grin, causing Tenten's insides to squirm in delight. Naruto Kazama Uzumaki, it's a pleasure to meet you. Naruto said, giving her a slight bow. Tenten flushed slightly as Kazuki barked a laugh. Looks like Shikaku-sen was right, you are the fourth's kid aren't you? He asked. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I found out a week ago. Damn, it feels weird lying all the time and having to get to know everyone again, but I can't let too many people know about that secret. I can't risk the timeline changing too much or I'll ruin my chance to protect everyone. Naruto thought. Tenten was speechless. The son of the legendary Yellow Flash was shopping in her family's store. He looked very strong for his age, he was into Kenjutsu, and he was incredibly handsome. Tenten was seriously thinking about becoming the first member of his fan club. So far his personality beat Niji's hands down. Perhaps she should get to know him better, then who knows. So Naruto don't know, would you be interested in having a spar sometime? Tenten asked almost shyly. What's with girls getting shy around me all of a sudden? Oh well, I'll figure it out later. No way in hell am I passing up a chance to spar with Tenten. She's the best if not only weapons mistress in Konoha. We could help each other improve our skills greatly. Naruto thought and then smiled at her, causing her to flush slightly. Sure, I'd be honored to spar with you, but only if you drop the dono bit. If you have to use a suffix, then use sen or something. Naruto said in a modest tone. Tenten grinned, she was already beginning to like this young man even more than before. Okay, Naruto-kun, I'm usually at training ground 9 in the evenings for target practice, so stop by when you can. Tenten said with a smile. Naruto nodded. I'll be sure to drop by one of these days soon, who knows, we might be able to teach each other something new. He then turned to Kazuki, who was watching the exchange with a bemused expression. So, what's the damage? He asked. Kazuki finished ringing up the items. That would be 10,456 ryo. He said. Naruto pulled out a black leather pouch. He had long ago gotten rid of his frog purse Gama-chan in exchange for a money pouch, not that anyone in this time would actually know. He quickly pulled out the needed amount and stuffed the remaining wad of bills back into his pouch and put it in his rear belt pouch. He then grabbed one of the storage scrolls he purchased and began sealing items away into one for Sakura, and the rest went into another for him to gather when needed. Well, it was nice seeing you again, Kazuki-san. I'll be sure to shop here from now on, seeing as how you carry all the equipment I need. He turned to Tenten. It was also nice meeting you, Tenten-chan. I will try to see you again in a day or so for our spar. Have a good day to both of you. Naruto bowed politely and walked out of the shop. Kazuki grinned at the rather glazed look on his niece's face. Looks like little Tenten has a new crush. He teased. Tenten turned several shades of pink and huffed. Oh, shut it, Uncle Kazuki. She yelled and walked off to hide her embarrassment while her uncle laughed loudly. Chapter 5, Nine-Tailed Werefox. Naruto frowned as he looked around him. He had gone into his meditation sleep to get rested up for the upcoming bell test, but for some reason his soul had been yanked onto the astral plane. His frown deepened when he looked at the scenery. It was a bright sunny meadow with many lush trees and a large river running through the middle. On the other side of the river was what appeared to be a dark, desolate wasteland. The bardo, what the hell am I doing here? I am not near death or have died, so I shouldn't be at the point between life and death, Naruto mumbled to himself as his eyes darted around looking for any possible foes. You are correct, young one, we brought you here. A feminine voice rang out. From behind a nearby tree stepped out a woman who, by any means of the word, was the epitome of beauty. She had long flowing hair that seemed to shimmer and cycle through different hair colors. Her eyes were a soft pink color that shined with kindness and gentleness. She was garbed in ornate white robes that seemed to shimmer with light. Before Naruto could say a word, Shinigami appeared next to the woman in a flash of black fire. The woman looked at the death god and pouted. Shiny-kun, it is not fair that you get a better entrance than me. The woman pouted. Naruto's eyebrow twitched. My dear Kami-chan, it is because most have a greater fear of death than they do life, hence the flashy entrances. Shinigami said with a flirty smirk. Naruto's left eye ticked. Kami giggled. Maybe I should go back to appearing from pillars of light or rainbows. A vein bulged on Naruto's forehead. Shinigami grinned. Maybe you should start appearing nude, that always works for me. Pervert Kami flushed slightly. Naruto fought off the sudden urge to get a massive nosebleed and walked up behind Shinigami and promptly bopped him upside the head hard. Boy. What the hell was that for, brat? The death god asked indignantly. For being a friggin' perv and for ignoring me. Now why the hell am I here? Naruto shouted. Kami giggled as Shinigami cringed under his avatar's glare. She decided to take things over for the moment and let Shinigami sulk for a moment while he mumbled about moody avatars and no respect. We have called you here to tell you that because of the changes you have made to your past, your risk of being exiled is now gone. I cannot reveal any more than that, but you must prepare yourself for the challenges that will come. I also have some news that I know you will be happy to hear. She smiled at him. What's that? Sasuke pulls the stick out his ass and comes out of the closet. Naruto asked dryly. Shinigami snickered. He really liked this kid, he was the only one he had ever seen who had the balls to face up to himself and Kami as equals instead of falling over himself at their might. The mold was definitely broken with this kid. Kami blinked and then giggled at the remark. No, Naruto-kun, that is not what I wished to tell you of. You see, the thing about time travel is that it causes all kinds of paradoxes. Some are hardly noticeable while others are profound. When you return to your past to pass that Kyuubi still existed and took the place of your younger self, it caused such a paradox. Kyuubi's soul was ejected from your past body as your future self integrated with it. As such, Kyuubi's soul, since it was linked to your own, and the dispersed fragments of her soul from the future have been slowly fusing together. What? Wait a minute, I thought Kyu-chan ceased to exist, that her soul faded away. Naruto said in shock. Hence the paradox, time travel always comes at some sort of price. Sometimes the price is one that you won't mind paying, while other times it is heavy. In this case, the mistress of the tailed demons, Kyuubi, is slowly returning to life. The price she pays for this is that she will become a Hanyu like you, since her soul bound to you when you were still fully human. She will only have roughly half the power she once did, but she will still be able to take the form of a fox between 1 and 6 tails worth of power. Shinigami added in his 2 cents. Naruto dropped to his knees as a single tear escaped from his wide stunned eyes. His Kyu-chan was not lost to him for all eternity like he had once thought. He had dared not dream of such a thing happening, though he still wished it whenever he thought of her. Now she would be returning, she wouldn't be sealed because the seal was gone, and this time he could protect her. Unknown to him at that moment, some of the ice that had built up around his heart from all the loneliness he had felt throughout his 2 lifetimes had melted. Shinigami and Kami smiled at the boy. If anyone deserved this, it was him, for he had suffered far more than any mortal should have and yet never gave up. That brings me to the other reason I wish to speak to you. Kami said kindly. I wish for you to take more than one wife. I know you will wait for Kyuubi and that you only want to be with her at the moment, but you also have a clan to build. Though you and your mates will be eternal, your clan will ensure that peace is kept in the elemental countries in distant times and generations to come. All you have to do is open your heart to those who open theirs to yours, and you will gain the love and family you have always wished for and deserved. I will do as you wish, Kami-sama. Naruto said, bowing. He was still excited about the news of Kyuubi and humbled that the goddess of life thought so highly of him. Now then, on to other business, Shinigami said, and Naruto regained his composure. Before we start that, how long till Kyu-chan revives? Naruto asked. Shinigami looked thoughtful for a moment. I'd say about a month or so. The fusion of the present soul and future soul fragments is going rather quickly, and she is without the taint that had been placed on her. I can't be certain of any set time, but she will return soon. Make sure you are alone at that time, since she will physically revive in the mortal realm during the time you sleep. And before you ask, yes, her soul will once again be bonded to you when she revives. It was her wish and yours as well. I will personally ensure that it happens, a gift for the changes you have made thus far. Now I have been looking over some things and have grown to dislike the Uchiha clan. You are charged with reaping the souls of Madara Uchiha, also known as Tobi of Akatsuki, Itachi Uchiha, Madara's apprentice, Orochimaru, and the Akatsuki for their crimes against humanity and the Kamis. I know I had already charged you with reaping the Hibi team's soul, but please do make sure he suffers a bit before sending him to me. Any other evil souls you can send will be appreciated, less taint in the world and all that. I will let you do as you wish with Sasuke Uchiha, so long as you ensure that he can never reproduce. Place a discreet sterilization seal on him or something though. I doubt you will need to, the boy has questionable tastes, Shinigami cringed. Naruto blanched. No way. He really is Era Tinker Bell. I don't really know for sure, but he sure as hell has no interest in any females. He didn't in the future either, though I think his obsession plays more a part in that than anything else. Anyway, be wary of the 2 Uchiha I have told you to soul reap. I know you've fought them before, but Madara always managed to escape before you could kill him until just before I sent you back. The only weapon you have that can cause him any lasting damage will be Soul Edge or Requiem. And remember to use your Omnigan when fighting them so they cannot trap you in their damn Genjutsu. Also destroy their eyes once they are dead, so that cursed Jutsu is lost for all times. It wasn't as if Naruto didn't know all of this already, but Shinigami wanted to make absolutely sure his avatar was cautious. The boy hadn't yet seemed to realize that traveling back in time had caused something known as the butterfly effect, which was based off a theory that a butterfly can flap its wings on one side of the world, and as the wind created by the action grows, it will cause a hurricane on the other side of the world once enough power is gained. It was all about action, cause and effect. This was one thing that always held true for any kind of time travel or dimension travel. Hopefully Naruto wouldn't become dependent on his knowledge of events, since it was likely they would be altered in some way. Naruto nodded. I will do as you ask, Shinigami-sama. Now might I ask what became of Danzo team? Kami and Shinigami snickered. I sent him to one of my vassals in hell, a being known as Lucifer. The man has a rather twisted sense of humor when he comes up for his eternal punishments. He is being forced to watch Yaoi and I'm, Barney and the Teletubbies for all eternity, and every hour he gets a pineapple shoved up his ass. I almost pity him almost. Shinigami said with a slight shudder. Naruto shuddered at the Yaoi and I'm and cringed at the pineapple part but didn't have a damn clue as to what the hell Barney and Teletubbies were from Shinigami's reaction, though they must be worse than death. Neither noticed Kami get a rather playful smirk on her lips. Perhaps it was time to bestow her gift. Well, Naruto-kun, it is time for your soul to return to your body, but first I want to test something, she said in a somewhat seductive tone. Naruto gulped slightly. What is thy MMPH? Kami had walked up to him in mid-sentence, grabbed his shirt and placed a rather intimate lip lock on the young Hanyu. Naruto's eyes nearly bulged out of their sockets when the goddess practically shoved her tongue down his throat, and to his shock, his instincts took over and he returned as good as he got. The boy nearly fainted when she pressed her rather large assets into his chest. He was so damn caught up in it, he didn't notice the gold and silver glow around them. Shinigami watched with a slight nosebleed, some drool, and a lot of perverted giggling. This would make for so much good blackmail material later. After Kami had her fill, she let the stunned boy go and sent him back to his own body with a smug smirk on her face, the glow fading. Oh yes, that boy is definitely my gift to mortal women. She giggled and vanished back to her realm. Shinigami soon followed suit, snickering to himself. Naruto had awakened early that morning with a start. He turned several shades of beetroot when he remembered what Kami had done before he left, but was thankful that he didn't react physically. He didn't need a cold shower so early in the morning. He was now in the Kazama Uzumaki compound that was located near the Hyuga compound, but further back in the woods. It was a large estate with flower gardens in the front, a zen garden and hot spring in the back, and a private training ground at the far end of the property. The house itself was built much like the Hyuga mansion, but with more of a western touch to it, with hardwood floors and cupboards, marble countertops in the kitchen and bathrooms, and a nice office that was connected to the clan library. His room, the master bedroom, also had a private onsen connected to it. The house itself had 2 dining rooms, a massive kitchen which Sarutobi had stocked for him, a wine cellar that had remained untouched with various wines and aged sake. He had a family room, a meeting chamber, and no less than 30 bedrooms and 2 large nurseries. It was obvious his father had planned on reviving the clan. He sent off a clone to Sarutobi's office with the promised scrolls as well. After doing his morning rituals, Naruto dressed, grabbed his gear and the things he got for Sakura, along with a bit of breakfast before heading out to training ground 7. He figured on getting a little personal training in before Sakura and the bastard showed up. His mood was good though. In a few months his Kaiju-chan would return to him, finally free from the seal and purged of the taint forced upon her. He could hardly believe that fragments of her soul from the future still existed and that she still wished to be bonded to him, but he knew that Kami wouldn't lie about that and he wouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. It was still before daybreak when Naruto arrived at the training ground, giving him about an hour or so. He took off his trench coat and fishnet muscle shirt after setting his 2 katana aside. He then pulled out a storage scroll and swiped some blood across its seal to summon 6 Bakken. He then made 2 shadow clones and handed them 2 Bakken each before grabbing his own and setting their weight seals to 200 ilbs apiece. He would have gone higher since his weight limit per arm was 1 ton, but if he accidentally dropped one and someone saw it would raise unwanted questions. Hefting the 2 wooden swords without effort, Naruto signaled to his clones to start. Naruto, as time passed, had gotten so into his spar with the 2 clones that he had forgotten to keep his senses alert to sense his teammates. As such, Sakura was the first to arrive and was subsequently transfixed at the sight of a shirtless Naruto battling 2 clones in a show of skill that was clearly beyond that of most Genjutsu users. She was flushed as she noticed how well toned his muscles were. He was, in a word, ripped. She frowned a bit at the scars littering his body and she wondered had they been from abuse, fights or both. She was so into watching Naruto that she completely ignored the Uchiha's arrival. Sasuke glared hatefully at Naruto. It was bad enough that he was forced on the same team as a worthless tart of a fangirl who was turning into a demon whore, but he was also stuck with said demon. To make matters worse, the damn thing had a obviously high-level skill in kinjutsu, something Sasuke himself couldn't claim, as his specialty was ninjutsu. Damn demon trash, it isn't fair. You have had everything just handed to you, all that power, it should be mine. Only I, an elite Uchiha, deserve such power. I must find a way to kill the demon and claim its power as my own, then nothing will stop me. Itachi will fall at my feet, and I will rule over this pathetic village of weaklings. Sasuke schemed as a evil-looking sneer twisted his face, and killing intent rolled off of him. Sakura noticed this and cringed at the look on her so-called crush's face. The gleam in his black eyes was filled with rage, hate, envy and evil intent. She suddenly shivered in fear as she backed away from him. Once a safe distance from Sasuke, she began to watch Naruto again. It somehow calmed her. He looked so handsome now. I mean, he was always kinda cute in his own way, but he always used to act so annoying. But now that he dropped the mask of the fool, he has become mysterious, alluring and outright hot. I wish Sasuke would come around ever. Since we discovered Naruto-kun's secret, he has been so hateful. That's because he is jealous of Naruto-kun's power. His ego can't stand the fact that there is someone out there his age that is better than him. Inner Sakura added her 2 cents. That's no excuse for wanting to kill him though. So what if Naruto-kun is a Hanyu? He's still human in a sense, and he's still very kind. You forgot to mention hot as hell, just looks as those muscles and that nice firm ass. Sakura got several sudden mental images, flushed a deep shade of pink, and felt a trickle of blood leave her nose. She couldn't deny the fact that Naruto had become very handsome. Unlike Sasuke, who had the classic pretty boy emo brooder look, Naruto had a mix of rugged feral with strong features that went very well together. It gave him a dangerous air about him, yet he gave off an aura of comfort and protection, unlike a certain Uchiha who radiated angst so much it was disgusting. Naruto had noticed his teammates first when Sakura had started to give off an odd mixed scent of vanilla and honey, which confused him since she usually smelled of strawberries and flowers. Then the Lord of Brood made his entrance and began radiating a pathetic amount of killing intent that Naruto almost laughed at. However, it was time to wrap things up. He let a feral grin cross his features. Backflipping to avoid a strike from the front, Naruto landed perfectly in a crouched position as he gave both his Bakugan an expert twirl. He heard the sound of metal cutting through air to his left and twisted around and used his Bakugan to knock several shuriken out of the air. The clone smirked and dashed at Naruto as it performed one of his signature moves, demonic spin out, which when armed with blades, essentially turns the user into a living buzzsaw. The wooden blades crashed against a blue panel of chakra that appeared in front of Naruto, the chakra shield. The attack was halted and the clone broke off its attack. Naruto smirked as his Bakugan began to glow blue with chakra and the shield dispelled. Cross cutter. Naruto snapped and slashed his Bakugan down after crossing them to make an X-shaped blade of chakra that hit the defenseless clone, destroying it in a mild explosion. Naruto didn't see Sakura's jaw hit the ground or Sasuke fume in rage as he turned to his remaining clone. Said clone launched a barrage of kunai at Naruto, who leapt back and landed against the side of a tree and stuck there for a moment before leaping off it and go into a twisting rotation. Piercing cannon drill. Naruto barked as he thrust his Bakugan forward as his body corkscrewed towards the clone. The clone crossed his Bakugan to defend himself, but with the speed and rotation that Naruto was going, the Bakugan were turned to splinters before Naruto literally drilled through his clone, destroying it. Stopping his spinning in midair, he forced himself to flip over and land on the ground, skidding a few feet before coming to a stop. The Bakugan in his hands cracked and then shattered into bits of wood seconds later from the force of the move. His chakra had been the only thing holding the wooden blades together. Holy shit. Sakura muttered in awe, it was the only thing she could think of saying at the moment. Naruto wiped some sweat from his brow, given his near-infinite stamina he wasn't even winded. He smiled at Sakura, who once again blushed. Good morning, Sakura-chan. He said kindly. Good morning, Naruto-kun. She greeted back shyly. Those were some really incredible moves you used, where did you learn them? Honestly, I created them by watching other people's kinjutsu and taijutsu styles. Naruto said, scratching the back of his neck in modesty. They were a bit hard to perfect, but once I got the mechanics down right, the rest flowed together. Sakura blinked in awe. You created your own kinjutsu style? She asked in shock. Naruto nodded. No one would teach me, so I had to learn things by myself. I also made my own style of taijutsu called Oni Ryuken, or Demon Dragon Fist. I haven't made a name for my kinjutsu style yet though, but I'm leaning towards Mystic Dragon style for the name. My only other specialties are ninjutsu and fuinjutsu, and you know I'm pretty sucky with ninjutsu. Naruto stated. Sakura frowned. But from what I've seen, you've got really good chakra control, so why don't you do well with ninjutsu? Sasuke was pissed off at being ignored all of a sudden, but interested enough in what the demon had to say to keep his trap shut. I can detect and dispel them easily enough, but I never took the time to learn any genjutsu, especially since I can't do lower level ones due to my chakra being too powerful, it overloads them like the clone jutsu. Besides, genjutsu is better suited for support fighters like medinins or specialists. I'm more of a frontline fighter myself. So is the emo team over there. You, on the other hand, are perfect as a support fighter. Once you gain enough chakra, stamina, speed and strength, you will be as much a threat with med jutsu, taijutsu and genjutsu as I am with my specialties. Naruto said with a smile. Sakura smiled shyly. Naruto may not realize it, but he was very flattering, something she got little of and enjoyed immensely. Who do you think can help teach me genjutsu though? She asked curiously. Well, I'm pretty sure Kakashi-sensei has some he can teach you, and we could always ask Kurenai-san too since she is a genjutsu mistress. I can help you on all the basics of med jutsu and some advanced forms as well, and I will teach you a branch of my style of taijutsu since it uses med jutsu and anatomy mixed in with a combination of Gyuukin and Gauken styles. Naruto answered. Sasuke sneered. Where the hell did you learn Gyuukin dope? That is a Hyuga only style. Naruto smirked. I've watched Hyugas train a lot and learned to mimic their style, but since I cannot see Tenketsu points like they do, I learned human anatomy and adjusted the style to hit pressure points and nerve clusters while using a mixture of gentle swift strikes and hard hits. You can learn any taijutsu style by watching if you're observant enough and don't cheat by using a certain taijutsu. Naruto nearly spat the last part. While Sakura was once again highly impressed and thinking that Naruto was some kind of hidden prodigy, which truth be told he had been in the other timeline. Sasuke was seething with rage. Somehow the demon had figured out how to copy techniques without the use of a taijutsu like the sharingan. It was an insult to his clan and his power. What was worse, it seemed like he was going to train actually offered a worthless excuse for a kunoichi. If anything, the demon should be offering to train him. He was an elite. An uchiha. Sasuke decided to try to use this to his advantage. Sadly, his social skills sucked. Why do you bother training a weak girl like her when you could train me? Sasuke asked angrily. Sakura's face fell at the jab at her abilities. It wasn't her fault that she wasn't from a shinobi clan. She did her best with what she had to work with, books and scrolls, which paled in comparison to hands-on training. It saddened her that she was thought so little of by the boy she had a crush on. Naruto bristled and shot a glare that could melt lead at the arrogant Uchiha, who actually had the smarts to get a bit scared. I offered to train her because she deserves it, her heart is in the right place, and unlike us, she comes from a civilian clan. Common sense dictates that gives her a harsh disadvantage due to the severe lack of hands-on training others from shinobi clans get as children. I'm a bit of an exception because the Hokage helped me a bit because of my condition, and I was orphaned. So don't you dare look down your damn nose at her, or I'll rip it off. Naruto snarled. It was right there at that distinct point in time that Sakura began to notice a change within herself and her mind. The past 2 days had taught her more than ever just what kind of person Sasuke Uchiha was, a stuck-up, arrogant prick with no care or feelings for anyone but himself. All the times she had tried to get him to open up to her, all the attempts at dating him, all the wasted devotion, it made her feel sick. It was clear now that no matter what she did, he would never see her as anything more than a weak little fangirl, and the sad part was she nearly took that path. Unfortunately, what little confidence she was building was about to be shattered along with her heart. "Tch, like you have a right to talk to me like that, demon freak," Sasuke snarled back. "I am one of the elite in this village. She on the other hand comes from a clan of peasants, has hardly any chakra, dismal skills and a bit of book smarts. The only thing she is good for is reading books or acting as cannon fodder." Crunch, crack, thud. That had done it. Sasuke had pushed Naruto too far and Naruto put him down in 2 rather harsh hits. Once in the solar plexus and followed up by a jaw-shattering uppercut. The Uchiha had landed several feet away, sans several teeth, a swollen jaw and 3 cracked ribs. He had added a burst of chakra to his blows, as well a burst of green medical chakra mixed with a bit of his demonic red chakra. Now Sasuke was irreversibly sterile, and the special chakra pockets behind his eyes reserved for the sharingan were destroyed. The taijutsu was now lost to the boy and would never activate, nothing short of an eye transplant, and demonic regeneration could even hope to come near to fixing what Naruto had just done. Naruto turned to see Sakura looking down and shivering as her tears dripped onto the bridge. His anger faded and the scowl on his face was replaced with a look of concern. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder and gave her a comforting squeeze. She looked up as her tear-filled emerald eyes met his piercing icy sapphire blue ones. Is that all I'm worth?" she sobbed. I've tried so hard to prove that I'm not heck worthless B, but no matter what I do or how hard I try, no one likes me." "You're wrong, Sakura-chan," Naruto said softly in a comforting tone. "I happen to like you a lot." When I look at you I see a gentle and pretty girl working as hard as she can to blossom into a beautiful young woman and a talented kunoichi. Don't let that bastard destroy that because he is too blinded by his own hate and anger to see what is really in front of him." Sakura was rendered speechless as her tears continued to flow. Naruto, the same boy she used to tease and look down upon, the same boy she had slowly began to realize held more to him than met the eye, was now trying to comfort her. Part of her knew she didn't deserve this, not after how she had treated him in the past, but another part clung to his praise like a lifeline. Could he really see things in her that even she herself could not? Did he really think that she was pretty beautiful even? "Why?" she asked in a whisper. Naruto sighed. Had this happened the first time he would have screwed things up horribly. It was times like this that he was glad he had the maturity he gained in his previous timeline. "Because no one deserves to be treated like you were being treated," he answered. But I was so cruel to you. I used to hit you and," she began sobbing again. "And your tears prove to me you are worthy of a second chance, that you feel shamed for your past behavior. That alone is good enough for me. All I ask is that you let go of the past. What's done is done, don't let it ruin your future," Naruto said, pulling her into a comforting hug. "I'll protect you this time and I will help you grow strong. I never thought you hated me, your actions said one thing, your eyes always said another. Your eyes always held shame and self-hate for treating another person the same way you used to be treated, and you hated what you became when you were like that, but you feared rejection by others and the rumors that were always spread about me," Naruto said as his instincts took over and he gently ran his hand through her hair in a comforting manner. "Just remember that no matter what I will always be your friend and I will help you achieve your dreams," he added. The warm feeling flowed through Sakura as her tears slowly came to a halt. This feeling she had was unlike anything she had experienced before. She felt safe, wanted and happy. Was this feeling the one she had been searching for with Sasuke? Was she falling in love with Naruto? She wasn't sure. She knew she was attracted to him, but these new feelings confused her a bit perhaps. If she just… Sakura looked up as his face started inching towards Naruto's. He looked a bit surprised but didn't back off or reject her. "Yo." Kakashi greeted and stopped in his tracks. "Well, this is awkward," he muttered, noticing that Sakura was about to kiss Naruto. Naruto was holding said girl in his arms, both now beetroot in embarrassment, and Sasuke was out cold several feet away. Naruto and Sakura reluctantly sprang apart, both silently cursing the bad timing of their sensei. While fighting off their blushes, Naruto was able to regain his composure quickly. Sakura wanted to crawl under a rock after she castrated Kakashi. For his crappy timing, she was so close her inner self was screaming in frustration. Naruto cleared his throat. "You're late, sensei," he said in monotone. Yeah, about that. I crossed a black cat and had to find another path here and all." Kakashi chuckled nervously when he saw Sakura shoot him a glare from behind Naruto that clearly showed her displeasure. "So what happened, duck ass?" Kakashi asked using his new nickname. Naruto chuckled a bit at the name. Long story short, he insulted and was unnecessarily cruel towards Sakura-chan. "He pissed me off and I shut him up." Kakashi sighed. "Well, so much for the bell test, not that it really matters at this point," he muttered. "Okay, so here's the deal, you two. I will act as sensei for all three of you, but since the council agreed that I should be Sasuke's mentor, I will pull him off to another training area for the other half of our training time, since he is my apprentice. During that time, Sakura, your sensei will be Naruto. He has offered to take care of your training in my place. Don't let his age fool you, he is just as able if not more so than myself." All irritation left Sakura at that moment. Part of her was excited that Naruto would actually be acting as her part-time sensei, but she was confused too. "Why is Naruto-kun a genin if his levels are high? Actually, what rank are you really?" she asked. Kakashi decided to answer for him. "Naruto is a genin because he doesn't want special treatment and he wants to climb the ranks like the rest of us are. He is technically ranked as elite jounin." Sakura was floored. "An elite jounin?" she squeaked. Naruto chuckled. "Don't let the title fool you. I am powerful, but I am far from invincible and I am still learning things. No matter how powerful you are, there is always something out there stronger than you. The difference is your will to defeat such an opponent and the amount of experience you let yourself gain beforehand," Naruto said sagely as he recalled his fight with Ichibi no Orochi. Damn thing nearly killed him and he was ranked a 9-tailed demon lord, or as Golby had once called him, Neo-Kyuubi. Naruto walked over and put his muscle shirt and trench coat back on before sticking Griever and Beowulf to his back with chakra. He arched an eyebrow when he saw a disappointed look cross Sakura's features and an amused gleam in the eye of their cycloptic sensei. "Does Sakura-chan like me? I mean, sure, we almost kissed, but I thought that was an in-the-moment thing. Maybe she does, I wouldn't mind, but she'll need to know the truth about how I have to rebuild my clan. At any rate, it can wait for a while. If she is still showing interest in a month or two, I'll explain things to her," Naruto mused to himself. In the spirit reel, Kami sat next to a young blonde-haired man and an attractive redhead who were looking into a viewing pool at another blonde that looked like a carbon copy of the man next to the redhead. The blonde was a handsome man who wore a white trench coat with blue flames on it that matched his eyes. The kanji for 4 and fire shadow were stitched into the back of his coat above his clan symbol, a spiral. The redhead was very attractive and dressed in Anbu uniform with a fox mask on her shoulder. She had soft purple eyes with diamond-shaped pupils. Their names were Arashi Kazama Aka Minato Namikaze and his wife Kushina Uzumaki. "Shit, Minato-kun, our son is as friggin' dense as you used to be with me," Kushina said, rubbing her temples. Minato's eyebrow twitched. "And he inherited your rather colorful vocabulary and temper." "What was that, sweetie?" she asked in a sweet tone of voice, a little too sweet. Minato gulped. "Nothing, dear," he pouted. Kushina patted his head like a well-trained dog. "I thought so." Minato's sweat dropped. Shinigami hovered up behind the group and snickered. Minato was so whipped. As if sensing his thoughts, Kami leveled a glare at him, causing him to cringe and break out in a sweat. "Ate the goddess of life," they said. "She would be a frisky one," they said. What a bunch of fucktards, Shinigami grumbled in his mind. In reality he was like any other male whipped by an attractive woman that used her looks and certain other things as a weapon. Hopefully his avatar could help end that cycle. Then he remembered the fact the boy would be taking multiple wives. So much for that idea, but he could hope right. Well, things should be getting interesting in the coming months. Kami stated with a smirk as they watched Naruto start teaching Sakura the tree climbing exercise. "Especially when Kyuubi gets back, knowing her she'll jump him the first chance she gets." Minato snickered. Indeed, her memories have all returned and now it is a matter of time before her powers solidify enough for a proper rebirth. "I must say though she is getting quite impatient," Shinigami stated. Her soul sphere was hovering about back at his personal realm while complaining about how long things were taking. "Gotta give it to my son though, he's gotta have one huge set of balls to get the Queen of Demons to fall for him hard enough to fight Oblivion for the chance to be with him again," Minato said with a chuckle. "I think it's sweet," Kushina said with a smile. "Wait until she gets her first kiss from him. He made my toes curl when I kissed him earlier. It's going to blow Kyuubi-chan's mind. Hell, I'm a goddess and it nearly blew mine," Kami exclaimed with a giggle. Minato and Shinigami leered at Kami and let out perverted giggles, only to get soundly brain-dusted by their significant others as they both screamed pervert at them. "Biro-sensei is going to have a field day when he meets back up with Naruto. It's going to be fun to watch." Minato though and stifled another perverted giggle. Kami and Shinigami suddenly frowned as they gazed into the viewing pool. "It has begun," they said in unison. Since Sasuke was out cold from Naruto's attack and wouldn't wake up for a few hours, Kakashi had an Anbu take the Uchiha to the hospital just to make sure he wasn't going to croak on them. Kakashi then did an estimate of Naruto's skill levels and got his ass handed to him within 10 minutes. Sakura on the other hand needed a large amount of training and after getting his butt kicked by a 13-year-old, Kakashi felt he should train as well. Naruto agreed and started Sakura off by giving her the supplies he got for her as well as a pair of chakra weights set at 15 pounds apiece. Sakura practically gushed over the fighter's gloves he had gotten for her and thanked him profusely. Naruto just waved it off and started her with a tree climbing exercise while wearing her weights to maximize the effect. She was a little slow at first, but she was getting the hang of things quite quickly. In turn, Naruto was also helping Kakashi better understand the use of chakra shield and chakra barrier. Later the Jounin wanted to work on Hiraishin. Something was bothering Naruto though, his senses were edgy and had started acting erratically. "What's wrong, Naruto?" Kakashi asked after dispelling a near-perfect chakra shield. "Something feels off," he said as his eyes darted about, his ears twitched and he sniffed the air. That was when he caught the distinct stench of arachnid, or to be more specific the smell of one of the various tailed demons out there that wished to gain power and rank by killing him. He didn't know this one's name, but it was a 5-tailed scorpion. Naruto went stiff, it was close inside Konoha and lurking somewhere in the woods waiting for him. "Damn it, it's too soon for this," Naruto muttered. "What's going on?" Kakashi asked as a sudden feeling of dread washed over him. "In the future, when I finished absorbing Kyuubi's power, other demons ranging from tailed beasts to archdemons began hunting me down and challenging me in hopes of gaining my power and improving their rank. The damn things are sensing me now that I am here in the past, and instead of them showing up after I've been exiled, they are showing up now, thankfully. Not many of them are stupid enough to attack while I'm in a village. This one though." Naruto gritted his teeth. Kakashi searched and like Naruto found a high level of demonic chakra in the woods, but now it was moving towards them. "Shit, this is going to be trouble." "Way to state the obvious," Naruto retorted dryly. "It's a 5-tailed scorpion, has no title yet, and once I'm finished with it, it never will." "You're going to try and fight it alone, aren't you?" Kakashi asked. "Damn right I am, I did it once before, I'll do it again." Naruto paused for a moment, it was getting closer. Sensei, get Sakura-chan out of here now, I can't let her see my true form yet, shit, too late. A familiar voice let out a terrified scream as a massive black scorpion with 5 stinging tails scuttled out of the forest. It snarled at the human as acidic slaver fell from its fanged maw, its massive pincers snapping and twitching as if ready to strike. Sakura was pinned against the tree she had been training on, she had gone deathly pale and was terrified as 8 beady eyes looked at her like she was the next blue plate special. Kakashi and Naruto appeared a short distance away from her as Naruto released a suppression on his powers. Kakashi-sensei, get Sakura-chan away from here, I've a demon to kill. Naruto said and began going through a few hand seals. Demon arts level 1 Hanyu release. Naruto growled. Kakashi did as told, but neither made it very far as they stopped in awe as Naruto's chakra levels became unmeasurable and his features became more feral. To their surprise, Naruto took off his trench coat and swords and tossed them towards them. 9 golden furred fox tails with crimson tips flailing behind him as he prepared himself. Naruto's claws had jutted out his fingers, his whisker marks widening and darkening as his fangs grew longer, his eyes now more vulpine in their looks. I am sorry you have to see this now, Sakura-chan. Naruto's demonic voice rang out. Demon release final form 9 tails unleash. The ground beneath Naruto cratered beneath his feet as chunks of earth were ripped up from the massive surge of power. Deep crimson chakra flowed over Naruto's body like flames. The skies above turned gray as lightning flashed and thunder cracked. As Naruto reached his full power, his body began to shift once again. The sounds of bones breaking and fixing themselves was audible as his height shot up to nearly 8 foot tall and his muscle mass grew to match it. Golden blonde fur then began to cover his body with streaks of crimson added into it. Naruto's face elongated into that of a mixture of human with a fox-like muzzle, a set of saber-like fangs and razor-sharp teeth lining his maw. His ears grew in length and had crimson tips, long and fox-like. His boots burned off of him as his feet were replaced by large pawed claw-like feet and his shirt finally shredded itself from the strain of his new form. His 9 tails seemed to grow longer and sleeker as they flailed behind him. Naruto hunched over and slammed his large clawed hands into the ground, causing the earth to tremble slightly as he let out a massive inhuman roar. His glowing cobalt blue eyes narrowing in anger as he bared his teeth at the now slightly perturbed scorpion demon. This was his final and most powerful demon form, a hybrid of human and demon fox, a 9-tailed werefox, the Neo-Kyuubi. Beast Naruto turned his head slightly to see Sakura and Kakashi gawking at him. He was surprised to see they held no fear in their gaze, just utter awe. Kakashi-sensei, Sakura-chan, run, get safe. Naruto growled out, it was difficult to talk in this form. His distraction would cost him. The middle tail on the scorpion lashed out and impaled itself in his shoulder, causing Naruto to roar in pain and Sakura to scream in terror as vile green venom dripped from the stinger poking out the back of his shoulder. The werefox let out another roar and ripped the tail in two and then tore out the offending piece of the appendage in his shoulder. A searing burning sensation shot through his body as the venom went through his bloodstream. He was immune to all types of venom and poison, but this particular one had a slightly acidic nature to it, so while he could fight off the poisoning effects, easily the acid would still cause some nasty damage before being flushed from him. It didn't help that this poison would screw with his chakra as well, making healing more difficult as well as control. The scorpion clicked angrily at the pathetic half-breed in front of it, pain shot through it as its middle tail was rendered useless. Letting out an angry hiss, it began striking at the werefox with its other tails. Naruto dodged each strike or swatted the tail away, grunting in pain each time as the acid finished running its course and was purged from his system, though the internal damage was pretty bad. Even with his accelerated healing, it would take a few hours to heal this damage. Cursed demonic venoms, it was draining his chakra to heal so much. Naruto was angry with himself for letting himself get distracted. Kakashi, desperate to help, began going through hand seals arachnids hated fire release fire dragon missile jutsu. He called out as he blew out a massive dragon made of red-hot fire that slammed into the side of the scorpion demon. The giant arachnid let out a screech of pain and anger before turning about and rearing back one of its massive pincers to crush the puny mortals. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura-chan. Nuo. Beast Naruto roared in fright before using a large portion of his chakra to use a replacement jutsu to get them out of harm's way. The scorpion's hammer-like pincer claw was brought down with the force of a blockbuster bomb, driving Beast Naruto into the unforgiving earth like a nail through wood. The earth trembled from the force of the blow, the shockwave was felt for a 5-mile radius. The scorpion lifted up its claw as large streams of crimson blood ran off of it. The demon arachnid reared back and let out a chilling inhuman laugh that resembled a loud screeching noise. Kakashi stood there shaking, his visible eye wide in terror. Sakura choked as tears sprang from her eyes. "Nah, Naruto," she muttered, shaking her head. "No. Naruto. No." She screamed his chakra, she couldn't feel it. Chapter 6, Demons, Tales and Plots. Dead silence reigned over the training ground save for the horrible clicking and screeching noise that the demon scorpion was making in victory. Kakashi could hardly believe what he had just seen, his eyes had seen it, but his mind didn't want to comprehend it. Sakura next to him had turned white as a sheet and then a bit green as tears streamed from her eyes. She continued to shake her head no in denial, as her lips trembled and bile rose in her throat. Always, known in, all my time. A little left of center now. Reflect as I realize that all I need is to find the middle pillar. Have to sit like the sun by a star in the sky and just be. Sinners, casting stones at me. I stand, not crawling, not falling down. I bleed the demons that drag me down. I stand, for nothing. Not crawling, the center. Not falling down, of calms within the eye. I'll bleed, for no one. The demons, but myself. That pull me down, for me and no one else. Just as Sakura fell to her knees, several other groups arrived to see the horror. Sarutobi, Asuma, Guy and Kurenai had all arrived with their teams and stood stock still in shock at the sight of the massive five-tailed scorpion that was seemingly gloating to itself. Sarutobi saw the large spattering of blood on the beast's claw and blanched. Kakashi-san, whose blood? The Hokage asked. Ino, Tenten and Hinata were now trying to comfort a rather hysterical Sakura who kept crying out for Naruto. Kakashi began to tremble. It's Naruto's. He performed a substitution jutsu and took the blow for myself and Sakura. He choked out. Okami. Sarutobi gulped. The three girls trying to help Sakura were now not doing much better than she was. Hinata had screamed and fainted, Ino looked ready to toss her breakfast, and Tenten was shivering in fear. The Jounin were stiff and went ramrod straight when the massive arachnid turned its attention towards the group, happy to see its dinner had grown in size. We must stop that unyouthful monster, Guy-sensei. Rock Lee cried out. I gritted his teeth. I agree, but it will be most difficult. He said in his serious voice. The scorpion eyed the humans until its 8 beady eyes rested on 4 trembling young girls. It began to salivate. After all, human female virgins were a delicacy amongst the flesh-eating demons, and he had 4 just ripe for the picking. The beast opened its maw wide as 4 tentacle-like appendages shot out and wrapped around the 4 genin kunoichi, causing each of them to scream in terror and the other ninja to blanch. Goodbye, sunshine, I've put it out again, sad. I'm over, personalities, conflicting. I don't need you or anyone else but me. I'll just be, living my own life. I feel I'm glowing, center grow, infecting. I feel alive. Shovel dirt over lime. Planted in myself to sit like a seed under. Hovers of earth and just be. Sinners, pointing fingers at me. I stand, for nothing. Not crawling, by myself. Not falling down. I bleed, for no one. The demons, but myself. That drag me down. I stand, for nothing. Not crawling, the center. Not falling down, of calms within the eye. I'll bleed, for no one. The demons, but myself. That pull me down, for me and no one else. The Jounin quickly began trying to free the 4 girls, Guy and Lee, using every ounce of their strength to keep the monster from retracting its tongues. Asuma had his trench knives out, along with Kakashi wielding 2 kunai, trying to cut their students loose to no avail. The flesh was as hard as steel. Kurenai bent 2 senbon and broke 1 kunai trying to stab the tongue-holding Hinata. Sarutobi was beginning to panic. Without something to seal the demon into the 4th seal, jutsu was useless, not to mention, as long as it had the girls he couldn't risk using it. Without Naruto they literally had no options. Jounin and cage level jutsu would just piss the creature off more than it was. Sakura, Ino, Hinata, who was forced awake, and Tenten suddenly all cried out for Naruto to help them. The fear in their voices was tearing at the other stunned genin, but they were too terrified to do anything. The killing intent coming off the demon scorpion had frozen them in place. There was a sudden trembling in the ground as the girls continued to scream and cry out for help. The trembling grew as a sudden massive surge of chakra erupted from below ground, followed by an enraged inhuman roar. The earth ripped apart as Naruto, still in werefox form, tore out of the ground, bloody, beaten, but still ready to rip into the demon. Beast Naruto saw the situation the girls were in. Sakura, the only one realizing who he was, began to cry out happily at the sight of him. He jerked around snarling as his feral glowing blue eyes narrowed at the insected, had gotten a lucky shot the first time. No more Mr. Nice Hanyu. At this point Naruto was nearly in berserker mode and relying on his primal instincts and fueled by the one thing that made him different than most, his alpha male nature. Play kill. Refuse my body, refuse my shadow. Stone cold will. Refuse to lead this, refuse to follow. Bitter pills. Refuse to feed this, refuse to swallow. I'm fueled godless. Come play, come play. Kill. Just be, just be. Just be, just be. Just be, just be. Release friends now. Naruto roared and slashed up with his blade-like claws. The four tongues stood no chance against the power of an enraged demon lord and were severed, sending out 4 gouts of rancid-looking purple slime like blood. The scorpion let out a screeching howl of pain as it staggered back from the recoil of losing hold of its prey. The werefox took full advantage of this, and in less than a second he was on the giant arachnid, his arms around its left pincer appendage. With a savage tug and a loud cracking noise, said appendage was ripped off the demon's body before being used as a club to shatter the one on the right with another thunderous crack. Another tail lashed out at the werefox, its venomous stinger making to pierce the beast's heart. Beast Naruto caught the offending appendage in his massive clawed hand and clenched down. Another sickening crack sounded off as the stinger and exoskeleton of the tail shattered under the pressure of the werefox's grip. Beast Naruto hacked up a large amount of blood. The internal damage he suffered wasn't healing as fast due to his heavy use of chakra to heal and had only been worsened by the last blow he took. He needed to end this quickly and he knew just the trick to do it. Leaping up into the air, all 9 tails spread out behind him and began spinning around in a spiraling manner. The werefox opened its maw as a large orb of swirling red and blue energy appeared in each clawed hand as another roar sounded off his intent for a killing strike. Twin demonic bullet Rasengan. Naruto roared and thrust his clawed hands forward, causing both Rasengan to shoot from his palms. I stand for nothing. Not crawling by myself. Not falling down. I bleed for no one. The demons, but myself. That dragged me down. I stand for nothing. Not crawling, the center. Not falling down, of calms within the eye. I'll bleed for no one. The demons, but myself. That dragged me down, for me and no one else. Both drilling balls of energy spiraled towards the demon scorpion at the speed of a pistol shot, impacting into the demon's face and drilling their way through its exoskeleton. 2 seconds later the 2 Rasengan blew up inside of the demon with enough force to incinerate it. Before the explosion could reach the other shinobi, Naruto appeared in front of them and summoned another massive surge of chakra and created a glowing red barrier around the group, letting the shockwave and explosion pass over them harmlessly. Naruto dropped the barrier and staggered slightly as he turned to look at those gathered. Friends as safe know how the last part came out, gurgled as blood poured from his mouth, his eyes rolled up and he passed out. His body returning to human form before he even hit the ground, steam pouring from his body as the damage he took from the fight became horribly apparent. The strange part was that his ears remained slightly pointed but otherwise human looking, and one of his tails remained out. Kakashi dropped down and began checking his vitals. Damn, he's really weak, low pulse, chakra exhaustion and power burnout. If we don't get him help now he'll die. Kakashi, Kurenai and Sarutobi were the only ones there that knew any kind of medical jutsu, so they began working on him fervently. Sakura suddenly remembered the supplies Naruto had gotten her and gave Kakashi 2 blood, food and soldier pills. Hinata had some of her homemade healing cream with her and tearfully began putting it on some of his wounds. Tenten and Ino grabbed some extra bandages from their supply pouches and began wrapping the treated wounds. The male genin finally snapping to decided to help in any way they could. Neji walked over and activated his byakugan and winced. Naruto-san seems to have taken a lot of damage from some kind of acid. He is healing but slowly. His chakra coils seem to have shattered but are also slowly repairing themselves. He said in his usual monotone. Once treatments had been done to the best of their abilities, Guy picked the now somewhat stabilized Naruto up. I will get him to the hospital as fast as I can, Hokage-sama. He said and took off so fast only a cloud of dust remained in his wake. 2 hours later. The entire Rookie 9 except Naruto and Sasuke, Team Guy, the Jounin senseis and Sarutobi, waited outside in the waiting area for any news on Naruto. Some rather startling news had been discovered about Sasuke when a complete physical and checkup was run on him. They discovered that he had somehow become sterile due to a mishaps with his chakra and it was irreversible. More so was that his sharingan would remain dormant as his special chakra pockets for the Dijutsu had seemingly never developed. The others had been shocked, but there were a few there that thought it for the best, Sarutobi, Asuma, Kurenai, Guy and surprisingly Kakashi, who had come to believe the Uchiha clan was cursed. To the Jounin's shock, none of the females seemed distressed about this, in fact Sakura looked a little smug, and so did Hinata. Tenten didn't know him and couldn't care less due to his rather harsh reputation in his treatment of other girls. Ino just looked indifferent, she had lost her interest in him yesterday when he acted like an ass to Naruto. Kiba had snickered along with Shoji. Shikamaru just snoozed and Shino remained stoic as usual. Lee and Neji didn't know the Uchiha, so it didn't really matter to them. Sarutobi and Kakashi then did their best to explain a few things such as Naruto's 9-tailed form. It had taken them a little while to explain that as a Hanyu Naruto has 2 levels of his power that he can unlock if needed in battle, and that even though he might look like a monster that he was still in complete control of the transformation. Sakura took it in stride, having been the first aside from Kakashi to witness the change and knew that he did it to protect them. Ino thought it was neat, like something she had seen in one of her favorite horror films. Tenten thought he was cute, which caused several of the males to face fault and sweat drop Tenten. Always was one of the odd ones, go figure she would see the Neo-Kyuubi as some sort of big puppy. Hinata didn't voice it, but she agreed with Tenten and thought that the form was cute, though she noted it would be cuter if he wasn't using it to tear apart a gigantic five-tailed scorpion. The male genin didn't really have anything to comment on, considering Naruto's werefox form. It had freaked them out a bit at first, but his lack of aggression towards them killed any previous fear they might have had. Finally, a doctor came out by the name of Katsuki Yamada. Sarutobi got up from his seat. "How is he, Dr. Yamada?" The doctor chuckled. He was one of the few who had always treated Naruto in the past when he was brought in after mob attacks. "If there were more like that kid, I'd be out of a job. Once we got some extra chakra into his system, his levels began returning to normal at their usual inhuman pace. The damage done to his insides was extensive, but with a little help from us, his healing factor had made him good as new again. I'm telling you though, any normal human would have died from the amount of chakra he produced. It was so much that it caused his coils to break and reform into larger ones. Instead of being twice the size of human chakra coils, they are now 3 times the size and stronger than before," Katsuki reported. "Any clue as to why he kept a tail and his ears pointed out when the rest of him returned to normal?" Kakashi asked curiously. "Actually yes, when his chakra coils reformed they needed a balancer or limiter to keep his chakra flow going properly. To be honest, it appears as if that was the final step in his evolution as a Hanyu. According to his blood work, he is now literally a fox-human hybrid. Thankfully his personality wasn't affected by this, his only comment was to chuckle and toss out a few curses at Kami and Shinigami for their bad sense of humor. Any other changes that take place will be of his own doing, so no need to worry about him sprouting more tails or fox ears unless he changes forms. All in all, he is just fine now, and his immunity to poisons and venoms has strengthened to the point he has also become immune to acid. His blood can actually turn acid into harmless substance now. He is still suffering from power burnout though and was asleep when we moved him to his private room, but knowing his recovery rate, he should be fine in a day or so," Katsuki stated. What is power burnout?" Hinata asked in her usual shy tones. "It is the price the human part of a body pays for using extremely high levels of demonic chakra and powers for any period of time. The effect varies depending on the amount of power, chakra and/or damage taken during a fight. Truth be told, if Naruto were to ever sustain too much damage and expend too much chakra, it could kill him, but considering his regenerative abilities that risk is quite low. For the most part he would just need to rest a bit to regain his strength," Katsuki answered. "May we see him?" Sarutobi asked. The doctor smiled. "Right this way, Hokage-sama. Are all of you his friends?" he asked the others and they nodded. "Then you may go too, just let him get some sleep for now, he will wake soon enough." He then led the group to a large private room where Naruto could be seen sleeping peacefully in the bed. The wounds he had sustained from the battle were now nothing more than scars on his body, some had even vanished altogether. His face was set in a peaceful if not innocent look, though his ears did twitch slightly with the sounds of their footfalls. They were still slightly pointed, but no longer long and foxy. Tenten and the other females in the room giggled quietly as they saw his tail sway lazily over the side of his bed. "That's one hell of a kid we got there, eh pops?" Asuma asked his father. "Aye, he is one of a kind." Sarutobi nodded. Neji looked at Naruto and frowned. "I can understand everything you've told us so far, Hokage-sama, but I do not understand why a 5-tailed demon scorpion suddenly just showed up." "It is because it sensed my power and wanted to claim my power or gain rank by killing me," Naruto said in a quiet voice. He sounded rather tired, so much so that he couldn't even open his eyes. "Sakura-chan, Hinata-chan, Ino-chan and Tenten-chan, are they safe?" 3 of the girls blushed at having the suffix added to their names. Sakura was used to it, so she just smiled at his concern for their well-being. "Yeah, we are, thanks to you, Whiskers," Ino said with a giggle. Naruto chuckled tiredly at the weird nickname. "Good, I was afraid that thing might have hurt one of you. I'm sorry you had to see me change like that. Now that I think on it, I probably should have just fought the bastard in my first level form, but I didn't want to risk it, so I powered up to my 9-tail form." It was a partial truth, most of his skills were highly destructive and he didn't want people to see some of them just yet. "Should we expect any more attacks like that one?" Sarutobi asked. "No, Jai-chan, that one was one of the less intelligent tailed demons. Most aren't stupid enough to attack me when I'm in a village because of the chance of other ninja and the fear of being sealed. Besides, most of the tailed demon lords act as guardians of their chosen elemental country and aren't really evil. It's the lesser tailed demons we have to be wary of though. I doubt after that any of them will be dumb enough to attack," Naruto stated with a yawn. "Why's that?" Kurenai asked curiously. Because technically and by demon law I am the new nine-tailed demon lord and acting guardian of Fire Country. By killing that five-tailed scorpion I activated that status by demon laws, even though I'm only a Hanyu. Some might still try, but it will be rare if they do. The title I carry, and my power levels are more than enough to scare even some of the dumber ones off. Naruto answered. While Naruto was explaining things, Tenten had become quite enamored with his tail and took to playing with it. So by effect Naruto began to feel some rather odd and pleasant sensations. Despite his body feeling like someone dropped the Hokage tower on it every time she stroked the fur on his tail a certain way, it sent a shock of pleasure up his spine, much to his silent horror. Another piece of his anatomy was reacting as well. The adults noticed and began snickering to themselves, while Tenten remained blissfully unaware of what she was doing to Naruto. Hinata however did notice and blushed brightly, which caught Ino and Sakura's attention. Ino got a nosebleed. Tenten, Naruto let out in a strained squeaky voice. Can you stop playing with my tail? Aw, but it's so fun, it's all nice and fluo. She caught on and turned a nice shade of magenta. Kiba was rolling on the floor at this point. Things looking up, Naruto? He asked. If I could move right now, Fido, I'd be kicking your ass for that. Naruto grumbled. Why can't you move, and do you have any idea why you grew a tail? Kakashi asked, taking mercy on him, though he was laughing his ass off in his head. Naruto was thankful for the conversation change. I can't move a muscle, not even to open my eyes, because of the damage I took during my fight. It's a side effect of power burnout that basically has the body force rest. To be honest, it's taking a great deal of concentration just to move my jaw to talk it. Should wear off after a good night's sleep and I'll be back to normal. This only happens after either long battles and or if I take a lot of physical damage. The tale I was warned it could happen if I pushed my power levels to hard in my nine-tailed form. The result was breaking and reforming my chakra coils, but the doctor already explained that. The tail is also a symbol of my rank as a demon lord. All tailed demon lords have a tail when they take human form, most of them just hide it under a simple genjutsu or a cloak. Naruto answered. Might have helped though if my body had been given enough time to properly adjust to my future self and power levels. Ah well, what can you do? He added mentally. Sarutobi chuckled. It's just one thing after another with you, isn't it? You have no idea, Naruto replied dryly. Naruto woke the next morning feeling his power levels back to their optimum level. Shinigami had been correct when he said that it would take a few days for Naruto's body to properly adjust to his power. He shook his head. A lot had happened the past 2 days, more than he would have liked, but there was no going back now. At least he was in top form again. He frowned a bit as he looked at his new tail, the price of using his nine-tailed beast form without letting his body fully adjust to the new power levels that were put in it. Physical changes had been easy to adapt to, but when you force a human body from the past to merge with a Hanyu body from the future, it takes time for all that power to properly adapt into the system and stabilize. Thankfully, from the feel of it, he was now at his peak level and could now fully utilize all of his powers and abilities without problems. Naruto got out of the hospital bed and stretched his stiff muscles. He idly noticed he was clad in only a pair of boxers. On a table next to the bed lay his utility belts, shredded pants, trench coat, griever and beowulf. He reached into his scroll pouch and pulled out his clothes storage scroll, and seconds later he had another pair of boots, a black tank top, and a pair of black Anbu-style pants. Quickly donning the clothes, he stuck his swords to his back and then went over to the window, opened it and jumped out. Truth be told, he hated hospitals. This was better though, he could move freely again, so a leisurely run across Konoha's rooftops was just what he needed to refresh himself, along with a trip to the hot spring to take a good soak and wash up. Several miles from the fast-moving Naruto, Sakura, Ino, Tenten and Hinata along with Anko and Kurenai decided to also take a trip to the hot springs to relax a bit. The stress from the encounter with the demon scorpion was still running through the 4 girls, and they wanted to soak the stress out. Kurenai tagged along because she had just finished training Hinata and Sakura in Genjutsu at Kakashi's request. Anko invited herself since she wanted to find out what are the 4 genin Kunoichi so talkative about Naruto. Shortly after the group of Kunoichi arrived, so did Naruto, who went to the men's side, oblivious to what was going on the other side of the divider. So Naruto really beat the crap out of Sasuke for being mean to you? Ino exclaimed in surprise and a little anger at the raven-haired brooder. Sakura nodded with a light blush. Naruto-kun took him down in 2 hits and then did his best to make me feel better. I almost kissed him. She giggled. Ino pouted. No fair, give the rest of us a chance, forehead. It's not fair you got on the same team with the 2 hottest guys in our year. You can have Sasuke if you want him. The moment he said I was only useful for reading books and cannon fodder, I realized just who he really was. He's a prick. Sakura said, crossing her arms. Ino frowned. Yeah, he is. Never thought I'd say that. Tenten chuckled. The Uchiha sounds a lot like Niji. I tried to get him to date me for almost 2 years, but he has this damn obsession with fate, or in his words, we are not fated to be together. Hinata remained silent. She knew her cousin could be mean and hated the main house of her clan, but at the moment there was nothing she could do about it or him. She was also a little upset that Sakura and the 2 other girls were taking so much interest in her Naruto-kun. However, that might be moot considering what her father had informed her of last night. Ino noticed Hinata deep in thought and got curious. "Hey, Hinata, what's on your mind?" Hinata looked up and gave a small smile to the other girls, at least around them she didn't stutter all the time. "I was just thinking about what father told me last night about Naruto-kun," she said. Tenten blinked curiously. "What did he say?" That Naruto-kun was the last of his clan and the holder of a new Kekkei Genkai, though we already knew that. What I found out last night though was that he is now under the Clan Restoration Act, she informed them. Sakura's eyes widened. "I've heard about that law," she exclaimed. Sasuke was also stuck under it, not that he ever took interest. Anyway, that law forces the last living male heir of a clan who has a Kekkei Genkai to practice polygamy to restore the clan. This law goes one of 3 ways. The heir finds and chooses wives on his own, the heir gets forced into arranged marriages, or the worst one is that he is imprisoned for acting against the council, and genetic samples are taken and given to willing donors. Hinata nodded. Yes, and according to Father, Naruto-kun has until he is 16 to start gathering possible future wives, or the council will start forcing arranged marriages on him. A couple might be placed anyways due to his clan status. If he doesn't have any wives by the time he's 18, they will follow through with the third option, and I really doubt that the council can hold Naruto-kun prisoner for long. Ino cringed at the thought. No kidding, we'd have another Kyuubi attack, and this time it would be the council's fault. I wonder how many wives he has to have. What are the minimum and maximum numbers? She trailed off in thought. I remember learning a bit about this during my time at the academy. I believe the minimum number is 6, and as far as I know there is no maximum number. Tenten added and then grinned. Well, there's 4 of us, we get 2 more girls, and that makes 6. But you don't even know him. Sakura nearly shouted. Not yet, but I plan on getting to know him better, and since I don't really have to worry about competition cause of the laws on him, I'm going for it, Tenten said cheekily. Sharing didn't sound too bad to her. So am I, Hinata said shyly. I almost screwed up with him once before because I misjudged him. I'm not letting this chance pass me up either, Sakura added. Ino let out a fake sigh. Well, I can't let Forehead here drive him nuts, so I better join in too. Besides, I've heard about his insane stamina. Think of the fun. The 3 other girls blushed at the lewd implications. You are such a pervert, Ino pig, Sakura mumbled while fighting off a small nosebleed. Kurenai continued to watch the 4 genin Kunoichi gossip, giggle and scheme about ways to get their Naruto-kun. The Jinjutsu mistress was mildly surprised at how quickly the young Hanyu had gotten the girls' attention, though she knew that Hinata had always been interested. She wasn't too surprised, thought, having talked to him a few times. He was a gentleman, kind and clearly chivalrous. He reminded Kurenai of a younger Asuma mixed with personality traits from the late Arashi Kazama. Bemused, she was about to ask her best friend what she thought, only to find the 20-year-old snake mistress no longer sitting next to her but peeking through a hole in the divider. Anko? What are you doing over there? Kurenai asked. She knew her friend was a pervert, but she thought that Anko might try to set an example for the genin. Anko turned with a shit-eating grin on her features. Oh, I was just checking out the scenery, and what wonderful scenery it is. Our little Foxy-kun decided to take a soak too. Cue the sound of music and a record coming to a rather abrupt screeching halt. Poor genin Kunoichi stopped talking, and silence reigned for all of 5 seconds before the girls looked at each other with a gleam in their eyes and nodded. Tenten produced 4 kunai from somewhere and handed the others 1. 4 young females took off like a shot and landed next to an amused Anko, who had gone back to peeking and poked holes of their own into the divider. Kurenai sweat dropped. So much for males being the more perverted side of the species. Naruto had been relaxing and enjoying the feeling of the hot water, relaxing his muscles when he was forced into a sneezing fit for a few moments. A sudden shudder went down his spine and caused his tail to bush out. If I didn't know better, Naruto frowned. I'd say someone was planning things behind my back. Oh well, at least Hiro-senin isn't here. He let out a yawn and stretched himself. Standing up for a moment, he began stretching and flexing his muscles to ensure they were back in proper working order. He smiled when he noticed all previous pain and stiffness was gone. Having a tail now though made it impossible to use a towel to cover his modesty, not that he had anything to be modest about. He was quite large for his age, but not disturbingly so. He kept a towel close by to hold up when he left the bath. It never crossed his mind that he could use his tail to cover himself. His sensitive hearing picked up some quiet muffled giggles, muffled girly perverted giggles. Naruto blinked twice and looked around. He didn't see Jiraiya or Kakashi around. In fact, he knew Jiraiya wasn't in the village at the moment. He started wading around in the pool of hot water in hopes of figuring out who was making the noise. If it was some pervert, he was going to pummel the man. What the hell is going on? He sniffed a couple of times, and the closer he got to the divider, the stronger he could detect the mixed scent of vanilla and honey. If I find out whoever the pervert is around here, I'm going to brain him," Naruto said, stopping near the divider wall. A muffled gasp was heard as one of the girls got an up-close eyeful and let out an involuntary chakra spike and promptly fell backwards with a massive nosebleed. Naruto heard several screams from the other side, followed by a few more chakra surges. Growing concerned, he dashed over to the locker, pulled out a pair of long short and some bandages, which he hastily wrapped around his eyes just in case. Using his enhanced senses, he hastily made his way over to the entrance of the female side of the hot springs, his blindfold securely in place. "I heard screams. Is everyone alright over here?" Naruto called out, his back turned despite the blindfold. It had only taken Ino a moment to recover, and she, along with the other women, started at the sound of Naruto's voice. They looked to the entrance to see Naruto standing there clad in nothing but a pair of shorts, his tail's tip flicking about, and with bandages wrapped around his head and a makeshift blindfold, his back to them. Now there was various ways they could react to this situation, but given the fact that Naruto had blindfolded himself and had his back turned with concern in his voice, the thoughts of screaming pervert and pummeling him flew out the window. But what to do? They didn't want to admit that they were the ones peeking. Kurenai flushed slightly and decided to make a discreet retreat through the second entrance after hastily gathering her clothes. The whole thing had grown a little too awkward for her to handle. Anko, however, got a deliciously devious idea and grinned evilly towards the unsuspecting blonde Hanyu. Naruto frowned in confusion at the sudden silence, his pointed elf-like ears twitching slightly to pick up sounds as his tail began swaying about as if searching the area around him. Ladies, is everything okay?" Naruto asked, again a bit nervous this time because he didn't want to be labeled a pervert. Anko flash stepped behind Naruto, grabbed his arm and tossed him into the center of the pool before shutting the door and locking it with a predatory grin. She quickly did the same with the other door. Now it was time to have a little fun. Naruto spluttered a bit and managed to get his bearings as he dropped into a taijutsu stance, thinking he was being attacked. "Show yourself, you perverted bastard. If any of the ladies here have been harmed, I'll kill you," he snarled. This caught all of them, even Anko, by surprise. They didn't know that Naruto could sense their presences, but since he wasn't very familiar with Anko's signature and he could smell snake, he was instantly on guard. They also didn't know that he was good at blind fighting either. Thankfully, Sakura spoke up before Naruto could do something he would regret. "Hinata had fainted again, her eyes swirling in comical spirals as steam poured from her ears and a trickle of blood from her nose. "We're fine, Naruto-kun," Sakura said in a soothing tone as she placed a hand on his arm. "There's no one here and we are just fine." But who threw me and why do I smell snake?" Naruto asked, still on edge. Anko frowned a bit. "That would be me," she said, losing a lot of her playfulness. Naruto's ear twitched in Anko's direction and he sniffed again and frowned. "I apologize, Anko-san, I am not familiar with your chakra signature and when I sensed your cursed seal I assumed the worst. I should have known better. I guess I'm just a bit jumpy, I'm sorry." He bowed in the direction he smelled her in and frowned. What the hell? Vanilla and honey again coming from 5 different sources. Anko smiled at the honest tones in his words, besides how could she stay angry at someone so cute? "I'll let you off this time, Foxy-kun, but why did you blindfold yourself?" she asked coyly. Beads of sweat formed on Naruto's brow and he swallowed hard. "Well, I'm not a pervert, I didn't want to see anyone in here," he stated. Anko and Ino huffed, their cheeks puffing out slightly. "And what's wrong with us that you wouldn't want to see?" both asked in unison. Naruto cringed. "And no, nothing." He let out an uncharacteristic squeak and then cleared his throat. It's just that it's not polite and I didn't want to make anyone mad. Shit. I'm gonna die. They are gonna castrate me and pummel me into the ground like Hiro-sen and crap. Naruto panicked. Tenten, on the other hand, was looking at Naruto's fidgeting tail, much like a cat does a new toy. Sakura looked like she wanted to follow Hinata's example, but the perverted part of her mind, inner Sakura, refused to let her. Hinata was slowly coming to. She didn't realize the fastener on her towel had came loose from her frequent fainting spells. Anko did notice and let an evil grin cross her lips. Ino mimicked it. In one swift move by both, Anko jerked off the blindfold Naruto was wearing as Ino made sure Hinata's towel fell off. Naruto's eyes widened to impossible sizes since the first thing he saw was a very nude Hinata Hyuga. He stiffened in more ways than one. "And na, Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked in shock. She hadn't realized her towel had slipped off just yet and she unconsciously looked down to see a rather large tent in Naruto's shorts. "Oh," she squeaked but managed to stay conscious. With every ounce of willpower Naruto possessed he stemmed off a rather forceful nosebleed before it could start, screwed his eyes shut and dropped his hands to cover himself. "I'm sorry I didn't mean to, I'm not a pervert, please don't hurt me," he said somewhat pathetically. Anko frowned. This wasn't the reaction she expected, and frankly it ruined the mood and what fun it was supposed to bring. If she didn't know better she'd almost swear he was scared. Naruto began to shiver and her frown deepened. What on earth could have caused this kind of reaction? She knew he wasn't gay, then she remembered the memories he showed them 2 days ago in the Hokage's office and mentally kicked herself. Tenten, Ino and Sakura were very confused. They had just seen him tear apart a 5-tailed demon the other day and now he was acting terrified of them. Hinata stifled a gasp as she finally noticed her lack of towel and shot Ino a glare through a deep crimson blush. Ino gave the smaller girl a nervous grin and handed back the towel, and Hinata covered herself quickly. Sakura touched his shoulder to ask if he was alright, and Naruto flinched away from her and gritted his teeth, as if waiting for a blow to come. Enko sighed. "Shit, I should have known better." "Huh?" came 4 surprised voices. Naruto was still silent. "Naruto, you can open your eyes, none of us are mad at you, we aren't going to hurt you, and Hinata-chan is covered again," Anko said in her not a crazy woman tone. But Naruto started. "No buts," Anko said firmly. "You didn't dishonor any of us, and we don't think you're a pervert, if anything it's my fault for forcing the situation." Realization dawned on the girls' faces. Naruto's deep-rooted sense of honor had him believe that he had dishonored them by seeing them. For all of Naruto's strengths he still had major insecurities when it came to women. He had been afraid that they would hate him now. Hinata, not wanting to see her crush punishing himself for something that really wasn't his fault, screwed up her courage and used all of her will not to stutter. "Then Naruto-kun, it was an accident, I'm not mad," she said, her tone still quiet and shy but with a hint of determination in it. "Yeah, none of us are mad, and I want to say I'm sorry to you, and Hinata, I was the one who made sure her towel fell off," Ino said. Naruto frowned in confusion. Wasn't this the party got castrated and pummeled to death? Forcing his eyes to slowly open he noticed Tenten, Hinata, Sakura and Ino standing closer to him, blushing but not angry. "I don't understand," he said, confusion thick in his tones. Before any of them could speak Naruto shook off his previous fear and discomfort but turned stoic as he ruthlessly squashed his emotions while berating himself silently. "I am sorry, I had thought you were in trouble, I should have known better myself. Now, if you ladies will excuse me, I have things to attend to." He lightened his voice in monotone and in a swirl of water he vanished. "Damn it," Anko cursed. "What just happened?" Sakura asked, a bit upset at how quickly Naruto could shut off his emotions. "What I did when I pulled him in here was a mistake. It acted as a shock to his mind. I think he thinks we hate him or should hate him for what happened." Hinata looked sad. "Is it because of his past?" Anko winced. "You could say that. There are things about Naruto that I cannot explain to you. In time he might tell you, but not until he feels the time is right. All I can say is that no matter how powerful someone is, they will still have a weakness. Some fear death, for example. Naruto, his fear is hurting and or losing those precious to him. It doesn't help that his deeper emotional range is very limited. He's afraid of love because any time he has let himself feel it, it has been taken away from him," Anko said, now feeling bad for him. Ino looked at Anko for a moment, her eyes narrowing as she viewed the slightly older teen. "You like him, don't you?" she asked. Anko shrugged. "What's not to like? He's handsome, considerate and has a body to die for. I'm not in love with him like you girls are, though I don't know him well enough yet." She chuckled as the 4 girls blushed deeply but was happy to see that none of them denied it. "A word of advice for you girls: if you truly want a place in his heart, find what binds his heart and unlock it slowly. Don't make the same mistake I just did. Seduction tactics won't work on him until he has warmed up to you all a bit." But that said, Anko left the 4 genin Kunoichi to think over what she just said. She herself wanted some time to think to herself about the blonde Hanyu. She usually wasn't so affected by a guy and wanted to figure out why when he was around she felt different. Perhaps it was because they were kindred spirits both, having had to suffer prejudices in their lives for things they had no control over. Several hours later, Naruto sat alone in one of the old abandoned training grounds. His previous frustration had been taken out on several boulders and old training logs which were now reduced to rubble and sawdust. He was angry and disappointed in himself. Angry for letting old fears resurface and disappointed for acting on them instead of controlling his emotions like he always did. It was times like this that he missed Kyuubi's presence. She had always helped him remain calm in the past. The reactions the girls had confused him greatly, especially Hinata. He'd seen her nude for Kami's sake and she didn't even scream. Part of him felt like a damn pedophile due to his mental age, but he had to remember that physically he was still only 13 and in the end age didn't really matter to a Hanyu. But damn, how did a 13-year-old girl get the body of a 16-year-old swimsuit model? Pushing those thoughts aside, Naruto sighed. Sleep would not come easy tonight. Sighing, he stood up and released the seal holding his Zanbato Requiem so he could train a bit with the massive blade. Then a puff of smoke and a flare of chakra Requiem appeared, forming out of his seal tattoo. From handle to tip it was nearly 9 foot long. The blade was a rather wicked looking piece of work. It was jet black and seemed to swallow all light that touched it, 8 inches thick and 2 feet wide. The blade was made so that it could cleave, slice, pierce and rip. Like most Zanbato, it was supposed to have a blunt side to it, but instead that side was covered with large ripping serrated spikes. The tip was an extended piercing tip much like a kunai blade, but as it came back down, it turned into a large and long double-edged scythe-like hook. The rest of the blade was obviously made for cleaving as it resembled Zabuza's sword the rest of the way back to the handle. The entire blade was made of black adamant, a demonic metal that was completely indestructible, could absorb chakra and store it, and worked with all known elemental affinities. It had no fancy hilt or handle, the handle was merely a thinned and rounded area of the blade, wrapped with dragon hide for added grip. The butt of the handle however held something truly interesting, a one-of-a-kind jewel known only as a prism diamond that was forever locked within the adamant holding it in place. It was about as thick as a golf ball, but instead of a rounded-off gem it had been cut so that it came out as a piercing sharp point. Its name came from the fact that shimmered with various different colors, much like a prism crystal does, but unlike crystal this was a diamond and unbreakable. The massive blade hummed as Naruto grasped it as if it was greeting its master. Naruto smiled. Requiem was semi-sentient, no one but him could wield it or lift it for that matter, and he could summon it to his hand if separated from it. It was the most powerful sword ever created by an unknown duo of demonic and divine artisans. No being before Naruto had ever been able to claim it, as the legend of it had foretold that only the one who was darkness beyond blackest pitch and radiance beyond greatest brilliance, a perfection of two opposing forces, could only wield Requiem. What that meant was only a being with a pure soul who had both the powers of darkness and light in harmony within themselves could master the Requiem. Naruto ran through various kata he had created for his own personal sword style. The massive blade cutting through the air with grace unheard of for such a sword its size. With each swing of Requiem, Naruto's mind eased more and more as the fog of confusion cleared and clarity took its place, calming the young Hanyu warrior. Things may not have started off for Naruto like he had hoped they would, but as it was said, even the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. It didn't matter anymore, Naruto had the power, strength and skills to match any surprise or danger that came his way. Besides, a few surprises was better than knowing everything that was going to happen. At least he wouldn't be bored in the foreseeable future. Chapter 7, Setting into Motion Part 1. 2 weeks later. The 2 weeks following the demon scorpion attack and the hot spring incident had been rather quiet, a fact which Naruto was grateful for. Much to the girls' dismay, Anko had been right, the incident was a step back in any progress they made with Naruto, albeit a small one, but a step back nonetheless. He had remained friendly but acted a bit more reclusive when it came to certain matters. The only really big thing that happened was when the medical reports on the Uchiha's medical condition became common knowledge. The council was extremely dismayed that they lost the sharingan and any chance of breeding it. Several had blamed Naruto due to Sasuke heatedly accusing him. Naruto just brushed them off, telling them he had no idea what they were talking about. Since no one could prove that Naruto did anything, the subject in general was dropped, though some of the more narrow-minded citizens still held the demon spawn in contempt. Naruto did tell the Hokage the truth, and the elderly man didn't question it. Since the order came directly from Shinigami himself, no one was stupid enough to question the death god's motives. Well, Naruto might, but he could technically get away with it since he was damn near a demigod himself, or would be when he turned 25. Kakashi was still forced to act as Sasuke's mentor, so Naruto continued Sakura's training. Sakura, along with the 3 other genin Kunoichi, decided it would be best to slow things down on their advances towards Naruto, at least until he grew more comfortable around them. This would give each of them the opportunity to get to know him better as a person and ensure themselves that their emotions were real and not just silly crushes and hormones. As such, each girl had managed to get Naruto to do something with them on a frequent basis, in the pretense of a friend helping a friend, training or helping them out. Naruto had sparring matches with Tenten 2 evenings a week at training ground 10 after Guy, Lee and Neji went to do their own things. The Ashi Hyuga had requested Naruto's aid in training Hinata in hopes the two would grow closer. So 2 nights a week Naruto was to come to the Hyuga compound and train with Hinata for a few hours. Some of the elder Hyuga nearly shit themselves when Naruto showed moderate knowledge and talent in Jyuukin and had incorporated it into his own style. Ino took up 2 more evenings a week when she asked Naruto to give her some training like he was giving Sakura. Naruto had thought about it for a moment but eventually agreed. Ino was more adept than Sakura was in some aspects due to her being a member of a shinobi clan. This led to Naruto helping out at the shop more often than not, which suited him fine as one of his hobbies was gardening. Sakura had training with him every morning before they took on a couple of D-rank missions. In 2 weeks she had, to Naruto's shock, tripled her previous chakra reserves, doubled her stamina and greatly increased her strength and speed. Naruto discovered she was a fast learner and had a drive to improve herself so that she wouldn't be a burden. Her chakra capacity was now close to Sasuke's level and her control was getting even better than it was. She had even learned a few beginner-level medical jutsu, could tree walk, water walk, and had nearly mastered kunai balancing. She also took quite well to the taijutsu style he was teaching her. This is where Naruto found himself now contemplating what he should teach Sakura next. Okay, Sakura-chan, you've improved yourself enough that I've decided to start teaching you some jutsu. Just remember to keep up your previous training during your spare time so your chakra capacity and control continue to grow. Naruto stated. Sakura smiled happily, she had worked herself harder than ever before to improve herself as quickly as she did. What kind of jutsu are you going to teach me? She asked. Naruto reached into one of his belt pouches and pulled out a blank piece of paper. I want you to hold on to this and pump some of your chakra into it. It will tell us what elemental affinity you have. Excited, Sakura grabbed the paper and did as told. Half of the paper grew wet while the other half turned to dust. Naruto arched an eyebrow in surprise. Well, that was unexpected. He said. It appears you have an affinity for both water and earth elements. It's pretty rare for humans, especially our age, to have even one affinity. Wow, so what is your affinity? She asked in awe. Wind, fire, earth, water, ice, wood, magma, lightning, light, dark and shadow. Being a 9-tailed Hanyu has its perks. Naruto answered. Sakura's jaw dropped. Isn't such a thing impossible? She exclaimed. Normally yes, but since Kyuubi had an affinity to those elements I gained that power as well when I absorbed Kyuubi's powers. Naruto answered, it was a half-truth. Light, dark and shadow elements were given to him by Shinigami when he became his avatar. Anyway, I'm going to give you a scroll with shuriken and kunai shadow clone jutsu and poison cloud jutsu to learn on your own, both are pretty simple. I'll also throw in the mystic palm jutsu for your medical studies since you've got chakra scalpel and poison purge down. For your elemental affinities, I'll teach you earth clone jutsu, water clone jutsu, earth encampment wall jutsu and water encampment wall jutsu. Later I'll teach you some higher level ones like earth dragon missile and great waterfall. Since you have 2 affinities, I need to train you how to manipulate your chakra so that you don't accidentally use earth-based chakra to use a water-based jutsu. The best way to do that is to meditate. Follow my lead. Naruto said, sitting down on the ground in the lotus position, and she followed suit. Now clear your mind of all thoughts, just like they taught at the academy. Once you've cleared your mind, find your center and feel out your chakra. You will notice that aside from the normal spiritual energy flowing through you, that there are 2 other energies flowing with it. Each elemental chakra will have a different internal field to it. Naruto lectured. Fire will heat, water will flow, wind will blow, earth will rumble, lightning will tingle. Elements like ice, magma and wood are a result of combining 2 of the main 5. Once you get strong enough with 2 affinities, a fusion affinity is born. Ice will cool, magma will sear and wood or plant as I prefer to call it will rustle. Feel out the flowing and rumbling sensations within you and then separate them and harmonize them with your spiritual flow, let them become one with you, your spirit and your body. Chakra is a fusion of spiritual and physical energies. Element chakra holds these with the addition of a hint of mana, the planet's life force that flows through everything, just let it flow and bond with you. Doing this I found it to be much easier to control my elemental affinities. Now concentrate. Naruto's voice came out as a soft, almost hypnotic tone. Naruto went silent and activated his Omnigan. The colors cycled until they landed on blue for aura vision, which allowed him to see people's auras and chakra. Sakura felt through the ambient energies contained within her body as she entered a near Zen trance. Her mind's eye could see her chakra core. It was a brilliant light blue orb of flame at her very center, and flowing around it were 2 swirling waves of energy. One was a rich brown color that seemed to rumble, while the other was a darker blue that flowed around her core like a river. Physically reaching out for these energies would be impossible, she mentally surmised, so she reached out with her core to ensnare the errant energies. It worked. The next step was to harmonize them, but how? She noticed that the brown and dark blue chakra seemed to react positively to the tendrils of chakra she sent out from her core, so perhaps if she pulled the 2 flows into her core, it would stabilize them. To her delight, this was the right answer as the 2 once errant chakras merged with her core, and the light blue flaming orb that was her core was now outlined with a gentle brown and dark blue glow, added to the light blue glow. She also noticed that her chakra felt more controlled now and calmer. Naruto was shocked. It had taken him months to do what Sakura did in the span of an hour and a half. Part of him was a little jealous, but he had no help when he had to learn this. Just a few obscure teachings from Iro-Sennin, Kyuubi would have helped him had she not had disappeared before he taught himself how to do this. He silently chuckled to himself. Maybe He would make a good sensei when he reached Jounin rank. Sakura opened her eyes and saw Naruto smiling at her, his omnigan now off. That was amazing. How did you learn such a great technique? She asked in awe. Many months of trial and error. He commented and then realized his slip-up, in this time frame he had only just gotten Kyuubi's power. Thankfully Sakura seemed to buy it and didn't question him further. Now before you learn any water and earth jutsu you need to learn how to manipulate your elements through your chakra. It's a bit difficult if you don't have a ready source of the element around you. Earth is simple because it manipulates dirt, sand and rock. Water usually requires a nearby source, but when you have an affinity you can use the excess moisture around you and have our chakra create the rest. Your best bet is to use the hydrogen in the air to create your own water source. To do that when performing a water jutsu just picture the air around you turning into water and focus that into your water chakra like so. Naruto turned around and went through about 30 hand seals in rapid succession. Water release water dragon missile jutsu. Naruto blew out hard from his mouth as a surge of water in the shape of a dragon flew out and spat several orbs of water before crashing itself into the target a boulder, which was now drenched and shattered. That was awesome. Sakura cheered, she couldn't wait to try that one out. Don't get too excited, that's an air rank water jutsu, even with your affinity, you'd only be able to do 2 of those at about half power at your chakra level. That's why I told you to keep building your chakra levels, your core is like a muscle and can keep growing, but unlike physical muscles that have to abide by practical limits and the laws of nature, your core can continue to grow so long as you live and are able-bodied enough to exercise your core. You do need to remember though, just because you do not have an affinity for certain elements doesn't mean you cannot use them, it is just more difficult, though affinities are required for element fusions like ice, wood and magma. But don't push yourself too hard or you could kill yourself or permanently damage your chakra coils. Naruto warned. Sakura nodded in understanding. Naruto was an exception to those rules because he was a Hanyu, but she was still a human and as such could kill herself if she wasn't careful. I'm glad you understand, I don't want you to needlessly get hurt. Now copy these hand seals. He said and did 5 seals. Sakura copied them effortlessly, her photographic memory was almost as good as a sharingan when she could see what was going on. Those are the seals to the water clone jutsu. All these types of jutsu started based off the standard clone jutsu they teach in the academy, but various types of clones use different variations, you don't actually have to have an affinity to perform them, but it makes it worlds easier. For the water clone just channel your water-based chakra into your clone, rather than trying to make an illusion like the standard one does. Then you manipulate the sum of the hydrogen in the air to form your clone, while your chakra handles the rest. This will give you a clone that is semi-solid with 1/10 of your powers and abilities, and when damaged or dispelled, it will become water again. Naruto stated. Sakura nodded and went through the seals and channeled the chakra like he said, and visualized air turning into water. Water clone jutsu. She called out. 2 orbs of water appeared on each side of Sakura and quickly formed into identical copies of her. Naruto smiled. Damn, Sakura-chan, you're a quick study, you keep this up and you'll be Jounin rank before you turn 16. He complimented. If I can get Kurenai-sensei to teach you some genjutsu you'll end up being better rounded than me. Sakura blushed while her clones giggled. Whenever Naruto complimented her or praised her for doing a good job it made her feel very happy, like everything she had been doing was all worth it. She dispelled her clones and they turned into puddles of water. Why don't we take a break for now, you've made really good progress and have a lot to be proud of. Naruto said and fished out another scroll from his pocket, secretly glad he kept extra jutsu scrolls on him for times like this, though he had made this one last night when he decided that Sakura needed a few non-elemental jutsu in her arsenal and another healing one. This is the scroll I promised you, I put it together last night. Mystic Palm Jutsu is the only one on there that is a higher level jutsu, so be careful with it. If you have any questions just ask me, if I don't know the answer I have quite a few medical books and scrolls in my clan library that I'll let you look through if you need to just. Don't tell anyone, the last thing I need is a bunch of people beating at my door trying to get a peek at my library. Sakura being a bookworm at heart was elated at the thought. You'd really let me look through your library if I want to? She asked excitedly. Naruto shrugged. Sure, you're my friend and I trust you to keep what you see secret. Besides all of the important scrolls and books have blood seals on them, no one but me can open them. The materials you would most likely need or want to look through aren't clan specific. Sakura was satisfied with that. He had already given her a couple of scrolls a week ago on advanced chakra manipulation, chakra kunai shuriken, chakra shield and chakra barrier. It was mainly because of those techniques and her frequent practice with them that her core and reserves had grown so much since they were made to help build chakra as much as use it to attack or defend. Kakashi walked up with 2D rank scrolls in his hand and a scowling Sasuke behind him. Alright you two, I got us 2D ranked for today. We are to pull weeds from Mrs. Fukuyama's garden and then help Ms. Inyazuka at her vet. She gets a shipment of supplies today, a large shipment," Kakashi said. Naruto sighed. "Okay, let's get to it then." Naruto clearly remembered when he did this mission in his previous timeline and was glad that he now knew the difference between weeds and sprouting vegetables. All in all, the mission was fairly simple. Naruto made a single shadow clone and had it work in the garden with Sakura and the prick. Perhaps he should have made the bastard impotent as well as sterile. Oh well. Seeing the elderly lady's fence was in disrepair, he offered to fix it up for no extra charge. Needless to say, the old woman was quite pleased and her views on the young Hanyu changed for the better. About an hour later, after a quick trip to a supply shop, the fence was as good as new and the garden cleared of weeds. Kakashi was fairly impressed with Naruto's non-shinobi related skills, noting that the other two genin were out of earshot. He walked over to Naruto. "Hey, where did you learn how to repair fences and such?" Kakashi asked. "When you get exiled you learn to become a jack of many trades. When I was in training I would spend time in non-shinobi villages and take on civilian work to make some extra money. I'm also fairly skilled in construction, masonry, mining and smithing." Kakashi nodded and said in a louder tone. "Okay, let's pack it up and head over to the Inyazuka veterinary." Sakura and Sasuke gladly accepted the payment offered by Mrs. Fukuyama, but Naruto told her his help was on the house since he had no real need for extra money. Before she could protest, he just waved with a smile and told her to have a nice day and walked off, leaving her and the others slightly stunned. Naruto walked ahead of the others. This was a new mission since they didn't do it in the previous timeline. He'd actually never had been in a vet before, or at least one that specialized in animals used by ninja. He approached the building. It was quite large with several stables behind it for horses and larger animals to stay in while they were being cared for. When he walked into the building he saw someone run frantically around the corner cursing in a very upset tone. Brows furrowed in concern, he quickly followed. The person was a young woman in a chunin vest about 16 or 17 years old with brown hair tied back in a ponytail. It was Kiba's sister Hana Inyazuka. The reason for her upset was a large horse-sized dog with a bear trap caught on its hind left leg. Hana was trying to open the trap, but the mechanism had jammed and even with a thick pair of leather gloves on, the sharp edges were still cutting into her skin. "Hey, let me help," Naruto said gently. Hana jumped slightly and looked up at the newcomer through slightly teary eyes. "Can you help me?" she asked almost urgently. "This is Kasuki, she was my father's companion before he died. I can't get this damn thing off of her." Naruto nodded and cracked his knuckles. "Stand back please." "But if you do it with your bare hands," she trailed off. Naruto grabbed hold of the trap, the sharp teeth piercing the calloused skin on his hands. The muscles on his arms bulged slightly before the trap was pulled apart, a loud crack and a shrill grinding noise, signifying that Naruto had torn the steel like paper. Blood from his hands mixed on the floor with that of Kasuki's. "Damn, that stung," Naruto grumbled, tossing the ruined bear trap aside. Hana gawked as the wounds on his hands began sealing up. "Now then, let's get that healed up, shall we, girl?" he asked a dog who whimpered slightly in pain. "Don't worry Kasuki, I will not hurt you, give me a moment and you won't hurt anymore," he said, giving the large dog a comforting scratch behind the ears. As Naruto began going through hand seals, Kakashi, Sakura and Sasuke walked in to see Naruto helping tend to an injured Inyazuka companion. The hand seals finished, his hands took on a soft ruby glow. He began running his hand over the wounds caused by the trap, using an outer focused variation of his own healing abilities. The ruby-colored chakra first killed all infection and then repaired the damaged bone and muscles before finally sealing the wound up, leaving only a slight bare spot on the dog's leg and a tingling sensation rather than pain. Wiping some sweat from his brow, Naruto smiled. "There we go. That leg will be a little weak for about a day or so, but your friend here should be good as new by then," Naruto said. How did you? I've never seen that kind of healing jutsu before," Hana said, still stunned, even more so when Kasuki nuzzled Naruto's hand in a show of affection the canine never showed outside herself and her mother Tsume. "It's a power unique to my clan, in fact I'm the only one who has ever been able to use it. The name's Naruto Uzumaki, by the way. My team and I are here to help you with your shipment of supplies," Naruto greeted. "This kid is the one Mom and Kiba were talking about. Damn, they didn't mention he was a hottie." Hana though flushing slightly. My name is Hana Inyazuka, thank you for helping me with Kasuki," she said with a bow. "No problem," Naruto said with a smile. "Stupid demon showing off as usual," Sasuke muttered. "Let's get this over with, I have training to do," he said in a louder tone. Sakura and Kakashi glared at him but said nothing. Naruto remained indifferent and Hana looked at the Uchiha heir with distaste. "I'll show you to the storage room, the stock was unloaded outside earlier," she said and led them out. Outside, behind the main building was a slightly smaller storage shed attached to it. Waiting outside of the building was several hundred large 100-pound sacks of various types of animal foods. Naruto looked at the stack, he could have this done within the hour with about 10 shadow clones, but that would defeat the purpose of the mission. It was a little after noon now and it had become abnormally hot for a spring day. Naruto removed his trench coat and swords, placing them to the side, leaving him in only a fishnet tank top that left nothing to the imagination. Hana and Sakura flushed at the sight. Naruto didn't notice and loosened his shoulders a bit before cracking his neck. "Well, let's get to it," he said, effortlessly grabbing a feed sack with each hand and hefting them onto his shoulders like they were half-pound pillows. Sasuke crossed his arms and began mumbling and cursing quietly about blondes and demons. Naruto smirked at him. "Hey, emo team, catch." Naruto tossed one of the sacks at Sasuke. Sasuke scowled and tried to catch the bag only to end up on his ass. 100 pounds of dead weight airborne and coming at you at a moderate speed will tend to do that when you're not gifted with abnormally high strength. Naruto hefted another bag and put it on his shoulder. "Now quit you bitching, uchiha, and get to work," Naruto said in a tone so cold it seemed to chill the hot spring air. Sakura stifled a giggle at Sasuke's disgruntled figure, what she ever saw in him she did not know. She hefted a bag with a little difficulty and followed Naruto into the storage building. Kakashi with another 2 bags was right behind them, he had decided to help out for a change as it was a good workout. Seeing as how the group hadn't had lunch yet, Hana went and picked up some takeout from a nearby restaurant. She came back with some simple foods, rice balls, dango, pot stickers and some strawberry mochi for a sweet treat. Kasuki also padded out to watch them, much to Hana's amusement the large dog wagged her tail whenever Naruto walked by. A little over an hour later the group was finished, the only 2 that didn't look winded were Naruto and Kakashi, Sakura surprisingly was only a little winded. Sasuke was sweating a lot. It seemed the kid had favored speed over strength and had neglected to strength train, hence explaining his rather slim form for a male. Hana gave the group their lunch with some tea she had brewed and then went to finish documenting her stocks and making sure she got everything that she ordered. Kasuki curled up next to Naruto and Sakura, the later taking her turn to pet the large friendly canine. Naruto watched slightly amused as Sakura nearly devoured the strawberry mochi, he had forgotten that strawberries were her favorite fruit. He himself didn't care for sweets that much. "Hey, Sakura-chan, care to trade my mochi for one of your rice balls?" he asked. "Really?" she asked surprised. Naruto chuckled. "Yeah, sweets aren't really my thing here." He handed it to her and she took it happily and gave him one of her rice balls. Naruto looked up at the sun to check the time. It's about 3 already, guess I should go to Hinata-chan's house early today so I can get a full night's sleep tonight," he mused. Naruto stood up and grabbed his things. "I'll send a shadow clone over with some more scrolls for you later, okay, Sakura-chan?" "Okay, Naruto-kun, I'll see you later," she answered before going back to munching on her treat. "Later," Kakashi stated with a wave. Naruto just nodded and then vanished in his favorite fire teleport. Naruto had taken a quick detour to his compound to grab something from his clan's armory that he thought would work well with Hinata's style. He quickly found what he was looking for. A pair of special tonfa nightsticks that were made out of a special metal that was extremely light but stronger than steel. He had first thought of giving Hinata a bow staff, but tonfa seemed to fit the bill better, especially these ones, because chakra could be used with them to enhance attacks. Naruto's plan was simple, the tonfa with a little training would allow Hinata to hit harder than with her usual Gyuukin strikes, but if she were to channel chakra into them, the hits could also close Tenketsu points, doubling the damage. After securing the tonfa in his belts he ran over to the Hyuga compound. The 2 guards gave him a nod and opened the doors to let him in. As he expected, Hinata was sitting off to the side garden waiting for him to arrive. What he didn't expect was for Hanabi to also be there. She was Hinata's polar opposite in several ways, she wasn't shy and from what he had heard she had a bit of a mouth on her. He had only seen her a couple of times in passing. "Hello, Hinata-chan, how are you?" he asked kindly. Hinata blushed cutely and poked her fingers together. 2 weeks later she was still embarrassed about what happened at the hot spring. She didn't really mind that Naruto had seen her, funny thing was she noticed Naruto would sometimes get a bit shy around her as well. What she didn't know was Naruto woke up 2 nights in a row and had to take cold showers from having rather perverted dreams about her and the other girls, though the one with Anko did scare the shit out of him. Snakes and fuzzy handcuffs were a creepy combination. "I am fine, Naruto-kun, thank you for asking," she said softly, her stuttering had mostly ceased since the incident and having him help with her training had boosted her confidence. "She's really cute when she pokes her fingers together like that, makes me wonder why I never noticed her before. Oh well, at least this time I don't have to miss that opportunity," Naruto thought to himself. Hanabi walked over and looked up at Naruto. He bent down slightly to meet the 10-year-old's gaze. "Hello to you too, Hanabi-chan, how are you?" Hanabi studied Naruto like he was some sort of rare creature on display. Most of the Hyuga feared her due to her temperament, though Naruto held no fear of her, and his use of the familiar suffix sometimes irked her. She idly wondered what her sister saw in him to be so enthralled with him. Of course she would never admit that she herself thought he was very cute, right? Father said you are very strong but you don't look like it to me. Hanabi stated in the Hyuga standard monotone. Naruto chuckled. Well, aren't you a little spitfire? He teased. Hanabi, in an attempt to intimidate him, activated her byakugan and gave him her harshest glare and failed miserably. His only reaction was to smirk. I can do that too, little firecracker. He teased again and activated his omnigan. Hanabi actually cringed and accidentally deactivated her taijutsu. The fact that the veins on the sides of his eyes bulged out surprised her a bit, but the fact that his eyes turned solid flashing colors freaked her out big time. Still, the little girl had her Hyuga pride and wasn't about to back down or show her intimidation. I heard that you are also a demon, is that true? She asked, still glaring. Hanabi? Hinata exclaimed in shock. Naruto shrugged. I'm a Hanyu, but given my power and rank, I am technically more demon than human, hence the tale. I take it you are also one of those people who have misconceptions of all demons being evil, yes? He asked, nonplussed. Hanabi blinked tail. She looked around and saw Naruto's tail wagging behind him and had to use all of her willpower to not scream out the word cute and cuddle to it. Naruto noticed this and idly wondered just what the hell was it with females in general and his damn tail, though he was surprised that she never seemed to notice it before, since most Hyuga were very observant if not perceptive. That tail's so cute. I wonder if he would let me touch it. Hanabi thought, all previous thoughts and misconceptions of evil demons and power levels flying right out of her head. Aw, screw the Hyuga pride, I gotta touch that tail. Naruto noticed the shift of emotions and thoughts in her eyes and inwardly chuckled. I guess she still is a little girl after all. See, can I touch it? Hanabi asked shyly, sounding all the more like a younger Hinata, blush and all. Oh hell no. Hinata thought with agitation. It's bad enough I will have to share my Naruto-kun with other girls, but not her too. I saw him first, damn it. That Naruto actually heard sweet, shy Hinata-chan's thoughts at that moment. He would have shit a pure gold brick. Naruto, clueless as ever, just scratched the back of his head and gave his trademark foxy grin. Sure, if you really want to, I guess that's fine. He said, not really having the heart to turn down a little girl. That was all Hanabi needed to hear and proceeded to glump his tail, much like Tenten had a tendency to do whether he liked it or not. Hyuga or not, she was still a 10-year-old girl, and cute things like bushy tails attached to handsome boys was enough to override her clan training to always be stoic. It's so soft and fuzzy. Hanabi said, cuddling to his tail, which was actually longer than she was tall. Naruto turned to Hinata and sweat dropped. Was that a look of jealousy or was she really pissed off? What he didn't realize was it was at that point in time something within Hinata snapped a barrier she had put up years ago due to being kidnapped and the cruelty of the elder Hyuga council. The hot spring incident had weakened it and this finished it. Her shyness had slowly been fading little by little, but she always kept her quiet, demure and kind-hearted personality. The reaction Naruto was about to witness was a sibling rivalry the likes he never dreamed possible. Hanabi-chan, could you please let go of Naruto-kun, we have training to do. She said in a forced sweet tone. Naruto blinked. Did that just sound forced? The Ashi had walked out a few moments before and was now watching the scene with a highly amused smirk on his usually stoic features. In his opinion, this was just what Hinata needed to get her Hyuga pride and fighting spirit aflame. This ought to be rich. The man thought while snickering to himself. It's still early, sister, besides, I'm sure Naruto-kun wouldn't mind spending more time with me. She said with a smirk. Well, Naruto trailed off, confused as hell. Kun? What the hell? But he came here to spend some time with me, I'm sure you understand that, little sister. Hinata replied almost smugly and wrapped her arms around Naruto's left arm, giving him an unintentional feel. Naruto flushed slightly. What in the 9 levels of hell is going on here? Oh damn, that's soft, really nice, is that a nipga? I'm not supposed to think about those things right now, must kill dirty thoughts. Orochimaru and Kabuto in the shower. Okay, bad idea, and even worse visual. Naruto's complexion had taken on a rather green look. Inside of Hiashi's head he was rolling in laughter. He knew those looks. First Naruto had a dirty thought, meaning there was hope for the boy yet, and then to try and get rid of it, he thought of the worst thing he could, hence the reason the boy now looked ready to blow chunks. Hanabi scowled at Hinata, so her sister was going to play that game, was she? She clutched Naruto's tail tighter, ignoring the slight wince that came from the new if not sudden object of her affections. I understand, older sister, but Naruto-kun can decide whether or not he wants to spend time with you or someone cute like me. Right, Naruto-kun? She asked in the cutest tone of voice she could muster, which was damn cute all things considered. Hinata let an uncharacteristic scowl cross her features as well. You too young for this, little girl, try again in a few years. she said in an obvious weak tone. Itachi almost wished he had some popcorn, this was better than those manga he and Arashi used to read. Girls. Naruto started. I'm only 3 years younger than Naruto-kun, and I don't see a ring on his finger. Hanabi shot back irritated, she was mature for her age, damn it. Well, I saw him first. Hinata said in a rather childish tone. Girls. Naruto squeaked as Hanabi began petting his tail in a not-so-innocent manner, and Hinata had shifted so that his hand was practically smooshing her breast. Damn shit. Not getting perverted thoughts, ignoring cute girl petting tail and hot older girl crushing her breast with my hand, this really isn't working, Naruto thought pathetically. So what? You never did anything about it before. Hanabi said smugly. Well, I'm trying to now. Hinata blurted out as the two sisters glared at each other, sparks shooting at each other's eyes. Naruto turned his head to see Itachi standing there, his stoic mask wavering slightly in amusement. Naruto's eyebrow twitched. A little help here. Naruto said. Itachi decided to have a little fun for a change, fun that would end up having some rather interesting consequences. Well, I could arrange a marriage between you and Hinata and a betrothal bond between you and Hanabi. He mused in a mock-thinking pose. If this plan worked, the Hyuga clan could finally be freed. Naruto's jaw dropped. Hanabi and Hinata perked up and stopped arguing to see Naruto had actually fossilized on the spot. It became so quiet that you could hear crickets chirping. And this could work out very well for the clan. Neither Hinata or Hanabi really want to or are suited to be clan heirs, but Niji he would make a superb successor, and I could have my revenge against the council for giving my brother and nephew that damned cursed seal. Not to mention any children sired by Naruto, and one or both of my daughters would have near limitless potential, and our clans would be united with Naruto-san's help. We could abolish the branch house and the caged bird seal, just like I had planned with Arashi. Itachi schemed to himself. Old previous silliness aside, Naruto found himself in a quandary. This had supposed to have been a simple trip back in time, sure he had planned on changing a few things, but nothing like this. And while he wasn't really adverse to the idea of such an arrangement with Hinata, the offer for Hanabi freaked him out. Naruto also knew that Sakura, Ino and Tenten had developed feelings for him, and he still had no problems with that. But offering a 10-year-old to a 13-year-old, what the hell was Itachi thinking? This is where the problems began. Shinigami had warned him that some things might take drastic changes. Now he understood what the death god meant. He had planned on perusing Hinata since sarutobi made him aware that she had feelings for him. Sakura was another that, while he wasn't against the idea, had surprised the shit out of him. In the previous timeline, Sakura hadn't even liked him until after his training trip with the pervy sage, not that it had mattered, since he only spent 6 months in Konoha before the sound attack that led to the death of Sasuke. Ino was a shock as well. He was sure that she had hated him. Tenten, she had always been nice to him, but it was more like passing acquaintances. Having spent that past 2 weeks getting to know the girls better had helped. He could genuinely admit that he had the same feelings for Hinata as he did Kyuubi. Sakura he was moving slower with, but she ranked up with Hinata due to the amount of time he spends with her. Ino he could classify as a really good friend right now, though a very flirtatious one. Much like Kyuubi had been, he would have no problem taking her out on a date. Tenten was ranked between Sakura and Ino, looking very promising as they did. In short, he was now close enough to each of them that he would gladly sacrifice himself for them. The problem was it was all going way too damn fast, and he knew the council had something to do with it, or the girl's parents, since many in the council wanted marriages that they arranged. Naruto let out a sigh and regained his composure once Hinata let his arm go. Look, Itachi Dono, I can appreciate that you want Hinata-chan to be happy as well as Hanabi-chan, but I will need some time to think about all of this. Things are going a little too fast for my tastes. But I will consider your proposal once I've thought about it and we've had a private talk about it. I understand, Naruto-san, I am just looking out for my little girls. There are few I would trust with them, and you have proven you deserve such trust the day you slew that demon. Itachi said. Naruto nodded and noticed looks of disappointment on the two girls' faces. Hinata-chan, Hanabi-chan, don't get so upset. I am actually not against the idea. But Hanabi is still rather young and should be given the chance to seek others of interest out rather than be tied down at such an early age, and Hinata, well. I've known for a while that you liked me and I like you a lot as well, but I had hoped we would at least have a date or two before being put in this position, so please try to understand I need some time. Both girls nodded with small smiles. They could understand his situation. They had been brought up with the understanding that they both might someday be married to the same man, which would be the heir to a powerful clan, to ensure both line succession and political ends. Hanabi also understood that not only was she too young for anything more than a betrothal bond, but she really didn't know Naruto all that well at all. She wasn't really sure just what had come over her, but she had felt drawn to him. She'd figure it out in time. Hinata though had a happy feeling run through her, he hadn't rejected the idea and had even mentioned dating, and that he liked her. It was like a dream come true for her. Hinata-chan, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to skip our training today. I've just got too much on my mind here, these tonfa are for you, I will be training you how to mix them with Byakugan-style attacks. Naruto said, handing her the twin weapons. Hiashi don't know, I will be speaking to you once I've thought some things out. Naruto said. Understood. Once again I apologize for putting the pressure on you. Hiashi said. Naruto nodded and vanished in a swirl of leaves. Chapter 8, Setting into Motion Part 2. Naruto let out a sigh as he walked towards Sarutobi's office within the Hokage Tower. He had spent a day and a half thinking things over concerning the girls, not idle thinking either, very hard, long and drawn out thinking. He had even missed 2 meals over it, which was something he rarely did. As it was though he needed to talk to someone with a bit more life experience than he had, all things considered he was still quite new to this whole having girls like him thing, even if he was from the future. The 2 Chunin guards let him pass, and Naruto walked in to see the old man and 3 of his clones. The clones working busily on some paperwork and him not reading his smut for a change. What a shock. Ah, Naruto. What brings you by here this fine morning? He said in his usually cheerful attitude. Naruto took a seat and accepted the offered cup of tea from another clone. I need some advice and I'm sure you know why, but first I have a couple of questions. Sarutobi nodded and for safety measures put up a privacy genjutsu. Very well my boy, what is on your mind? First, I have noticed that while some of the population no longer seems to hate me, many of them still do. I do not really care, but I assume it is the more pig-headed council members that are to blame for this? He asked. Yes, most of which are civilian council and or Danzo supporters, they seemed quite upset about his death. The old man answered. Though I suspect that you are dodging your real question. Naruto chuckled. Perceptive as ever, Jai-san, I wanted to know if the council is putting pressure on getting me married or something of the like. He stated. Your supporters have been pushing for it a bit, seeing as how you are in body going to be 14 soon. According to the Clan Restoration Act laws, if you don't have the minimum of chosen wives by the age of 16, then the council will choose them for you via arranged marriages, and you already know what will happen if you fight that. Part of the rush is due to your taijutsu, they want to ensure more will have the Omnigan. Sarutobi explained. Well shit. Naruto cursed. This is happening a little too fast for my tastes, even if I did have at least 2 chosen and 3 possible. As for the Omnigan, Kaiu made it for me so I'd have a better chance against other taijutsu, since it can negate the effects of them. But I'm sure it will be passed on to any children I might have. 5. Who is the 5th? I was only aware of the 3 genin girls from your year and Tenten. The Hokage asked but put the other information away in his mind for future reference. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Shinigami informed me that Kyuubi's soul from this time frame is assimilating fragments of her soul from my old timeline. As such, I sort of created an alternate timeline and she is being resurrected as a Hanyu at about half her original power. Apparently once her soul sphere started absorbing the fragments from the future, she gained her future self's memories and wants to be with me again. I was told she would revive in about a month or so, but I think it might be sooner since I can feel our previous soul bond active again. Naruto informed the old man, who to his own credit took it quite well. He only turned white as a sheet. It had been a good idea to leave out the fact he had also spoken to Kami, didn't want to give the old man a heart attack. She won't attack us again, will she? The elderly man asked. Naruto rolled his eyes. No, though she might very well castrate Orochimaru and feed him his jewels when and if she sees him. Naruto thought for a moment. I was already in love with her, so she will be a part of my clan. Hinata I had and still fully intend on courting. The 3 possible ones are Sakura, Ino and Tenten though. Hiashi seems to want me to get betrothed to Hanabi as well for some reason. All fine choices my boy, and I can see what Hiashi is thinking, though I will leave that to the 2 of you to talk about. I am sorry for getting nervous about Kyuubi, I sometimes forget that she too was a victim. Sarutobi apologized. Don't worry about it. But there is still this problem. At first I was going to just wait a few centuries for people to forget about me so I could start a clean slate after I prevented my future from happening. I didn't expect or plan for any of this with the girls to happen, and it was one hell of a surprise when it came to Sakura, Ino and Tenten. Then finding out that Kaiu was coming back to life, it's been a lot to take in. To be honest, I don't really know what to do. Naruto said. The old man thought for a moment. He knew the boy had been growing a good friendship with the girls, friendships that could easily evolve into a loving relationship with each of them. The girls already seemed set in their choices, and while he would admit that it had been rather fast of their part, it was not unheard of, especially when considering the boy's father. He and Kushina had fallen in love with each other in less than a week and had one of the most solid relationships he had ever seen, even if she had been a right spitfire. The girls would also prove to be good choices for him in the long run as well, due to both clan dynamics and each of the girls having strong wills. Even Hinata had proven her will to be strong when need be. Then an idea popped into the elderly man's head, one that would be highly beneficial for all considered. I have an idea, Naruto. I want you to sit down and speak with each of the girls, have a serious conversation if you will. Talk about the situation and their reasons for wanting to be with you. If you approve of it, then you can enter into a trial engagement with them. This gives you both the option to see if getting married would work out in the long run, but still have the option of backing out, and it would get the council to settle down. However, to fool the council, you will have to get the necessary rings for each of the girls or pendants, as it might suit their needs as kunoichi better. What you want to do is make the council think that you are fully engaged to the girls, not doing it on a trial basis. Make sure they know as well. Seeing as how they are kunoichi, a pendant would be more practical for the situation. Talk to them first though, and then get the pendants just in case. Sarutobi said. Naruto hummed and thought. It's really not a bad idea, Gigi. And I might use it sometime soon if the council starts getting antsier. The only thing that truly has me confused is why all these girls have suddenly taken such a liking to me when in my previous timeline the only one who might have even thought about it was Hinata. Not to mention her father seems nicer in this timeline as well. Naruto sighed. The best explanation that I can come up with is that I not only came back in time, but the changes I made have turned this timeline into an alternate one. He added as an afterthought. Or being a Hanyu, you give off a sort of aura that attracts females to you. Sarutobi offered. Naruto shook his head. No, I do have such an ability, but it would work on all females within a proper age range. I'm only getting the attention of certain females, and I have kept that part of my power heavily muted with a suppression seal. Sarutobi chuckled. Still, I never thought I'd hear you complain about gaining a group of girls that like you. Naruto flushes slightly despite himself. I'm not really complaining, it's just a little strange going from being hated by them at one time to having them all want to date me all of a sudden. So far I've just been acting by instinct alone. I'm not sure how I feel, since I have nothing to really go by. Naruto. Sarutobi said in a grandfatherly tone. What do you like about the girls? What do you feel when you're around them? Naruto frowned. Hinata is shy and demure, though as I saw the other day she can be quite fierce. Sakura once out of fangirl emote is really great to be around, a girl next door type. Ino is a lot like Sakura, but bossy and flirty added to it. Tenten is a bit of a tomboy, has good skills, is very kind, and has a need to be touchy-feely at times. Naruto paused for a moment as he gathered his thoughts. I like each of them for their own unique personality traits and quirks. They accepted me, which still surprises me, and none of them care that I'm a Hanyu. I can't really describe the feeling I get around them, it varies with each one, yet it is very similar to what I felt when Kayu-chan was still with me. It's a warm feeling, almost content or complete feeling. Does any of this make any sense to you? Naruto asked, looking slightly confused. Sarutobi just smiled. One last question, you would die for them, correct? Naruto nodded without hesitation. Then to keep them happy, would you live for them? He asked. Naruto opened his mouth to answer but stopped as several things clicked into place in his mind. Sarutobi watched as various emotions played across Naruto's face until stunned realization formed. The old man smiled. He knew if given the right motivation and questions, Naruto would begin to figure things out and his emotions would properly set now for the finisher. Imagine your life with them and then imagine it without them, how you would feel if you lost one, if not all of them, or never knew them at all. Sarutobi said. Imagining his life with the girls all together with him was much easier than Naruto thought it would be, and even caused a small smile to touch his lips. Then unbidden, the rest of Sarutobi's words forced his mind to see his life without them, any of them. At first it was losing them which made him pale, and then it was not knowing them at all, which left an empty feeling in him. He vividly remembered the pain he felt after he lost Kyuubi in the future, when adding Sakura, Hinata, Tenten and Ino as they were now into that mix, it made him feel horribly ill. It was bad enough he'd seen them all die once already. He had to remind himself that they were still here and the future he came from could be prevented this time. I see you finally understand. Sarutobi said. But how? Isn't it impossible to have feelings like these so soon? Shouldn't we be a tad too young, or at least they be too young? Naruto asked, not denying them. The heart is a fickle if not complex thing, my boy. You have no choice in what it wants, no one does. For you this is a chance to regain what you lost. You must remember that you are from the future. You knew these young ladies for a lot longer time than they have known you. Somewhere buried in your heart you had feelings for each of them, and now that you have gotten a second chance your heart is unlocking those feelings, hence your confusion. You don't live as long as I have without learning a few things about life and that to that affect the heart. As for age, it's very common for ninja to have relationships early in life due to our dangerous lifestyle, most marry by 16. The elderly man stated. Naruto calmed himself and thought it over. The old man was right, even with time travel Sarutobi was still older and still wiser than he was. Naruto had spent so much of his life hiding and bottling up his emotions, especially since the loss of Kyuubi, that he had forgotten how to properly feel them. His confusion was a result of that because his heart was telling him one thing and his mind another and he hadn't truly listened to his heart in a long time. Heckinda ironic isn't it, Jai-san, for all the power I have obtained, all of the experiences and battles I've fought. I forgot how to listen to my own heart. I've spent so much time listening only to my mind and logic I forgot that not everything can be done that way and the girls forced my emotions to come back out and it confused me because it lacked the logic my mind provided. Naruto mused. Then counted a blessing that you never completely locked out your emotions. By leaving your baser emotions alone, it made it easier for your deeper emotions to break through. Now the question is what do you plan on doing? Sarutobi asked. I am not going to risk losing them again not a snowball's chance and help in there, hated it. But I'm not about to jump into things blindly either I think it's time I go speak to Hiashi and find out what he has planned and go from there. Since I'm still not too sure of things cause I lack experience, I think I'll let the girls move things at their own pace, but add my own opinion from time to keep things from going out of control. Naruto replied. That is a good idea my boy and I wish you luck. Sarutobi smiled. Later that day. Naruto walked down the streets of Konoha, ignoring the usual glares as his mind washed over what he had learned earlier. He still wanted to take things slow, but due to his complete lack of previous relationship save for Kyuubi, he opted to just let the girls go at their own pace. He wasn't sure how that would go with Sakura, Ino and Tenten, but he was pretty sure that before the day was out he'd be engaged to Hinata, which suited him fine. As it was he had an appointment to speak with Hiashi in about an hour as it was. He viewed the area he was in with disdain it was the slums and close to his old home. The more unsavory people of Konoha lived in this area, though some, like himself had no choice since it had been here the streets. Naruto's progress halted when he felt a slight flare-up of tainted chakra mixed with normal chakra. He frowned he knew the feel of that chakra it was from a cursed seal. Turning down the dark alley he was sensing it from he saw Anko on her knees clutching at her shoulder and hissing in pain as a drunk stood over her. Now Naruto knew that she could easily handle the drunk, but when the cursed seal acts up, it leaves a person weakened if they fought it and she was fighting it. "That looks like the Hikibi Schledish having trouble hehe," the drunk slurred as he began inching towards her. Naruto walked up behind the drunkard and tapped on his shoulder. The idiot stumbled his way around only to see a fist incoming and then blissful darkness he landed about 10 feet away at the other end of the alley out cold. Naruto then turned his attention to Anko and the seal which was writhing on her shoulder. Anko looked up still wincing in pain as Naruto came into view, she was surprised to see a look of genuine concern on his features. I got rid of the drunk how long has it been acting up, Anko-san? He asked. For about 2 hours more frequent than usual, she said through gritted teeth. Let me see it I am a seal master. Naruto said in a soothing tone. Not usually trusting of others, but wanting rid of the pain Anko removed her hand to better show the seal. Naruto looked it over as his Omnigan activated. Like the cursed seals he had seen in the future, this one had made a separate core of tainted chakra, but unlike the others this one didn't contain those odd enzymes that twisted people's cell structure, it was incomplete, meaning that Anko had likely been used to test it when she had been branded with it. This made it possible to remove since unlike the others this one hadn't forced a bond to her soul or had screwed with her genetics, though it was obvious that the Hibi team could still control it like one of the Hyuga cage bird seals probably, where he got the idea from while combining it with a bastardized version of the mating mark that demons used, hence his biting of the victim. Hold still I can remove the seal, but it is going to burn. Naruto said going through hand seals at a rapid pace. But I thought that it couldn't be removed. Anko said shocked. Yours is an incomplete version of the seal likely the Hibi team used you to test it out on, since this one hasn't bonded to your soul it can be removed. Naruto answered as his hands began glowing crimson. Anko closed her eyes and gritted her teeth. I'm sorry for the pain you're about to feel Naruto said softly. Seal arts dark seal disruption. A seal with the kanji for destruction appeared on Naruto's hand and he placed it over the cursed seal and muttered release. This in turn caused a seal on his hand to shatter the one on her shoulder before fading off his palm. Now he had to get rid of the tainted chakra this one was going to draw quite a bit of chakra, thankfully without the seal there the chakra couldn't regenerate. He began running through more seals as beads of sweat appeared on his brow, the red glow was replaced by soft white and gold. Light release divine purification jutsu. Naruto intoned and began pumping Anko's body full of purifying energy. This is where the pain started as the light chakra forced the tainted cursed chakra out of her body via the Tenketsu points, while destroying the core it had made near her shoulder. Anko's Tenketsu opened wider than usual as sickly purple chakra expelled from her body and faded out. To her credit she didn't cry out in pain, but she did let out a few whimpers. Naruto didn't blame her this technique worked great but hurt like hellfire. As soon as the last of the tainted chakra was out of Anko's system, Naruto prepared a few more hand seals as his hands turned to a soft green glow. Mystical palm jutsu. He said and began using it to both heal her tenketsu and relieve her pain. The difference between his variant and Tsunade's was that hers was used to heal wounds, his could do that as well as relieve pain, though the side effect was that it left the recipient sleepy. Anko felt a wave of warmth wash over her as a sudden need to sleep hit her. She could hardly believe that Naruto, of all people, got rid of the thing that had cursed her, since she had it forced on her. Her elation though was drowned out by her need to sleep. Thank you Naruto-kun, Anko said sleepily before passing out. Naruto caught her before she could slump to the ground and effortlessly picked her up bridal style. He smiled at her for a moment. Glad I could help, now get some well-deserved sleep. He said quietly and vanished in a flurry of burning leaves. After dropping off Anko at the Hokage tower, which had been interesting, Kurenai practically crushed his spine when she hugged him and thanked him profusely for helping her best friend. Naruto just told her that he would do the same for anyone who had that curse inflicted upon them, and if it pissed off a certain snake pedophile all the better. Asuma had laughed heartily at the comment. Since it was nearly time for Naruto's meeting with Hiashi, he decided to element port rather than walk or run. He liked this variant of Shunshin he made mainly because it looked cool, but it also scared the shit out of people who didn't expect it, hence the Hyuga guards nearly pissing themselves when he appeared in a flash of lightning and a crack of thunder. It was good to be a prankster, no. After regaining their composure barely, the two guards let him in as usual. He was then led into the main house meeting room by one of the maids that belonged to the branch family. Sitting there waiting for him was Hiashi, Hinata and Hanabi. Hinata was just finishing up making some tea as he entered into the room. Good afternoon, Hiashi Dono, Hinata-chan, Hanabi-chan. Naruto greeted and gave a polite bow which was returned. Would you like some tea, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked shyly. Thank you and yes, that would be nice. Naruto replied using the manners he had learned in his previous timeline. As Naruto took his seat, Hinata quickly fixed him a cup of tea and placed it in front of him before taking her own seat next to him. She flushed slightly as she kept shooting glances at him. Hanabi was too, but she seemed more interested in glumping his tail. Have you come to a decision then, Naruto-san? Hiashi asked, getting to the point. Mostly I would like to hear your reasons for wanting me to marry both of your daughters. I have a suspicion as to why, but I would like a confirmation, then we can go from there. Naruto stated and took a sip of tea. Very well. Hiashi sighed. I know you're aware of the divide between the main and branch houses. For years I have tried to abolish this as it caused me to lose my twin brother and alienate my nephew. But the clan elders refused to listen to reason and unite the two branches of the Hyuga. They even have forced me to work my daughter harder than need be and act cold to strengthen her, all under the threats of the sealer punishing my nephew. As you know, Hinata is the heir, but the elders want me to banish her to the branch house because they do not believe she is strong enough to one day lead the clan. They want Hanabi to take her place. Now I'll be damned before I put either of my daughters in the branch house or have that damned seal placed on them. It's bad enough my nephew has it. I refuse to let either of my daughters become little more than slaves, and Kami only knows what some of those old perverts would do. At first I had planned to marry Hinata to another clan heir so that she could avoid such a fate. Sadly, there are few I would agree with considering. When the council was told of your unique circumstances and since I knew Hinata liked you, I thought it would be for the best if we could work something out. The elders might not like the idea, but with your status they cannot do anything other than complain either. As for Hanabi, they only want her to become heir and eventually clan leader because she is female, and that gives them a bit more control of her and who she marries. Sadly, it is the men that are prized above the women of this clan. I doubt that either of my daughters would make a good clan head simply because the elders will be completely against them and try to find ways to manipulate them. Hiashi explained. Naruto frowned. Councils and elders these days seem to think they hold all the power, don't they? I know for a fact that the village council, well, most of the civilians and elders want to arrange my marriages. Once again with the damn control issues. Bunch of corrupt bastards. Indeed, that is why I wanted you to wed both my daughters, if for nothing else than to save them from the fate of being the elders' puppets, slaves and/or trophies for the husbands of their choosing. Hiashi paused for a moment and noticed Naruto grinding his teeth. He smiled. Also, this would allow me, as clan head, to name my own successor. I would like my nephew, Niji, to take over as head of the clan so I can remove the cage bird seal from him. I feel I owe him and my brother that much at least. Nice plan, Hiashi Dono, with that you would effectively keep your daughters safe and unite the main and branch houses, and according to village law, since that proceeds over clan laws, the elders can't do anything though. I am sure they will still try to place the seal on Hinata-chan and Hanabi-chan though. I have a solution to that problem, I am a seal master after all. Naruto said. Hiashi and his daughters looked interested at this. The cage bird seal had been the bane of the branch house for generations. It is a seal my father had been working on, I discovered it in his notes and finished it. Naruto started. It is called the blood binding seal. It is a seal that prevents bloodline limits from being stolen or used by force, and when the wearer of the seal dies, the seal ensures their Kekkei Genkai goes with them, making things like eye theft impossible whether they are dead or alive. It acts like a cage bird seal would, but doesn't have the nasty little add-ins that the elders seem to favor. The seal cannot cause pain or make the wearer subservient, it just protects their bloodline, nothing more, nothing less. Hiashi was incredibly impressed. Are you certain this seal would work and is it easily used? Naruto nodded. I'm positive the seal will work, father actually had the entire workings for it down, just not put together. I finished it and added a twist to it so that the seal bonds to the recipient's soul and blood so that it cannot be removed. I am so sure of the seal I am willing to have it placed on myself to prove the point. He added the last part to ensure his faith. The seal itself is easily placed, it needs to be placed on your back, between your shoulders though rather than your forehead. Once the seal is drawn on, just add your chakra to it to activate, and the seal will do the rest, since it is designed to bond instantly to the recipient. Once activated it will respond to their chakra, rather than the chakra from an outside source. So does this mean you will accept my offer then? Hiashi asked hopefully. Naruto went silent for a moment and noticed the both sisters turn to him and give him a hopeful gaze. Hinata, he could understand Hanabi confused him a bit. I will accept on the grounds that at any point in time, if either Hinata-chan or Hanabi-chan want out of the engagement or betrothal bond, that they be allowed to, but remain under the care and protection of both the Hyuga and Uzumaki clans. Naruto said and then turned to Hanabi, who was practically bouncing in her seat. Might I ask why you suddenly like me so much, Hanabi-chan, you don't know very much about me? He asked. She blushed. Your eyes, she muttered. They hold much sadness but purity at the same time. Naruto looked a bit stunned, quite perceptive for one so young. Hinata decided to add her to Ryo. Hanabi-chan and I have been prepared for many years knowing that we both might end up marrying the same man. At first we had feared it to be Uchiha-san, since that is what the elders wanted. Hiashi let out a hiss at the name. Naruto agreed with him completely. I was terrified because I don't like him, I like you. But when father found out about your status we hoped that you would consider it. She said shyly. I understand. Naruto said and chuckled lightly. I had actually planned on asking for permission to date you anyways. Hinata smiled and turned a nice shade of pink. We don't need to go into any large details right now. I can see that you both like me and I am honored. I do care for you, Hinata-chan, very much so. Thump, and I had thought you got past your fainting spells too. Naruto chuckled and turned to Hanabi. I don't know you as well as I do your sister, but I am willing to get to know you better. I can't honestly say that I love you just yet, but give it time. As such, if you still want to be betrothed to me I will be honored to accept. Naruto said. Hanabi let out a delighted squeal and glomped onto Naruto. Does this mean I get to be your girlfriend, Naruto-kun? She asked excitedly. If that is what you wish though, due to your age, things will need to progress at a slower rate. I am willing to wait if you are though. He said kindly. Hanabi just smiled and cuddled up to Naruto. Thank you, my boy, not only have you made my daughters very happy, but you have helped this clan in many ways this day. Hiashi said with a slight bow. I would have helped even without the offers of marriage. My father did all in his power to protect this village, including making me a human sacrifice that in the long run ended up being a blessing. In turn I too will do what I can to protect this village and all within it. Even if I don't not become Hokage, I will still work to become the most powerful shinobi in this world and protect those precious to me. Being Hokage is a nice dream, but without my precious people to share it with then it becomes an empty ambition. Naruto said honestly. Hiashi was quite moved at the short speech. He was amazed with the boy. At first he had been neutral towards him and then watched as he was not only named the successor to the fourth but a Hanyu as well. Then he destroyed the stereotype of all things demonic were evil when he in his own demonic form fought fang and claw against a five-tailed demon scorpion, protecting not only his daughter and nephew but a great deal of others as well. To that effect Hiashi still couldn't understand why so many still held the boy in contempt or how he could just turn the other cheek. But one thing was obvious, Naruto had all the makings of a Hokage greater than any before him and he, Hiashi, would help him reach that goal if at all possible. Hiashi then noticed Hinata was starting to wake. Hanabi, I believe your sister and betrothed have some things to discuss. Would you like to come with me to the Hokage tower to set up the marriage arrangement and betrothal bond? He asked. Hanabi pouted a bit but understood. She lifted herself up and pecked Naruto on the cheek and giggled as he blushed slightly. She didn't even realize that she too was blushing. Hiashi let another smile grace his features. He was glad to see his daughters so happy. Perhaps now he could drop the damn cold act he had to put up because of the elder Hyuga council. Taking his youngest daughter's hand, he walked out of the room to give the two teens some privacy. Hinata looked at Naruto, all her shyness returning as she poked her fingers together for a few minutes before she forced her shyness down. Naruto smiled at this. He knew it took a lot for her to muster her courage. Are you feeling better now, Hinata-chan? He asked. She nodded shyly. Did you really mean it? Do you really like me? She asked timidly. Naruto gently placed his finger and thumb under her chin and brought her face up so he could look at her in the eyes. Pale lavender met sapphire blue, and though feral they held a certain tenderness. I wouldn't have said it if I didn't mean it. I never go back on my word, and you know that. I know the circumstances we are in are a little strange, but I do care deeply for you. I just want you to be happy. Naruto said softly. Hinata was transfixed. She could hardly believe that one who could be so powerful, so strong and so terrifying, could also be so gentle and attentive. She had always known that there was something special about Naruto, something that no other man could hope to match, and now she was certain he was one of a kind. As she looked into his eyes, she found herself caring less and less about the fact that she had to share him. His eyes spoke to her. They said that he would protect her and any others who became a part of his family, that they would be loved equally. I am happy. Hinata whispered in a slight daze. I've always dreamed of this. I've loved you for a long time. Naruto smiled, feeling truly happy. No one had told him that they loved him since Kyuubi had vanished in the previous timeline. He had thought that he would be stuck spending the rest of his eternal existence alone, but now he knew that was a groundless fear. I love you too, Hinata-chan. Naruto said. He then leaned forward and placed a simple kiss on her lips. It was slightly innocent, but the feeling within it was never lacking. Happy tears sprung into Hinata's eyes as she snaked her arms around the boy, no, the man that she loved with all her being. She now realized that for once this wasn't a dream and she didn't have to fear waking up to a cold, harsh reality. The kiss broke and Hinata cuddled up to Naruto. He pulled her onto his lap and rested his head on top of her own as he laced his fingers with hers. He had so longed to feel this and was miffed at himself for nearly thinking himself out of a golden opportunity. His past, mental age and previous fears no longer mattered. That was then, this was now. He had the power and the skill to protect them, and now he had even more reason to do so. Kyuubi would always be his first love and he would be glad when she finally returned to him. Hinata was the first love of his new life and others would soon follow, and for once he wasn't so apprehensive, not when it felt this good, not when it felt so right. Shinigami sighed as he sat in his throne as a glowing orb with an ethereal humanoid form hovered up next to him. The form was that of a young woman. Long flowing crimson locks, silky cream-colored skin, rich emerald green eyes with slit crimson pupils, whisker marks on her cheeks, a pair of black-tipped crimson furred ears on her head, and 6 black-tipped furry crimson tails flowing behind her. She had a body that could only be described as human perfection, a generous bust, slim hips and curves in all the right places. Before them was a large orb, and the image within it was of Naruto holding the young Hyuga heiress Hinata. Each had content smiles on their faces. I wish Naruto-kun could have waited for me to come back, but I am glad to see him happy again. Kyuubi said with a slight pout. Shinigami chuckled. I wouldn't worry, Kyuubi, you still and always will have a place in that kid's heart. He misses you very much, you know. I know I miss him too. He was the first and only man, human or otherwise, that I ever loved. I don't mind sharing him. It's common amongst demons to take multiple mates, especially the alphas, and Naruto-kun is definitely an alpha. I just wish the restoration would hurry. Kyuubi said as she continued to watch longingly. It will be soon. Kami and I have sped up the process and your own desires to be reunited with him have moved things along much faster. So much so that the process should be finished within a few more days' time rather than the month we had first thought. Shinigami stated. But I need to be back with him. He has a long hard road ahead of him and it will take me and those other girls that love him to help him through it. This time I can help him more. I will be able to really touch him instead of his astral self. She said as a whisper. Shinigami sighed. You are right about the trials he must face. If it were only just the Uchihas, Orochimaru and the Akatsuki that were his problem, I fear that he will one day be released from his prison. Kyuubi cringed and stiffened in fear. There was only one being that he could be referring to, a dark god that was the embodiment of evil. He went by many titles: Deathbringer, Lord of Anarchy, God of Chaos. His name was Xanthus. But how? I thought he was sealed for all eternity in the abyss. Kyuubi exclaimed. He is for now. Kami and I sealed him ourselves, but the key and the lock have long since been lost in the mortal realm. Someday, some fool human might find a way to release him, and then only Naruto will stand a chance of defeating him. Kami even gave him her blessing, making his Reaper form as much a part of him as his demon side. I am not sure just what gifts she gave him, all I know is that there are 3 of them. But all that power is only as strong as his will to protect those he loves. Pray that Xanthus is never released and he continues to remain sealed into the void never to return. Shinigami answered. Iwubi just nodded, all she could do was hope that Xanthus would never be released. The only small comfort she had was that the chances of a human ever finding both lock and key and then figuring out how to use them were extremely rare and highly unlikely. As it was she chose not to worry about a matter that may never come to light and just look forward to the day she would wake up next to the man she loved. Her own second chance was soon at hand and she embraced it happily. And that marks the end of this part of the story. If you guys made it this far and want next part of the video, comment down below to let me know. Thanks for sticking out till the end. I love you all. Anyways, I would gladly appreciate every likes, comments and subscribes I could get on this series. It only takes a minute and best of all, you can show your support for absolutely no cost. See you in the next one.